Chapter 1. A blessing in disguise. Chen Qiang's right hand activated a miraculous recycling system. Whenever it came into contact with the corpse of a beast, a human, or a genetically mutated individual, their bloodlines and skills would be absorbed as his own. Gazing at the ethereal surroundings, Chen Qiang felt a sense of confusion. Had he truly traversed to the year 2838? Chen Qiang, are you attempting to slack off again? Hurry up and dispose of these corpses, so we can return to our meal. A boy around the same age, perhaps 16 or 17, wiped the sweat from his brow and shot Chen Qiang an irritated glare. Nodding in response, Chen Qiang mechanically lifted a corpse and hurled it into the large pit before him, while continuing to sift through the information in his mind. After a cataclysmic biological disaster, 8 centuries had passed, during which spiritual energy revived and species evolved. As the various latent bloodlines within humanity were awakened, other species on Earth underwent transformations as well. Furthermore, the emergence of genetically mutated individuals posed an even greater threat to human survival. The 3 factions, humans, beasts, and genetic mutants, stood in a delicate balance, with the human environment deteriorating the most, fragmented into scattered settlements. In the settlement where Chen Qiang resided, nearly 2,000 individuals coexisted, each fulfilling their responsibilities to collectively uphold their home. Be cautious, wear your gloves, and under no circumstances should you touch the corpses with bare hands. An elderly man with a white beard called out loudly. Grandpa's son, although our work is grim and laborious, it is far safer than that of the patrol teams. A single poison flame bloodbat claimed the lives of 6 of them. It is truly perilous. You young lad are quite lacking in ambition. In these dire times for humanity, becoming a bloodline warrior not only allows you to defend your home, but also to marry and propagate. With your inferior bloodline, you'll only be destined to follow me your entire life. Scavenging corpses? What future do you expect? After admonishing Chen Qiang, the old man turned and his expression shifted dramatically. Chen Qiang, why have you removed your gloves? Startled by Grandpa's son's exclamation, Chen Qiang awkwardly smiled while reaching out toward a nearby corpse. However, this action sent 6 children scurrying away in panic. Don't touch it. Grandpa's son's hair stood on end in alarm, but he was too late. Chen Qiang's hand had already made contact with the black corpse. This is bad. A poison flame bloodbat. There's no saving it now. The poison flame bloodbat was notoriously venomous, and it was these creatures that had claimed the lives of the patrol members. Just as Chen Qiang's right hand grazed the corpse of the poison flame bloodbat, he was momentarily stunned. Having merged with the memories of the original owner of this body, he was acutely aware of the bat's lethal venom. Unfortunately, he had not yet fully acclimated to this body. In his moment of distraction, he had removed his gloves to wipe his brow, forgetting to put them back on before touching the corpse. Was he truly destined to perish so soon after his arrival? Ding! A crisp mechanical voice resonated within Chen Qiang's mind. The corpse functional recovery system has detected host information and is about to activate. Would you like to proceed with activation? Just as Chen Qiang was momentarily taken aback, the same voice echoed again. To activate the system, please click confirm. To decline activation, please click no. Note: declining activation will result in immediate poisoning and death. The countdown began. 10, 9, 8. With the countdown nearing its end, Chen Qiang had no time to ponder and promptly clicked confirm. The crucial point was that the system offered him no alternative. Upon clicking confirm, a new message appeared in his mind. The corpse functional recovery system has been successfully activated. A complementary point of recovery value has been utilized. Successfully recovered a soldier-level initial stage poison flame bloodbat. Host: Chen Qiang. Level: none. Energy value: 0. Recovery value: 0. Constitution: 9. Strength: 25. Speed: 6. Mental power: 23. Cultivation method: none. Skills: hibernation, sonic detection, bloodline. Initial stage poison flame bloodline. Note: energy value can be converted into recovery value, constitution, strength, speed, and mental power. After carefully reviewing the information, Chen Qiang still felt somewhat dazed. He was clearly of a lowly mortal-grade bloodline, which was precisely why the original owner of this body had been assigned to the old man's Sunday. Yet now, he possessed the poison flame bloodline, along with an additional skill, hibernation, with the memories of the original owner flooding his mind. Chen Qiang realized that both hibernation and the poison flame bloodline were characteristics of the poison flame bloodbat. Could it be that he truly wielded the abilities of the poison flame bloodbat? With a mindset of experimentation, Chen Qiang immediately closed his eyes and activated the hibernation skill of the poison flame bloodbat, lowering his breathing and heartbeat to their minimum, even causing his body temperature to drop instantaneously. Simultaneously, he activated the sonic detection function. Although he did not open his eyes, the moment the sonic detection was initiated, everything within a radius of 300 meters became vividly clear in his mind. First, he noticed his chubby friend, who typically was quite close to him. Trembling as he approached, softly calling out, Chen Qiang. Seeing Chen Qiang's lack of response, the chubby boy reached out with his gloved hand and gently poked Chen Qiang's body. Oh no, Grandpa's son, Chen Qiang's body is cold. Nonsense. Even if something happened to him, he couldn't possibly be this cold so soon. The old man's son's face darkened as he shot a glare at the chubby boy, then moved to Chen Qiang's side to check his breathing and pulse. His expression shifting dramatically. He really dead? This is bad. It seems there's no saving Chen Qiang. We should bury him together. With that, the two young boys approached silently to lift Chen Qiang's body. What are you doing? Chen Qiang, deeply immersed in his experiment, had intended to continue his mischievous antics. However, he was taken aback to find his friends genuinely preparing to bury him and quickly opened his eyes. Ah, a ghost. Two young boys unceremoniously tossed Chen Qiang aside before swiftly retreating. Rising from the ground, Chen Qiang rubbed his backside and gazed at the bewildered faces of those nearby. Are you all right, Chen Qiang? Old son, with genuine concern, inquired after assessing Chen Qiang's condition. I'm fine, Chen Qiang replied as he stood up and stretched, attempting to mask the excitement bubbling within him. Although he had yet to fully comprehend the corpse functionality recovery system, he finally possessed a semblance of leverage in this extraordinarily harsh environment. Impossible. That was a poison flame bloodbat. Even a bloodline warrior would meet their demise upon encountering one. One brave youth ventured closer to Chen Qiang, observing the corpse of the poison flame bloodbat, but hesitated to touch it after several attempts. After all, life is singular. Should he be poisoned, there would be no remedy. How peculiar, old son remarked, shaking his head. Chen Qiang, dispose of that poison flame bloodbat and the last corpse. Once we finish burying them, we can return for a meal. Heeding the instruction, Chen Qiang grasped the poison flame bloodbat and cast it into the pit, then reached for another corpse. Clink. System recovery value is 0. Target cannot be recovered. Insufficient system energy. Conversion to recovery value is impossible. Notification. Please increase energy value promptly. Energy value? How does one enhance it? Chen Qiang internally queried the cold, unyielding system countless times, yet received no response. Resigned, he silently discarded the corpse into the pit. Before long, old son and the 7 youths completed the burial and returned to their settlement. Within the dimly lit earthen room, the children each clutched a sweet potato, devouring it listlessly. However, the other 6 children seemed to intentionally maintain a distance from Chen Qiang. Be cautious. That guy has come into contact with the poison flame bloodbat. Who knows when he might succumb to poisoning? It's best to keep our distance. Really? Isn't it said that merely touching a poison flame bloodbat leads to certain death? It's been a while. Surely he is fine now. Perhaps the toxin lies dormant. Better to be safe. It might erupt at any moment. Ignoring the murmurs of the others, Chen Qiang's mind was consumed by thoughts of the peculiar system within him. Old son, are you there? A tall, robust man entered, parting the curtain. Ah, Captain Qi. I heard your exploration team has a mission tomorrow. What brings you here today? Old son asked nonchalantly, having just taken a bite of his sweet potato. Captain Qi glanced at the children eating in the room, hesitated for a moment, and then spoke. Old son, here's the situation. Tomorrow, our exploration team will venture into the mountains to gather medicinal herbs, but we are short-handed. We'd like to borrow someone from your group to assist. What do you think? Captain Qi, they are merely defenseless children. Are you sending them to the exploration team to meet their demise? Old son, the situation is not as perilous as you perceive. We simply seek a child to assist in gathering medicinal herbs. Besides, our bloodline warriors will safeguard them, will they not? You are well aware of the dire circumstances we face in our settlement. This is a matter of necessity. Old son, understanding the validity of Captain Qi's words, waved his hand in resignation. Very well, you may proceed as you see fit. Just determine who is suitable for this task. The children, who were dining, overheard the conversation between Captain Qi and old son, their faces reflecting trepidation as they instinctively recoiled. Ultimately, it was Chen Qiang, lost in contemplation, who stood out. Hello. What is your name? Captain Qi approached Chen Qiang and gently patted his shoulder. Huh. I am Chen Qiang, he replied, coming to his senses. Excellent, Chen Qiang. Assemble on the playground after breakfast tomorrow. Here, take this. With that, Captain Qi produced a beast crystal the size of a ping-pong ball and tossed it to Chen Qiang before turning to leave. What just happened? Chen Qiang cradled the beast crystal in his left hand, bewildered and glancing around. Chapter 2. The son of General Tianwei Chen Qiang. Just now, Captain Qi from the exploration team sought a helper, and thanks to your valiant spirit, you volunteered for the task. Moreover, the beast crystal in your possession is your reward from Captain Qi. This piece alone could procure 2 months' worth of high-quality provisions, truly valuable. Chen Qiang silently stored the beast crystal, feeling a wave of melancholy wash over him. He had been lost in thought and had not even heard the conversation. How had he suddenly become part of the exploration team? Chen Qiang, since we joined the corpse retrieval team, we have not had the pleasure of eating meat. With that beast crystal in your possession, why not procure some exotic beast meat tonight? Chen Qiang glanced at the chubby boy beside him, a strange expression crossing his face. It was not that he was unwilling to part with the beast crystal, but rather that it had mysteriously been consumed by the inexplicable system as soon as he had secured it. Ding. System absorbed 10 energy points. Automatically converted to 1 recovery point. System energy points at 0. Host must promptly increase energy points. At that moment, Chen Qiang realized that the energy value of this recycling system was indeed derived from the beast crystals. Get lost, chubby. Old Sun reprimanded, ushering the other children out of the earthen house, leaving only Chen Qiang behind. Old Sun was not contemplating the beast crystal he had just obtained, was he? He positioned Chen Qiang at the table, retrieving a sealed bottle from a dusty corner of the room. After blowing off the dust, he uncorked it, releasing a rich, intoxicating aroma. This is a fine treasure I have cherished for over a decade. Old Sun's face relaxed, and he carefully poured half a bowl for both himself and Chen Qiang, then filled their bowls with water from the kettle on the table. Such fine wine is indeed rare, and I seldom allow myself to indulge. With that, he retrieved a small paper package from a chest behind him, unfolding it to reveal 2 bones, clearly gnawed upon. The old man and the young boy sat opposite each other, their eyes fixed intently on the remaining scraps of meat clinging to the bones. Child, have you ever tasted the flesh of a mystical beast? Come try it. As the words left his lips, both reached for the bones almost in unison. Moments later, the elderly man swallowed the remnants of the chewed bones, lifted his wine bowl, and gazed at Chen Qiang, his expression somber, ultimately letting out a sigh. Alas, I have lost count of how many times I have bid farewell to a child. Yet, it is an unavoidable circumstance. Our human race is facing such dire straits. Come, let us drink. He downed half the bowl in one gulp. How is it, young one? Is the wine not splendid? Chen Qiang smacked his lips and grinned. If only it weren't watered down, the flavor would be even more exquisite. Ha! A brave lad. Unflinching in the face of danger, truly reminiscent of your father. Father? In the memories of the original owner, there was no trace of a father. And seeing the old man smile through tears sparked curiosity within him. Grandpa's son, do you know my father? Where is he? Can you tell me about him? Upon hearing this, the old man set down his wine bowl and fell into silence for a moment before speaking. Ah, it is no wonder you have no recollection of your father. That was 15 years ago. Chen Qiang, have you heard of General Tianwei? General Tianwei? Of course. The legend of General Tianwei is known to all in our settlement of Mongshan. Once the deputy general of the Dongyue General's mansion, General Tianwei single-handedly diverted the attention of genetic invaders to protect the residents during an attack, allowing them to escape. Subsequently, his battalion was honored posthumously and named after him. Chen Qiang was well aware of General Tianwei's renown. Indeed, but what you do not know is that you, Chen Qiang, are the sole heir of General Tianwei. After uttering this shocking revelation, the old man glanced at Chen Qiang, only to find that the news had not elicited a significant reaction on his face. What a remarkable child, unfazed by change, truly worthy of being the general's son. Unbeknownst to the old man, this Chen Qiang was not the same as the previous one. Nodding subtly, the old man continued, I had intended to wait until you awakened your bloodline to inherit the banner of General Tianwei, but unexpectedly, you turned out to possess the most inferior mortal bloodline. Regrettably, the position of leader of General Tianwei's battalion remains unfilled. Your father was indeed a figure of great merit for our people. However, even though you have not awakened as a bloodline warrior, your courage mirrors that of General Tianwei, which should bring solace to his spirit. Old Sun's words seemed to leave Chen Qiang unfazed on the surface, yet they stirred a ripple within his heart. He never imagined that his seemingly unremarkable father possessed such a splendid history. Had the original host not traversed through time, he would have likely led a mundane existence. However, with the extraordinary assistance of the mystical recovery system, he now possessed the toxic flame bloodline. Given time, and with diligent cultivation, he might one day become a bloodline warrior. At the very least, he was determined to reclaim the position of leader within the Tianwei General's battalion at the Dongyue General's mansion. This would serve as a testament to the former owner's legacy. Rest assured, Grandpa's son, upon my return from the expedition team, I shall devote myself to training and will not bring shame to my father, he declared. Old Sun, upon hearing this, smiled ruefully. Return? How easy it is to say. Chen Qiang, do you know? There have been expedition teams that have drawn members to enter the mountains, yet few have returned alive. With your current physical condition, your chances of survival in Mang Mountain are slim to none. If it were not for the dire need for personnel, the expedition team would not recklessly pull from other squads. The human race is facing a deteriorating existence, and necessary sacrifices are unavoidable. Therefore, Chen Qiang, harbor no resentment. As a descendant of the Tianwei general, I hope you can hold your head high and not disgrace your father. Is it truly a matter of certain death? Old Sun nodded gravely. Chen Qiang twirled the wine bowl in his hand, then tilted his neck back to drink it all down. Grandpa Sun, today even the toxic flame bloodbat couldn't poison me. Perhaps I am fortunate and might miraculously return alive. Good lad, in light of your words, I shall save the remaining wine for your return, and we shall drink heartily together. Absolutely. However, Grandpa Sun, next time I prefer not to drink watered-down wine. Haha. Your demeanor reminds me so much of the Tianwei general. The following morning, as Chen Qiang arrived at the training ground, a group of over 10 expedition team members was already prepared for departure. Chen Qiang, take this bag and follow closely behind us once we enter the mountains. Captain Qi coldly tossed a large leather bag to him before gesturing for the group to leave. From a distance, the small chubby boy and 6 other children watched Chen Qiang trailing behind the team, their expressions heavy with sorrow. I feel we may have gone too far this time. After all, this matter concerns life and death. Chen Qiang is risking his life for one of us, the chubby boy lamented. What can we do? There are only 7 of us. If it's not Chen Qiang, it must be someone else. Or would you prefer to go? I hope Chen Qiang can turn misfortune into fortune. If he safely returns, I will take on a week's worth of work for him. The children exchanged words filled with reluctance and regret, unaware that Old Sun had quietly approached them from behind. You little rascals, are you trying to shirk your duties? Get out there and work. Do not expect to dine tonight unless you clean those body bags and gloves. Upon hearing this, the children paused momentarily before rushing out in a flurry. Old Sun watched the departing figures, the creases on his forehead deepening. Alas, General Tianwei, Great Tiger is incapable of protecting him any longer. I hope you, in the realm beyond, will bless Chen Qiang with a safe return. Chapter 3. To deliver death. One must set conditions. Mang Mountain lies a mere 300 miles from Chen Qiang and his companion's settlement. In less than half a day, the exploration team reached the foot of the mountain. Throughout this journey, Chen Qiang quietly lingered at the rear of the group, meticulously pondering the various indices and functions of the corpse recovery system. After all, this system is his sole means of survival in this place. It is imperative that he thoroughly comprehends its workings. Upon further examination, Chen Qiang discovered that only his right hand could activate the system, and it was effective solely on corpses. Moreover, the recovery value would only respond when exceeding 1, while energy could only be obtained through beast crystals. As for the values within the system concerning physique, mental strength, power, and speed, they could be adjusted at will, which proved to be exceptionally practical for him. Indeed, had he not deliberately increased his speed, keeping pace with the exploration team would have posed a significant challenge. Attention, once we enter the mountain, search for medicinal herbs according to the diagrams provided by Dr. Li. Upon discovery, hand them over to Chen Qiang for collection. Additionally, be aware that Mang Mountain is fraught with danger. Maintain close proximity to one another for mutual protection. Both Dr. Li and Chen Qiang lack combat training, so we must ensure their safety within the mountain, Captain Qi stated. As his words fell, a dozen bloodline warriors dispersed to various positions, subtly encircling Dr. Li and Chen Qiang for protection. However, upon closer observation, Chen Qiang noted that nearly all the bloodline warriors had taken positions most advantageous for Dr. Li's safety. As for himself, it appeared he could only rely on his own fortune. This was, in truth, understandable within the settlement. The medical staff held a status even higher than that of the bloodline warriors. Conversely, the corpse recovery team was the least acknowledged of all departments. Dr. Li was 2 years Chen Qiang's senior, at 18, and of a slender build. Chen Qiang approached him and whispered, Dr. Li, I seem to lack the diagrams for the medicinal herbs you are seeking. Dr. Li, deliberately maintaining distance from Chen Qiang, impatiently replied, You, a mere member of the corpse recovery team, have no business with diagrams. You are here to toil. Just ensure you collect the herbs we find, and leave the rest to us. At this, Chen Qiang merely raised an eyebrow, falling silent. Among the inhabitants of the Mang Mountain settlement, it was likely that the corpse recovery team was the least favored. Not only was their work deemed menial, but they were also perpetually enveloped in the stench of decay, which undoubtedly explained Dr. Li's desire to keep his distance. However, this turned out to be fortuitous, as he could take advantage of the free time to thoroughly investigate his poisonous bloodline. To become a bloodline warrior, awakening one's bloodline is the most fundamental requirement. Yet, mere possession of a bloodline is insufficient for actual combat. One must also possess cultivation methods to cultivate blood energy within the body, enabling the manipulation of this energy to strike at foes. Regrettably, at present, apart from himself, no one is aware of the level of his bloodline, and thus he is unable to acquire any cultivation techniques. Nevertheless, Chen Qiang remains unperturbed. Given the myriad dangers lurking within Mang Mountain, there will inevitably be opportunities to witness bloodline warriors in action. At that moment, he will have the chance to observe the utilization of blood energy during their battles. However, during this expedition, their luck appears to be quite favorable. As dusk approaches, they have yet to encounter any imminent threats. Perhaps this is due to their activities being confined to the periphery of Mang Mountain. After nearly 3 hours, the exploration team has effectively fulfilled their mission, and the bag behind Chen Qiang is gradually filling up. Dr. Li, should these herbs suffice? As the mission nears its successful completion, Captain Qi is in good spirits. For not every exploration team returns to the settlement unscathed. Yet, this time, they have achieved that. Without incident, their luck has indeed been favorable. Indeed, Captain Qi, the herbs we collected should last the settlement for over half a month. We can head back now. The warriors of the exploration team are filled with joy upon hearing this, immediately surrounding Dr. Li and Chen Qiang as they hasten toward the outskirts of Mang Mountain. Wait a moment. Just as they had taken a few steps, Dr. Li abruptly halted, his nose twitching incessantly. Captain Qi, do you smell that? The others paused, mimicking Dr. Li's posture as they inhaled deeply. It seems there is a fragrant aroma coming from that direction. Captain Qi extended his hand, pointing toward the west, and inquired, Dr. Li, do you wish to investigate further? Yes, we must go. Dr. Li's face radiated excitement. If his instincts were correct, it should be the scent of purple fragrant luo. Do you realize? Purple fragrant luo is the most crucial herb for concocting the spirit blood pill. A single spirit blood pill has a high probability of allowing a high-tier bloodline warrior to ascend to the rank of spirit blood general. If we acquire the purple fragrant luo and have my master refine a spirit blood pill, our esteemed leader may very well become a junior spirit blood general, which would be an extraordinary boon for our settlement in Mang Mountain. What are we waiting for then? Let us go. Captain Qi took the lead, guiding the group cautiously toward the west. After traversing less than a mile, the group finally glimpsed a fruit tree bearing 6 or 7 purple fragrant luo plants within a nearby valley. The intoxicatingly sweet fragrance was overwhelming. Look, Dr. Li exclaimed, pointing excitedly at the fruit tree, only to be swiftly silenced by Captain Qi, who covered his mouth and crouched low. Shoo! Captain Qi gestured for silence before finally releasing Dr. Li. That was close. Dr. Li, beneath that fruit tree, there lies a thunderbolt rabbit standing guard. If I am not mistaken, that creature has attained the strength of a mid-level beast, comparable to our mid-tier bloodline warriors. Upon hearing this, a cold sweat broke out on Dr. Li's forehead. What shall we do? Captain Qi, can we devise a plan? Those are 6 or 7 purple fragrant fruits. Their acquisition is of paramount importance to our settlement at Mongshan. Are we truly unable to contend with that rabbit? Captain Qi shook his head with a wry smile. For Dr. Li was unaware. Although the thunderbolt rabbit's defense is not formidable, the lightning orbs it spits forth are undoubtedly lethal to us low-tier bloodline warriors. If we must secure those purple fragrant fruits, there exists but one course of action. We must find someone to lure the thunderbolt rabbit in the opposite direction, allowing us to swiftly seize the fruits. However, in doing so, the warrior who distracts the rabbit may never return. I shall go. No, I shall go. In a flash, several warriors from the exploration teams eagerly volunteered, prompting Chen Qiang to regard these young bloodline warriors with newfound respect. This was no trivial matter. Venturing out meant courting death. Yet, none of these young individuals hesitated to offer their lives for the sake of their comrades. It is no wonder the bloodline warriors command the utmost reverence among the human settlements. Absolutely not. None of you can go. It was not Captain Qi who uttered these words, but rather Dr. Li. Captain Qi, your exploration team's mission is to protect me while I gather the urgently needed herbs for the settlement. We are already short-staffed. If anything were to happen, the sacrifice of our few remaining members would be inconsequential compared to the dire situation that would face our 2,000 inhabitants. Moreover, our bloodline warriors have suffered significant losses recently. We cannot afford further senseless sacrifices. If someone must go, let it be someone of lesser value. With that, Dr. Li cast his gaze toward Chen Qiang. Me? Chen Qiang pointed to himself, bewildered. Was Dr. Li harboring a grudge against him? This was clearly a push toward his demise. No. Our duty as bloodline warriors is to safeguard the safety of the human settlement. Chen Qiang possesses no cultivation. To send him out is tantamount to a death sentence, and I will not permit it. Captain Qi resolutely rejected the notion. The other team members nodded in agreement. Captain Qi, do not forget, this operation is to assist me. You do not have the authority to decide. Furthermore, sending Chen Qiang out is merely to divert the thunderbolt rabbit's attention. He is not meant to engage in battle. As long as the task is accomplished, we can devise a means for his safe retrieval. That settles it. There is no need for further discussion. Dr. Li's tone brooked no dissent as he turned again to Chen Qiang. I understand this is unfair to you. Yet, for the survival of humanity, each of us must be prepared to make necessary sacrifices at any moment. If you must harbor resentment, let it be directed solely at me. Captain Qi and the other bloodline warriors clenched their fists in frustration, yet they found themselves unable to dispute Dr. Li's counsel. After all, this operation necessitated adherence to Dr. Li's directives. Observing the reactions of the group, Chen Qiang discerned that, despite their reluctance, they had no choice but to proceed. Prior to their departure last night, Old Sun had forewarned him of such a potentiality. Hence, it was no surprise that those who ventured with the exploration team often faced grim fates. Gazing into the valley, where a colossal thunderlight rabbit lounged beneath a Xiangluo tree, Chen Qiang felt his legs tremble involuntarily. To claim that he was unafraid of death would be absurd. Yet, the prospect of seeking his demise filled him with an unwillingness to accept such an end. Captain Qi, I believe Dr. Li's reasoning holds merit. I am indeed the most suitable candidate to lure that rabbit, he proposed. However, before I embark on this perilous endeavor, may I make a modest request? Captain Qi, noticing the troubled expression on Chen Qiang's face, felt a pang of sympathy. Speak, Chen Qiang. As long as it is within my power, the entire exploration team will fulfill your wish. This may be my last journey, but as long as there remains a glimmer of hope, I wish to take a chance. May I have a few extra beast crystals? Additionally, a knife for self-defense would be most appreciated. Not a problem. I have 3 beast crystals to spare, and I shall give them all to you. Moreover, this short knife has served me well for years. It is remarkably sharp and will be yours for protection. With that, Captain Qi drew a 1-foot-long short knife and secured it at Chen Qiang's waist. I have 1 beast crystal to offer, another warrior chimed in. I too possess 2 beast crystals, added yet another bloodline warrior. One by one, they produced their beast crystals and handed them over. Captain Qi then turned to Dr. Li. You cannot genuinely believe you will survive, can you? I fail to understand why you still seek so many beast crystals at this juncture. Dr. Li grumbled as he extracted 2 beast crystals from his pouch and tossed them to Chen Qiang. I am simply a greedy soul, even in death. I wish to clutch my beast crystals, as it brings me comfort, Chen Qiang responded with a smile, collecting the 23 beast crystals. In that moment, the crystals converted into 230 energy points displayed on the system panel. Chen Qiang, in a moment, you shall cautiously move southward. Once you reach a certain distance, observe my signals. Only when I indicate should you proceed. We will seize the opportunity to pilfer those Xiangluo. Remember, although the Thunderlight Rabbit's defense is lacking, its agility is notable, and most importantly, beware of its lightning breath. Though aware of Chen Qiang's likely demise, Captain Qi meticulously elaborated on the rabbit's characteristics. Chen Qiang took heed of Captain Qi's words, then cautiously made his way towards the elevated southern terrain. Chapter 4, Survival in Peril. Minutes later, Chen Qiang had ascended to a height nearly 2 miles away, casting a glance over his shoulder. Captain Qi and his team had been closely monitoring Chen Qiang's movements, and upon seeing him prepared, they immediately signaled to each other. In the valley, the Thunderbolt Rabbit was lazily resting under the purple incense tree, snoring so loudly that even from a distance of 2 miles, Chen Qiang could feel the gusts of air from its snores. Captain Qi had mentioned that the Thunderbolt Rabbit possessed weak defenses. However, Chen Qiang, despite his toxic flame bloodline, was at a loss on how to wield it and had no opportunity to confront the creature directly. His only chance lay in speed. Thus, Chen Qiang promptly accessed the system panel, converting his strength and energy values into the maximum speed he could achieve. Energy value, 220 recovery value, 1 physique, 9 strength, 15 speed, 38 mental power, 23 rising to his feet. Chen Qiang exhaled deeply, cupping his hands around his mouth to shout, "Hey, foolish rabbit, come chase me." The slumbering Thunderbolt Rabbit was startled awake by his shout. Turning over and dropping to all fours, its crimson eyes glaring in Chen Qiang's direction. At that moment, Chen Qiang realized that the standing Thunderbolt Rabbit was as large as a bull. Had this creature somehow transcended its rabbit form? However, he had no time to ponder this. The awakened Thunderbolt Rabbit was already charging toward him. Simultaneously, Captain Qi, concealed in the distance, swiftly maneuvered through the air, leaping to the purple incense tree and swiftly plucking all 6 purple incense flowers before quickly returning to the side of Physician Li. Let's move. Physician Li was the first to rise. Physician Li, Chen Qiang is in danger. We must go save him. Captain Qi, do not forget our mission is to collect herbs. At this speed, even if you rush over now, you won't be able to save Chen Qiang. Moreover, if the Thunderbolt Rabbit returns and discovers the purple incense is missing, it will undoubtedly pursue us, and we may suffer significant losses. Captain Qi acknowledged the validity of Physician Li's words, glancing in the direction Chen Qiang had fled, stamping his foot in frustration. Let us go. On the other side, Seeing the thunderbolt rabbit in pursuit, Chen Qiang was struck with panic and turned southward, sprinting away. Fortunately, he had increased his speed by over 20 points in advance. As he moved, the shadows of trees blurred past him. With this system, perhaps his life would be spared after all. Excitedly, he glanced back while running, only to be horrified by the sight. Damn it, how is it so fast? Even with his increased speed, the distance between him and the enraged thunderbolt rabbit was diminishing rapidly. This situation was untenable. As he continued his flight, Chen Qiang fervently pondered strategies. His current speed had reached the limits of his physical capabilities. No amount of energy would allow him to accelerate further. It seemed he would have to find a place to hide, and then it struck him. Chen Qiang suddenly recalled the skill concealment indicated on the system panel. With this in mind, he leapt forward another dozen meters and abruptly lay flat amidst the towering grass, instantly sealing off his six senses. Simultaneously, he activated another ability, sonic detection. Behind him, the Thunderlight Rabbit, furious, pursued relentlessly. Yet it did not anticipate that the seemingly frail figure ahead could sprint with such swiftness. Although the distance between them was narrowing, for a mid-tier beast of soldier rank, struggling so much against an ordinary bloodline opponent was nothing short of humiliating. Enraged, the Thunderlight Rabbit opened its mouth and unleashed a thunderous orb, roughly the size of a football, hurtling toward Chen Qiang. With a deafening explosion, Chen Qiang's figure vanished. Hidden within the grass, he sweated profusely from the fright induced by his sonic detection. Had he not dropped to the ground in time, he would have been obliterated by the Thunderlight Rabbit's blast. Relieved, Chen Qiang watched as the missed attack incited the beast's fury, prompting it to roar and charge at him with even greater speed. 100 meters, 30 meters, in a single bound. The Thunderlight Rabbit covered an astonishing 70 meters. Chen Qiang lay tense in the grass, motionless as a withered stalk, too fearful to react. Fortunately, the enraged creature leapt past him once more, this time covering nearly 80 meters. Though it had surpassed his position, Chen Qiang dared not move or even open his eyes, relying solely on sonic detection to track the Thunderlight Rabbit's retreating path. However, after that leap, the beast vanished from his detection range. Had it accelerated yet again? Chen Qiang remained still, waiting a moment before cautiously rising to peer ahead. 30 meters away, he beheld a chasm plunging 400 to 500 meters deep. He patted his chest, sighing inwardly with relief. Had he not braked in time, he might have fallen just like the Thunderlight Rabbit. Below the cliff, atop a giant stone spire, the Thunderlight Rabbit lay lifeless and limp, its breath extinguished. After a full day of exertion, Chen Qiang's stomach growled uncontrollably. Such a formidable creature must surely be delicious. Although twilight had descended, his overwhelming hunger overcame his fear. Near the cliff's edge, long vines stretched downward. Carefully, Chen Qiang descended along them to the base of the precipice, approaching the fallen beast's corpse. So tough, yet you came after me, he murmured, patting the Thunderlight Rabbit's head. A chime sounded. The system has detected a recycling target. However, the recycling value is insufficient. It automatically converts energy points into recycling value for you. The mid-tier Thunderlight Rabbit has been successfully recycled. Host, Chen Qiang level, none energy points, 200 recycling value, 1 constitution, 10 strength, 15 speed, 38 mental power, 23 martial arts, none skills, ambush, sonic detection, Thunderlight Sphere Bloodline, Poison Flame Bloodline, beginner, Thunder Bloodline, intermediate, Chen Qiang noticed that this time, the change in recycling value had consumed 20 energy points. It appears that the higher the level of the corpse being recycled, the more energy points are required. Yet, he pondered about the skill of the Thunderlight Sphere. How effective would it be when used by him? With this thought, Chen Qiang recalled the operational method of the Thunderlight Sphere in his mind and directed it towards a nearby pile of dry grass. Boom! Following a resounding explosion, the dry grass pile ignited from the blast of the Thunderlight Sphere. Phew! So exhausting. After that single strike, Chen Qiang felt as though his energy had been completely drained, collapsing to the ground. Without a method to circulate his vital energy, recklessly employing combat skills resulted in an extraordinary energy expenditure. Fortunately, with his current energy points being ample, he promptly converted the values displayed on the system panel. Energy points, 130 recycling value, 1 constitution, 11 strength, 38 speed, 25 mental power, 23 in the blink of an eye. He had lost 70 energy points, while his constitution and strength values saw a slight increase. It seems he must find ways to acquire more beast crystals in the future. Having regained his stamina, Chen Qiang retrieved the small knife gifted to him by Captain Qi and carefully cut open the leg of the Thunderlight Rabbit, slicing off a 2-pound piece of meat to roast over the burning dry grass pile. In no time, the enticing aroma of cooked meat wafted through the air, causing Chen Qiang's appetite to surge. Wow, it smells incredible. After being hungry for so long, as soon as he took a bite of the Thunderlight rabbit meat, he could not stop himself. Who would have thought that the meat of exotic beasts in this era could be so delectable, tender and juicy? It delighted his palate. Most importantly, after consuming 2 pounds of meat, Chen Qiang's stamina increased significantly, and astonishingly, the constitution value on the system panel rose by 1 point, reaching 12. No wonder this exotic beast meat was exclusively provided for bloodline warriors. It indeed has the remarkable effect of enhancing constitution. With so much Thunderlight rabbit meat, he should bring some back to Grandpa's son for him to enjoy as well. Recalling the previous night when he and Old Son guarded 2 bones that had been left for who knows how long, Chen Qiang felt a pang of sadness. Those in their corpse collecting team lived under even harsher conditions. And then there were the little chubby ones. They had hardly ever tasted meat. Glancing around his surroundings, Chen Qiang dragged the corpse of the Thunderlight rabbit and walked towards the mountain's edge. Damn, this Thunderlight rabbit must weigh around 2,000 pounds. Chen Qiang set down the Thunderlight rabbit and once again adjusted the system panel. This time, he allocated his energy points specifically to enhance his physique. To his astonishment, the improvement in his constitution manifested noticeable advancements in strength, speed, and mental fortitude. Energy points: 80 recovery value, 1 physique, 15 strength, 42 speed, 29 mental strength, 24 however. This action restored the energy points on the system panel to double digits. It seemed he would need to acquire more beast crystals in the future. 2 hours later, Chen Qiang finally emerged from Manga Mountain. Under the moonlight, he effortlessly slung the Thunderlight rabbit, which was significantly larger than himself, over his shoulder and determinedly trudged towards the settlement. Chapter 5. Bloodline testing upon the safe return of Captain Qi and his team. They received high praise from Commander Ling Han of the settlement. This expedition not only succeeded in retrieving the necessary medicinal materials, but also yielded 6 purple fragrant luo fruits. Given time, Manga Mountain Settlement could potentially nurture 6 novice spirit blood warriors. Of course, the team felt a heavy sense of loss over Chen Qiang's sacrifice. But in light of their accomplishments, his demise would soon fade from memory. At the residence of the recovery team, upon hearing the heartbreaking news of Chen Qiang's absence, Old Son took his tools and led 6 children, including the chubby boy, out of the settlement. Before a 1-meter wide and 2-meter long pit, Old Son tossed in Chen Qiang's used pillow, tears streaming down his face. "You little rascal, after 2 years of following me to collect corpses, I can't even find your body in the end." The chubby boy and the other children held paper money, tossing it skyward. "Chen Qiang, you never enjoyed good food while alive. In death, take this money and buy yourself some fine beast meat. Don't skimp on yourself." The chubby boy cried uncontrollably. While tossing the paper money, he said, "Brother Qiang, even if we can't find your body, your spirit must find its way back." Just then, turning around, the chubby boy spotted a colossal figure slowly moving towards them. Son, Grandpa, look. What is that?" He stuttered, trembling as he pointed at the enormous being in the distance. Old Son, upon hearing the boy's words, turned to look in the direction indicated, his expression instantly tense. "Oh no, it seems to be a Thunderlight rabbit." With his vast experience, Old Son recognized the creature from afar, but they failed to notice Chen Qiang beneath the corpse of the Thunderlight rabbit. "What should we do, Grandpa Son?" The children panicked, retreating behind Old Son, their faces pale. "Stay calm." Old Son pulled out a long, slender flute and placed it to his lips. A sharp, piercing note rang out, immediately alerting the settlement. The sound of the flute served as an alarm for the settlement at Manga Mountain, typically signaling a dire emergency. As soon as the notes resonated, the bloodline warriors, who had been celebrating within the settlement, rushed out without hesitation. Simultaneously, Chen Qiang, nearing the settlement, was startled by the flute's call from Old Son, causing him to halt and drop the Thunderlight rabbit to the ground. "Old Son, is that you, Chen Qiang?" "Ah, a ghost." The chubby boy, with keen eyesight, instantly recognized Chen Qiang from a distance and exclaimed. Upon hearing Chen Qiang's voice, Old Son felt as though something had lodged in his throat. "That little rascal, what luck he has. Old Son, what is the matter?" The bloodline warriors, drawn by the flute, quickly approached Old Son, their expressions grave. Commander Ling, this evening, Captain Qi of the exploration team reported that our corpse retrieval team, Chen Qiang, had perished at Manga Mountain. It seems the news was erroneous." Old Son gestured toward the approaching Chen Qiang, his face betraying palpable excitement. "Oh," Commander Ling, astonished, found it hard to believe. Previously, Captain Qi had informed him of the events at Manga Mountain. A mere trash bloodline brat facing an intermediate-grade Thunderlight rabbit should have had no chance of survival. Yet, it appeared that this young lad had performed a miracle. Most significantly, this young man named Chen Qiang had brought him considerable surprise. "Commander, it's the Thunderlight rabbit. It's completely dead." Two bloodline warriors hastened to examine the carcass of the Thunderlight rabbit that Chen Qiang had abandoned, promptly reporting their findings. You are Chen Qiang? Did you slay that Thunderlight rabbit? Commander Ling inquired, a smile gracing his face as he looked at the youthful boy with warmth and kindness. Commander. That Thunderlight rabbit fell to its death on a stone pinnacle beneath the cliff while pursuing me. Haha, what a fortunate lad. Commander Ling laughed heartily at this revelation. Though he noted that the Thunderlight rabbit weighed at least 2,000 pounds. It would not be a simple task for even a newly awakened primary bloodline warrior to carry it alone. Chen Qiang, could it be that you have awakened your bloodline? This revelation caught everyone off guard. Wonderful. Our strength at the Mang Mountain settlement has grown. Who would have thought that a mere member of the corpse retrieval team could awaken a bloodline? However, curiosity lingered regarding the attribute of his bloodline. Considering the varying ages of awakening, most humans awaken different attributes of their bloodlines around the age of 10, thus being nurtured into bloodline warriors. Yet, this was not an absolute rule. A small number of individuals continued to awaken their bloodlines later in life. It was indeed rare for someone like Chen Qiang to awaken at the age of 16. Chen Qiang, could it be that you have truly awakened your bloodline? Old Sun grasped Chen Qiang's shoulder, his excitement palpable. Among those present, Old Sun was undoubtedly the one most invested in Chen Qiang's growth. Accompanying Commander Ling was Captain Qi of the expedition team, who suddenly slapped his forehead in realization. Indeed, I just remembered, Commander, this afternoon in the mountains. When Chen Qiang lured away the Thunderlight rabbit, he moved with astonishing speed, surpassing even many of the bloodline warriors in our expedition team. Reflecting on this now, if Chen Qiang had not awakened his bloodline, he would not have been able to run at such a velocity. It is possible that his awakening involved not only strength, but also enhanced speed. Haha, Old Sun, Captain Qi, rather than engaging in wild speculation. Why not bring Chen Qiang back for a thorough examination? We will surely discover the truth. Exactly, let us return. Old Sun seemed rejuvenated, pulling Chen Qiang back along the way. Grandpa Sun, don't forget to bring back the Thunderlight rabbit. Its meat is quite delicious. Haha, rest assured. I will send someone to procure several dozen pounds for you and Old Sun to relish. Commander Ling led the group back to the settlement with great excitement. Within the settlement's medical room, there were specific reagents for testing bloodlines. Upon Chen Qiang's arrival, the medic, Mr. Li, was taken aback. Chen Qiang, you don't hold any grudges against me for what happened at Mang Mountain, do you? Mr. Li's expression was somewhat awkward. Yet Chen Qiang believed that even given another chance, Mr. Li would make the same decision. Chen Qiang waved his hand nonchalantly, dismissing the concern. It's nothing. Were it not for your decisive choice, I wouldn't have been fortunate enough to acquire a Thunderlight rabbit. Though he feigned indifference, Chen Qiang could not entirely dismiss the weight of Mr. Li's earlier decision. The plight of humanity was dire, and for the weak, opportunities to control their own fate were even scarcer. Well done, Chen Qiang. With such a magnanimous heart, you truly deserve the title of a bloodline warrior of humanity. Commander Ling praised before instructing Mr. Li to retrieve the testing reagents. Come, Chen Qiang, drop a drop of blood into the test tube. Following the instruction, Chen Qiang drew a small knife from his waist and made a cut on his hand, allowing a drop of blood to fall into the shallow blue reagent in the test tube. Mr. Li shook the test tube, and after a brief moment, the mixture of Chen Qiang's blood and the reagent returned to a colorless state. How could this be? Commander Ling furrowed his brow, scrutinizing the reaction within the test tube. It appears that Chen Qiang merely possesses greater strength. His bloodline has not awakened, Mr. Li stated, shaking his head with a sigh. Impossible. Commander Ling asserted vehemently. A common person could never carry a Thunderlight rabbit weighing over 2,000 pounds for several hundred miles. Moreover, Captain Qi mentioned that Chen Qiang's running speed was exceptionally fast, which is clearly indicative of a bloodline awakening. Could it be that your reagents are faulty? Old Sun inquired. Puzzled. Not at all. We have always used this reagent in our settlement, and it has never failed us. Little Li, you are being too hasty in your judgment. Just as everyone was discussing this, an elderly man wearing glasses approached. Teacher, do you mean to say that our reagent is indeed flawed? Li, the physician, respectfully bowed upon encountering the elder. Dr. Lu, what are your esteemed insights? Although Commander Ling was the highest decision-maker of the settlement, he too exhibited a demeanor of respect towards Dr. Lu. This underscores the significance of a pharmacist within the human settlement. Dr. Lu examined the test tube in Li's hand and stated, Commander Ling, our Mongshan settlement has limited resources. The reagents we have developed can only detect common bloodlines. Some rare mutated bloodlines can only be identified in a grand city, such as the Eastern General's mansion. It is possible that this child possesses a certain mutated bloodline. I suggest that, when the opportunity arises, we take him to the Eastern General's mansion for testing. The Eastern General's mansion, alas. How easy is that to arrange? Commander Ling sighed, then patted Chen Qiang on the shoulder. However, given your performance, Chen Qiang, it is evident that you have awakened your bloodline. Therefore, you can no longer remain in the corpse retrieval team. You should join our patrol team. What do you think, old son? Huh, that is certainly agreeable. Old son's response was filled with joy, as though he himself were joining the patrol team, but Chen Qiang was reluctant. Grandpa son, I still wish to stay with you all. Nonsense. Old son lightly tapped Chen Qiang on the head. Being able to join the patrol team is a blessing. Why are you being so choosy? Moreover, now that you've become a bloodline warrior with certain abilities, you can protect the human settlement. This is the highest honor of a bloodline warrior. As one's capabilities increase, so too do their responsibilities. How can you evade this? No more of this foolish talk. Chen Qiang fell silent, fully aware of the wisdom in old son's words. However, the crux of the matter was that only within the corpse retrieval team could he significantly enhance his strength. Regrettably, he found himself unable to articulate his thoughts and could only accept the situation in silence. It appears that Chen Qiang is indeed a person of deep sentiment. How about this? If you are unwilling to leave the corpse retrieval team, you can still return there to stay after your daily duties. With this concession, Chen Qiang had no choice but to acquiesce. Before long, a tall man entered, carrying a package. Commander, this was taken from the Thunderlight Rabbit. Commander Ling accepted the package along with a beast crystal slightly larger than a ping-pong ball and handed it to Chen Qiang. Chen Qiang, this intermediate beast crystal from the Thunderlight Rabbit is your reward. This is a valuable item. Remember to extract the beast crystal after slaying a beast in the future. Additionally, report to Captain Zhang of the patrol team tomorrow. There is a monthly reward of 5 first-level primary beast crystals. Without hesitation, Chen Qiang accepted the beast crystal and placed it in his bosom, swiftly absorbed by the system. The intermediate beast crystal instantly provided him with 20 energy points. The energy value on the panel reached 100. My lord, let us return, old son declared, leading Chen Qiang away with satisfaction. At the residence of the corpse retrieval team, Commander Ling had already dispatched someone to deliver 20 pounds of exotic beast meat, which had been expertly stewed by the chubby boy and his companions. By the time old son and the others returned, the fragrant meat of the Thunderlight Rabbit was already served at the dining table. Hee, Brother Qiang, we truly owe this to you, otherwise, we might never have tasted the flavor of exotic beast meat in our lifetime. The chubby boy exclaimed, eagerly tearing off a piece of meat to stuff into his mouth. So delicious. I could almost devour my own tongue. The chubby boy's joyful exclamation drew the attention of the other children, who rushed forward. Go, go, go. Eat over there. Old son scolded, shoving a bowl of Thunderlight Rabbit meat towards the children and ushering them away. Grandfather son, where's the wine? This time, don't dilute it. You rascal, with all this rabbit meat, you still covet the little stock I have. Fine, this is the last bottle of good stuff. Let's enjoy it today. Old son retrieved a bottle of wine hidden behind the cabinet, completely betraying no sign of reluctance despite his words. Grandfather son, I'll buy you a good bottle in a couple of days. Easier said than done. This bottle costs an entire beast crystal. Kid, you've just joined the patrol team. You only earn 5 beast crystals a month. Don't waste it. You've just awakened your bloodline. 5 beast crystals are sufficient for your training for a month. Speaking of training, Chen Qiang suddenly remembered that he had yet to learn any cultivation techniques. Without such techniques, he could not harness the blood energy within him. Grandfather son, will the patrol team provide me with cultivation techniques tomorrow? Old son nodded. That is certain. However, do not learn any low-level techniques. The advancement is far too slow. With that, old son clapped his hands to shake off the meat residue and walked over to a sealed box. He retrieved 2 tattered books and handed them to Chen Qiang. The Celestial Gang's soul-cutting blade and the heart-crushing blood transformation technique. Since you have awakened your bloodline, you must train diligently. One day, do not forget to seize the banner of General Tianwei from the Eastern Yu Mansion. Old son clenched his fist fiercely, seemingly expending all his strength. Yet, unfortunately, as an ordinary old man, his strength was truly negligible. Chen Qiang accepted the 2 books and flipped through them, nodding solemnly. Grandfather son, I will strive to do my best. Noticing Chen Qiang's nonchalant demeanor, old son pulled out a black broken blade from the box and tossed it onto the floor. Swish! The seemingly inconspicuous broken blade embedded itself nearly half a meter deep into the ground, capturing Chen Qiang's attention. Grandfather son, what other treasures do you have in that chest? You might as well bring them all out. Chen Qiang cast a glance at the battered box on the Kong, while irresistibly drawn to the broken blade before him. You little rascal. These treasures of mine are now all yours. Why don't you take the blade? With that, Chen Qiang reached out to grasp the hilt. It has some weight to it. As he drew the blade from the ground, he began to admire it closely. The blade measured 1 meter in length, nearly half a foot in width, and weighed over 80 pounds. Initially mistaking it for a mere broken weapon, He now realized it had been deliberately crafted in this manner. Duanyun? Chen Qiang traced the two robust characters inscribed at the base of the blade, murmuring to himself. Grandpa's son, does this blade have a story? From the old man's expression, Chen Qiang sensed that this weapon must possess an extraordinary history. Like a lover caressing a cherished possession, Grandpa's son lovingly ran his fingers over the Duanyun blade, his eyes glistening with moisture. Child, this Duanyun has slain a junior ability warlord and countless other beasts. A junior ability warlord is a genetically enhanced being of the bloodline warrior level. Thus, this is a hero-s blade. When you have honed this blade to a small degree of mastery, I shall regale you with its tale. Chen Qiang was taken aback as he scrutinized the Duanyun blade once more. The obsidian sheen of the blade reflected light, illuminating his youthful, innocent face. He was unaware of the true prowess of junior ability warlords. Yet he recalled a passage from the memories of the original host. Beasts of the same level surpass human warriors, while genetically enhanced beings far exceed those beasts. It was astonishing that this seemingly ordinary broken blade held such formidable power. Grandpa's son wiped his eyes and seized a piece of beast meat to chew on. Not bad. Here, child, indulge yourself. This beast meat is a boon for your bloodline warriors, enhancing your physique and strength. Grandpa, I've had some in the wild already. You should eat more. Chen Qiang replied earnestly as he carefully sheathed the Duanyun blade and lifted a wine bowl, taking a hearty gulp. Cough. Haha, you little rascal. There are no cowardly bloodline warriors who abstain from wine. Drink. Grandpa's son, as if rejuvenated by years, raised his wine bowl and laughed heartily, downing it in one go. Chapter 7. The first training throughout the night, the grandfather and grandson indulged in revelry. The most frequent phrase from Grandpa's son was, "You little rascal. Now that you are a bloodline warrior, you have the right to marry and bear children. Don't be so picky. Find yourself a girl and ensure the Chen lineage continues." The following morning, as Chen Qiang strode confidently onto the training ground with the Duanyun blade slung over his shoulder, he realized the truth in Grandpa's son's words from the previous night. A group of 5 or 6 lovely young girls huddled in a corner, occasionally pointing and whispering. Look, that's the lad who just awakened his bloodline, Chen Qiang. He's joining the patrol team today. He seems rather handsome. How about it, shall we? Let me introduce you to someone. Never mind, I would like to as well, but I already have 3 men. Xiaofeng, don't you only have 2 men? Perhaps you should keep them for yourself. What is the worry about having just 3 men? Our human race is currently sparse in population. Each additional bloodline warrior increases our chances of producing more warriors in the future. This is quite normal in our settlement. Don't wait until this young man grows into a spirit blood warrior. By then, it may be too late for regrets. The girl spoke softly. Yet Chen Qiang's hearing had significantly improved, causing his ears to flush with embarrassment upon overhearing their conversation. Captain Zhang of the patrol team noticed Chen Qiang's reddened face and chuckled. Chen Qiang, are you smitten? If you have feelings, pursue them boldly. As bloodline warriors, we dance daily with death. Who knows when our time may come? Marrying sooner means leaving a legacy sooner. There's no need to feel shy. Chen Qiang hurriedly waved his hand. Captain, let us not. I'll wait until I cultivate my blood energy. Ah, good thinking. Here, Chen Qiang. This is the cultivation method for blood energy from our Mongshan settlement. Train diligently and strive for an early advancement. Captain Zhang tossed a small notebook to Chen Qiang and added, let us go. I'll take you to your post. 3 kilometers outside the settlement. Captain Zhang pointed to 2 warriors ahead. Chen Qiang, our patrol team operates in 2 shifts, morning and evening, with 2 warriors assigned to each direction. Today, you'll be with Li Xiaofan. He'll explain the details shortly. Someone will come to relieve you in the evening. After Captain Zhang departed with the evening shift, Li Xiaofan approached Chen Qiang with a stern expression. You're Chen Qiang, right? Our patrol area spans a 2-kilometer radius. Primarily, we need to watch for any aberrant beasts approaching. Don't be fooled by the apparent tranquility. These beasts lurk everywhere, so remain vigilant. If you spot any, blow the whistle around your neck. The other team members will rush to your aid immediately. During other times, don't wander off and refrain from disturbing me. With that, Li Xiaofan turned and walked away. Chen Qiang pursed his lips and headed in the opposite direction. Observing the other's standoffish demeanor, he felt a desire to ask, Buddy, what is troubling you? Share it with me. Let me lighten your mood. However, despite the cold words, Li Xiaofan proved to be quite earnest, clearly explaining the dangers of the wilderness. In his previous encounters with the poison flame blood bats and thunderlight rabbits, detection hadn't been particularly challenging. Yet, some beasts lurked underground, potentially springing forth at any moment. Therefore, the patrol team's task remained perilous, and sitting idly on the ground was out of the question. It was rumored that a previous team member, careless and negligent, had perished while on duty, seated in the grass, by a half-meter-long venomous-tailed earthworm. After patrolling for over an hour, Chen Qiang, feeling bored, took out the heart-destroying blood conversion technique and the locking acupoints breath-holding technique given to him by Captain Zhang and began to peruse them. Old Sun was not mistaken. The method of cultivating the locking whole breath technique was remarkably simple, a stark contrast to the intricate and formidable heartbreaking blood transformation technique. However, despite its profound complexity and more pronounced effects, the latter method instilled a sense of dread merely by being observed once. The heartbreaking blood transformation technique required the practitioner to concentrate the blood vessels throughout their body at the heart, violently colliding to transmute the blood into blood energy, which would then disperse through the meridians and ultimately converge at the dantian in a brutal manner. After some contemplation, Chen Qiang decided to set aside the cultivation method provided by Captain Zhang. Although Old Sun's heartbreaking blood transformation technique appeared more aggressive, Old Sun had always treated him with the affection of a grandfather. Surely, he would not lead him down a path of destruction. In pursuit of swiftly enhancing his strength to survive in this perilous environment where death loomed at every corner, Chen Qiang ultimately opted for the heartbreaking blood transformation technique. During his first attempt at cultivation, he cautiously stirred a mere trace of blood near his heart, urging it rapidly toward the center. A sudden, excruciating pain pierced his chest, and a ringing echoed in his mind, causing a trickle of blood to escape from the corner of his mouth. This was beyond human endurance. Spitting out a mouthful of blood, Chen Qiang cursed in frustration. If his first attempt resulted in such a loss, it was inevitable he would exhaust all his blood if he continued. No, he needed to consult Old Sun again. In the following hours, Chen Qiang glanced once more at the Tiangang Broken Soul Blade technique. The Tiangang Broken Soul Blade comprised 7 forms, but each required blood energy to be mobilized, rendering him unable to practice it. After enduring the day, he returned to his quarters post-shift and brought forth the issues he faced with the heartbreaking blood transformation technique. "You fool," Old Sun scolded, pointing an accusatory finger at Chen Qiang. "Do you not realize that before cultivating blood energy, you must first unblock your meridians? Without open meridians, where will the blood energy emerge from? At the very least, you must clear one meridian before attempting the blood transformation technique. Do you understand? You speak as if you were so knowledgeable. Why don't you cultivate it yourself?" Chen Qiang mumbled under his breath, lowering his gaze. "What did you say?" Old Sun bellowed. Chen Qiang wiped the spit from his face, grinning as he replied, "Nothing. I understand now. I shall attempt to unblock my meridians tomorrow." "Tomorrow? No. Today. Now. Go out and cultivate immediately. Do not return until midnight." The chubby boy and others watched in trepidation as Chen Qiang, head hung low, exited the room. They exchanged glances, sighing, "Brother Qiang is so unfortunate. It seems being a blood warrior is not as glamorous as it appears. He doesn't even have the freedom to sleep. You little rascals. To bed now?" Old Sun snapped, turning around with a stern expression, causing the children to quickly retreat beneath their covers. After a considerable period, Old Sun emerged from the room, gazing at the frail silhouette under the moonlight. He cleared his throat gently. "Child, do not hold it against your grandfather for his irritable temperament. Perhaps my eagerness stems from a deep desire for your early success. If you were still that ordinary child, I would have resigned myself to fate. Yet now that you have awakened your bloodline, it is your obligation to reclaim the banner of General Tianwei at the earliest opportunity." Inwardly, Chen Qiang silently scoffed, pondering the relevance of that banner to his life. Nevertheless, he maintained a pleasant demeanor. "Grandfather, I understand. Rest assured, I shall diligently cultivate my abilities." At this, Old Sun's expression softened, and he nodded. "Come, child. Let me teach you. The process of opening your meridians is fundamentally similar to that of the heart-melting blood transformation technique. However, in the initial stages, one must not exert too much force, lest the meridians become damaged. Chapter 8. The Arrival of Grim News. Grandfather's son, I have opened a meridian." Chen Qiang exclaimed excitedly as he rushed back to Old Sun with the joyful news. After half a month, opening just one meridian seemed hardly a cause for pride. "I truly do not comprehend your foolishness. Back in my day, never mind. Go outside and continue your training. Return after 2 hours." Chen Qiang's enthusiasm was ruthlessly quashed by Old Sun's rebuke, yet he complied, stepping outside to repeatedly strike against another meridian near his heart. Following the successful opening of one meridian, as he continued to clash against the next, the energy in his dantian gradually increased, and Chen Qiang finally attained the rank of a novice bloodline warrior. He understood well the principle that a strict teacher nurtures exceptional students. However, he sensed that Old Sun's expectations were exceedingly harsh, as if he wished for Chen Qiang to open all his meridians in a single day. 2 hours later, upon returning, Old Sun carried a paper bag and half a bottle of wine. "All right, come in and eat." Inside the room, as Old Sun opened the paper bag, a savory aroma wafted through the air. "Oh yes, Grandfather's son is the best. We can feast on exotic beast meat again. The children rushed forward like ravenous wolves, but were promptly shoved aside by old Sunday. No, this is not for you. This is meant specifically to replenish the strength of bloodline warriors. When you awaken your bloodlines like Chen Qiang, I shall procure an entire exotic beast for you to feast upon. The chubby boy and others gazed enviously at Chen Qiang as he took his seat at the table, drool glistening at the corners of their mouths. Grandfather's son, I can enjoy exotic beast meat during my watch. Why not let the chubby boy and the others have it? After several meals of exotic beast meat, Chen Qiang found that, aside from satisfying his cravings, it had little effect on enhancing his physique. And he thought it better to share it with his companions. No, our settlement is struggling. This exotic beast meat is hard-earned, specifically for your cultivation needs. Though old Sun was domineering, Chen Qiang still felt a warmth akin to familial love in his heart. Reluctantly, Chen Qiang resigned himself to silently stuffing the exotic beast meat into his mouth. Here, drink this. Old Sun smashed half a bottle of wine down before Chen Qiang, his tone leaving no room for dissent. In the dead of night, the room was filled with the sounds of snoring. Although Chen Qiang kept his eyes shut, his acute sense of hearing detected Old Sun quietly descending from the bed, tucking Chen Qiang's blanket around him before exiting the room alone. Despite his enhanced auditory abilities, Chen Qiang could only make out Old Sun's indistinct mutterings from outside. Sniffling, he curled deeper into his blanket, flipping over to continue his deep slumber. For tomorrow he would face Old Sun's grueling training once more. Over the span of a month, under Old Sun's guidance, Chen Qiang had diligently practiced day and night, finally managing to open 2 meridians. Chen Qiang, this is your stipend for the month, Captain Zhang said, handing Chen Qiang 5 beast crystals. Captain, I wish to purchase a fine bottle of wine. Do you know where I might find one? Wine? Ha, Chen Qiang, in our settlement, wine is a luxury. A single bottle costs 1 beast crystal. Are you truly intent on buying? Chen Qiang nodded. I promised Old Sun I would buy him a good bottle. I thought you meant for yourself. If you wish to buy wine, seek out Commander Ling. Most of the wine in our settlement is sold through him. The 4 beast crystals were tucked into Chen Qiang's pocket, instantly converting into energy value. His system panel now displayed a total of 140 energy points. At Commander Ling's residence, Chen Qiang explained his purpose. Oh, so you are buying wine for Old Sun. Keep your beast crystals. This bottle is a gift for him from me, Commander Ling said with a smile as he handed a bottle of wine to Chen Qiang. How could I accept such generosity? Chen Qiang replied, grinning as he pocketed the beast crystals and accepted the wine bottle. At that moment, a long, piercing flute sound echoed through the settlement. Not good. We have enemy activity. Commander Ling's expression changed drastically as he grabbed Chen Qiang and dashed out of the settlement. Over there, Commander Ling pointed westward, and they hurried in that direction. Meanwhile, dozens of bloodline warriors rushed in behind them. The flute sound ceased. Chen Qiang's face paled. For the direction they were heading was all too familiar to him. It was the very place where he once worked in the corpse retrieval team. He knew that Old Sun often came here alone, mumbling to himself at intervals. Soon, Commander Ling led Chen Qiang to the graveyard. Old Sun. Chen Qiang rushed to a gravestone, where Old Sun lay sprawled on the ground, surrounded by pools of blood, a violent gash tearing open his neck. His head nearly severed from his body. One of his legs was missing. Old Sun still clutched a short flute in his mouth, blood seeping from his clenched jaws. His eyes bulging in terror, revealing the horrific torment he had endured before death. Quickly, 2 to 3 dozen bloodline warriors gathered around. It's Old Sun. How could he have come here alone? Do you not know? Old Sun often visited the graveyard alone, and with age weighing heavily upon him. He perhaps felt a sense of sorrow for those who had fallen victim to the monstrous beasts. Little did he anticipate that today, it would be his turn. Such a tragedy. Chen Qiang's mind was a blank slate as he slowly approached Old Sun's side. Gazing upon the lifeless form of Old Sun, he sank to the ground, gently closing the old man's unseeing eyes. Just as his right hand grazed Old Sun's face, the corpse recovery system activated. Ding. The system detected a recovery target. Insufficient recovery value detected, automatically converting your energy value to recovery value. Primary Spirit Blood Warrior recovery successful. Host, Chen Qiang level, Primary Blood Warrior energy value, 50 recovery value, 1 constitution, 22 strength, 42 speed, 29 spirit power, 24 technique, heart purging blood technique minor completion skills, ambush. Sonic probe, thunder light sphere major completion, heavenly gang soul cutting blade major completion, 3 waves of heaven steps entry level, bloodline, poison flame bloodline primary, thunder bloodline intermediate, wind spirit bloodline primary. Ding. The intermediate fusion card requires an energy value of 30. The system will automatically convert for you. Host, Chen Qiang level, intermediate blood warrior energy value, 20 recovery value, 1 constitution, 15 strength, 42 speed, 29 spirit power, 24 technique, heart-purging blood technique minor completion skills, ambush, sonic probe, thunderbolt soul-cutting blade minor completion, 3 waves of heaven steps entry level, bloodline, poison flame bloodline primary, thunder bloodline intermediate, wind spirit bloodline primary. Notification: the intermediate fusion card requires 1,000 energy points. Please elevate your energy value promptly. For a moment, Chen Qiang was taken aback. An intermediate fusion card? Moreover, wasn't he old son just an ordinary man without any cultivation? How did he become a primary spirit blood warrior? The Heavenly Gang's soul-cutting blade and thunder light sphere had even merged into the Thunderbolt soul-cutting blade, and it was a minor completion. What astonished him most was that a single fusion card had elevated him from a primary blood warrior to an intermediate one. Seeing Chen Qiang frozen in place, Commander Ling sighed and approached him. Chen Qiang, do not grieve too deeply. I believe old son would not wish to see you in such despair. Commander, could you tell me about Grandpa's son? He must not have been an ordinary person, right? From the moment Chen Qiang began to practice with the 2 small booklets old son had given him, he suspected that Grandpa's son's origins were anything but simple. Moreover, given Grandpa's son's status, how could he have casually procured beast meat and wine? Yet each time he inquired, Grandpa's son had deftly evaded the question. Sighing, Commander Ling straightened up and gazed into the distance. That was over a decade ago. Old son's name was Sun Dahu. He brought you to the Mongshan settlement when you had just turned 1. I only know that at that time, senior son was merely a junior blood warrior, wielding the very weapon you carry on your back, the Duanyan. However, within less than half a year, senior son's cultivation plummeted, ultimately leading to his complete loss of power. According to senior son himself, he arrived in a severely injured state, with his meridians destroyed. It was a feat merely to preserve his life. As for the details beyond that, I am unaware. Chen Qiang drew the Duanyan from his back and quietly began to dig beside him. Commander, you may return now. I wish to stay here a while longer with Grandpa Sunday. Commander Ling glanced at the darkening sky and advised once more. Very well, Chen Qiang. Do make your way back soon. Judging by the wounds on senior son, it seems he was injured by a lightning weasel. It may not be far from here. So do exercise caution. With that, Commander Ling waved his hand, and the others gradually departed. Grandpa's son, who would have thought that after more than a decade of collecting corpses, it would fall upon me to lay you to rest? Chen Qiang retrieved the flute from Sun Dahu's mouth, wiped the blood from his face, and tidied his clothing before carefully placing the body into the pit. He took out the wine he had just purchased, opened the cap, and took a swig before pouring a portion into the grave. Duanyan. Chen Qiang drove the blade into the ground with unwavering resolve, proclaiming, Grandpa's son, rest assured, I shall not fail this heroic blade. If my intuition serves me well, you must possess an extraordinary connection with General Tianwei, for you would not have risked your life to bring me to Mang Mountain otherwise. At this moment, Chen Qiang finally embraced the identity of the original host, Chen Qiang. This transformation was largely due to the care and meticulous guidance he had received from Sun Dahu during their time together. Grandpa's son, it is thanks to your Heavenly Gang's soul-cutting blade and the heart-crushing blood transformation technique that I have attained my current level of cultivation. Rest assured, I shall obtain the banner of General Tianwei from the Dongyue General's mansion on your behalf. This is my unwavering promise to you. However, before that, there remains one most crucial task. Chen Qiang stood up, took another hearty swig of wine, poured the remainder into the grave, and used the Duanyan to fill in the earth, erecting a new mound. He lifted his gaze to a nearby large tree, swung the Duanyan, and severed a tree branch the size of an arm. After a simple refinement, he took out the small knife gifted by Captain Shi and inscribed a line upon it. Warrior Sun Dahu under the banner of General Tianwei. A rudimentary tablet was placed at the grave, and he performed 3 bows. Lightning Weasel. Chen Qiang slung the Duanyan back onto his shoulders, casting a cold gaze across the desolate night landscape, muttering the words through gritted teeth. Chapter 9. A Deathseeker approaches. Near the cemetery of the Mang Mountain settlement lies an unexplored danger zone of approximately 20 to 30 square kilometers. Thus, Chen Qiang narrowed his search focus within this vicinity. The lightning marten is a creature of remarkable speed, and its claws are incredibly sharp, as evidenced by the injuries on Sun Dahu's neck. Fortunately, Sun Dahu had once possessed the cultivation of a bloodline warrior, allowing him to sound the alarm before he was harmed. Otherwise, even an ordinary bloodline warrior might not have reacted in time. As Chen Qiang searched, he gradually adapted to the bloodline and skills he had absorbed from Sun Dahu. The treading the heavens with 3 waves technique, although still in its nascent stage, appeared promising to Chen Qiang. He believed that if he could master this skill before encountering the lightning rabbit, he would effortlessly outpace it. This technique consists of 3 successive waves, each more powerful than the last. With his current intermediate bloodline warrior cultivation, he could leap over 100 meters in the first step, reach 150 meters in the second, and achieve an astonishing 200 meters in the third step. This was merely the foundational phase. If perfected, his speed could quadruple. Of course, such velocity would not be sustainable for long given his current level of cultivation. In terms of martial prowess, his greatest asset was the minor mastery of the Heavenly Thunder Severing Soul Blade. As Chen Qiang activated his sound wave detection skill, ever vigilant for potential dangers, he also practiced his sword technique. The Heavenly Thunder Severing Soul Blade is essentially the Heavenly Gang Severing Soul Blade imbued with lightning attributes, with each strike revealing flashes of electric light. The technique consists of 7 forms: the Azure Dragon extending its claws, the Coiling Dragon unfurling its tongue, the Flood Dragon twisting the waves, the Dragon soaring and Tiger leaping, the waves turning over, the annihilation of all things, and the soul severed at the horizon. In his current minor mastery, he was most familiar with the first 3 forms, which sufficed for his needs. Captain Zhang of the patrol team had once mentioned that while the Mang Mountain settlement was not entirely safe, there had not been a high-level beast in over 2 decades. As long as the beasts were of lower tiers, Chen Qiang was confident in his ability to protect himself. Thus, for 3 to 4 hours, Chen Qiang did not make any effort to conceal his presence. Indeed, he intentionally created sounds to lure out the lightning marten. The midnight wilderness was fraught with peril, yet Chen Qiang harbored a burning desire to vent his frustrations. Nevertheless, he was not reckless. Though he appeared to be merely a 16-year-old boy, his experiences from 2 lifetimes endowed him with a mindset comparable to that of a man in his 20s or 30s. The lightning marten was incredibly swift and hidden in the shadows. Without some noise to draw it out, he had little hope of locating it. However, the nearby beasts were not limited to just the lightning marten. Just as he kept his sound wave detection skill active, Chen Qiang finally perceived an unusual sound. Upon identifying its source, a sly smile crept across his lips. If he could not find the lightning marten, he would take out his frustrations on this creature instead. Approximately 10 meters ahead, a 6 or 7 meter long 2-headed serpent, coiling its body as thick as an adult's calf, had already locked its gaze upon Chen Qiang. Casually drawing the Duanyun blade, Chen Qiang hacked at the half-man-high thicket beside him, boldly advancing forward. As he drew nearer to the 2-headed serpent, merely 4 or 5 meters away, the serpent suddenly reared up, its 2 heads retracting slightly before lunging at an accelerated pace, jaws agape, in a straight line, aimed directly at Chen Qiang's neck. At that moment, Chen Qiang, who was horizontally slashing through the tangled grass with his Duanyun, swiftly twisted his wrist, thrusting the blade forward with a sharp upward flick. He stepped forward, executing the Blue Dragon's Claw technique in an instant. In the darkness of the night, the blade shimmered with a lightning-like gleam as it sliced through the connecting point of the 2-headed serpent. A resounding clash of metal echoed, yet to Chen Qiang's astonishment, his powerful strike failed to sever the serpent. Such formidable defense. Sunda, who had once mentioned that this Duanyun blade had slain a junior-level ability warrior. As a genetically enhanced being, their defensive prowess was their most prominent characteristic. However, to Chen Qiang's surprise, this 2-headed serpent exhibited an equally formidable defense. Although Chen Qiang's strike did not cleave the serpent in 2, it did inflict a half-meter-long gash upon its body. In pain, the serpent recoiled. The wound seared and charred by the lightning strike, and 2 streams of venom shot forth towards Chen Qiang's face like arrows. Reacting swiftly, he blocked with the Duanyun, his expression turning grim. The serpent's venom was laced with deadly poison. Moreover, it appeared to be significantly more toxic than the venom he had previously encountered from the bloodbaths. Fortunately, his quick reflexes had spared him, otherwise, he might have met his end at the hands of this serpent. With a flick of his blade, Chen Qiang cast aside the toxic liquid, and through soundwave detection, he noticed the serpent attempting to flee. It seemed that this creature possessed a certain level of intelligence, recognizing it faced a formidable adversary, and after suffering a setback, it now sought to retreat. Having narrowly escaped death, Chen Qiang was determined not to let it go easily, as long as he guarded against its venom. Defeating this 2-headed serpent should not pose a significant challenge. With a decisive thought, Chen Qiang adeptly maneuvered, swinging the Duanyun blade once more at the serpent. After several strikes, he discerned that despite the serpent's astonishing defense, it had a vulnerable spot just a foot beneath its heads. Halting in his tracks, Chen Qiang hefted the Duanyun and spat dismissively. "Is that all you've got?" With that, he executed a peculiar lateral movement, once again employing the first wave of the 3 tidal waves technique. The blade followed his swift motion, precisely severing one of the serpent's heads. Hissing, the remaining head of the 2-headed serpent thrashed violently, blood spurting from the wound, before turning to flee. "Not so fast," Chen Qiang bellowed, launching another wave and cleaving off the last head. The now headless body thrashed for a moment before finally coming to a halt. Chen Qiang approached slowly, delivering a forceful strike with the Duanyun, shattering the severed head to reveal a beast crystal the size of a ping-pong ball. Hee. Could it be that there are two beast crystals? Chen Qiang smashed another serpent's head and picked up the other beast crystal. The system's energy value increased once more, reaching 40. What benefits might this dual-headed serpent's corpse bestow upon him? With a sense of anticipation, Chen Qiang extended his right hand. Ding! The system detected the recovery target. Successfully recovered a soldier-level beginner dual-headed serpent. Host, Chen Qiang. Level, intermediate bloodline warrior. Energy value, 40. Recovery value, 1. Constitution, 17. Strength, 42. Speed, 29. Mental power, 24. Technique, Heartbreaker Blood Transformation Technique, minor achievement. Skills, Sting and Lurk, Sound Wave Detection, Thunderblade Soul Severing, minor achievement. Heavenly Threefold Wave, entry level. Bloodline, Poison Flame Bloodline, beginner. Thunder Bloodline, intermediate. Wind Spirit Bloodline, beginner. It seems there are no noticeable changes. Chen Qiang looked on, shaking his head in dissatisfaction. He had wasted 20 energy points, and neither his bloodline nor skills had improved. It was truly regrettable. Could it be that the system was malfunctioning? No, that dual-headed serpent was undoubtedly venomous. How could there be no changes? After pondering for a while without arriving at an answer, he decided to set it aside, dragging the dual-headed serpent to an open area, igniting some twigs, and cutting off 2 pieces of serpent meat to roast on the spot. For others, consuming this dual-headed serpent would surely result in a lethal poisoning. But Chen Qiang's bloodline had long rendered him immune to toxins, having accumulated 2 types of venom. After consuming 2 bites of serpent meat, he felt a slight enhancement in his constitution. As he reached for another piece of roasted serpent meat, his knife paused, and a chill swept across his face. Chapter 10, Unique Skills. Within the range of his sound wave detection, a 1-meter-long brown marten stared at him with its round, shiny eyes. Crouching beneath a tree 10 meters away, Chen Qiang casually reversed the broken cloud and held it in his left hand, while his right hand brought a piece of serpent meat to his mouth, closing his eyes in a state of enjoyment. He had never witnessed the speed of the lightning marten, so he did not dare to be careless, remaining ever prepared for an impending attack. However, to Chen Qiang's dismay, half an hour passed, and the lightning marten remained completely still, fixated on him. Having consumed all the roasted serpent meat, and seeing no reaction from the marten, he decided to stretch lazily, leaning back while closing his eyes. Let us see if you move. Chen Qiang's mental focus intensified, with the sound wave detection continuously monitoring the marten's movements. It was only when he truly encountered the lightning marten that he realized, aside from its speed advantage, its composure was remarkably steadfast. After another 10 minutes, Chen Qiang's snores filled the air. At that moment, the lightning marten finally stirred. Yet cunningly, it did not rush forward immediately. Instead, it gently swayed a small blade of grass nearby. Perhaps it was the sight of the 2-headed serpent's lifeless body beside Chen Qiang that instilled a sense of caution within him. Chen Qiang continued to feign sleep, his left hand gripping the weapon, Duanyun, with increasing intensity. Suddenly, a shadow, swift as lightning, lunged toward him, just as it descended upon his body. 2 razor-sharp claws slashed downward. Chen Qiang's Duanyun, already poised, swept upward like a tempest. With a resounding clash, sparks flew before his eyes. The claws of the lightning marten were indeed formidable. After the initial strike, Chen Qiang swiftly rolled over, and before he could regain his footing, the marten charged back, raising its claws for another assault. There was no time to draw his blade. With a desperate maneuver, Chen Qiang narrowly evaded the marten's lethal strike. After another failed attempt, the marten seemed to reassess Chen Qiang, yet he was not inclined to grant it an opportunity. Having dodged the first wave of attack, he deftly hurled a small knife from his right hand toward the marten and launched himself forward with renewed vigor. To his astonishment, the knife grazed the marten's sleek fur and soared past. The brown pelt, as smooth as satin, was utterly remarkable. In a heartbeat, upon witnessing the marten effortlessly evade the knife, Chen Qiang swiftly adjusted his stance, unleashing a powerful strike toward the marten's lower limbs. The decision proved to be astutely correct. Relying on its agility and the silky texture of its coat, the marten underestimated Chen Qiang's blow. In fact, it did not even consider dodging. Little did it know, Chen Qiang's strike was aimed at its legs, a vulnerable area far from the smoothness of its pelt. With a piercing shriek, one of the marten's legs was severed by Chen Qiang's blade. The loss of a limb drastically reduced the marten's speed. With the aid of his technique and the weapon Duanyun in hand, it was only a matter of time before he subdued the marten. However, Chen Qiang had no intention of slaying it immediately. Even as he wielded his knife, he refrained from unleashing his bloodlust, choosing instead to methodically dismember the marten's lower limbs using his brute strength. Before long, the marten, rendered helpless and in utter despair, emitted a chilling wail. For the marten, its most potent offensive capabilities lay in its claws. Without its limbs, it was akin to a toothless tiger. Chen Qiang paused, resting Duanyun on his shoulder, his expression as cold as ice, and slowly approached the marten. Beast, you have harmed my grandfather. This is the fate you deserve. The desperate marten seemed to comprehend Chen Qiang's words, shaking its head incessantly while letting out anguished cries. With a heart filled with vengeance, Chen Qiang cast aside any lingering playfulness and raised Duanyun, delivering a merciless blow. With a swift strike, the lightning marten, despite its sleek fur, could not evade its fate. Its small, round eyes filled with unwillingness as it watched its body drift further away. Grandfather's son, I have finally avenged you, Chen Qiang proclaimed, kneeling with his blade raised to the heavens. The Duanyun blade descended, shattering the marten's skull, revealing a small beast crystal. After collecting the crystal, Chen Qiang examined the marten's body once more. Ding! The system detected a recovery target. Recovery of the soldier level initial lightning marten successful. Host, Chen Qiang level. Intermediate bloodline warrior energy value. 40 recovery value. 1 constitution, 17 strength, 42 speed, 49 mental power, 24 martial art. Heart-crushing blood transformation technique. Minor achievement, skills. Lurking. Sonic detection. Thunder soul severing blade. Minor achievement. 3 waves of heaven's foot. Entry level. Beast language. Scent tracking bloodlines. Poison Flame Bloodline. Initial. Thunder Bloodline. Intermediate. Wind Spirit Bloodline. Initial. Shimmering Gold Bloodline. Initial. Drawing the Duanyun from his back, Chen Qiang furrowed his brow at the system panel's display. Absorbing the lightning marten's remains had evidently enhanced his speed significantly, and he had acquired an additional shimmering gold bloodline at the initial level, which was not surprising. However, what intrigued him was the addition of the beast language skill. Was it the means of communication among lightning martens? Yet, why did he not acquire the beast language when absorbing the Thunderlight Rabbit? Lost in thought, Chen Qiang was suddenly startled by the sound of squeaking approaching rapidly from afar. With little time to ponder, he quickly concealed himself in a nearby thicket, activating his lurking and sonic detection skills. Squeak! Just as he hid, 2 lightning martens emerged. Concealed in the grass, Chen Qiang was astonished to comprehend their conversation. Brother, we are late. 7th sister is dead, and it was a gruesome end. 5th brother, I heard 7th sister's cries for help and urged you to hurry, yet you dawdled. Now, how shall we face father? Enough, brother. It seems 7th sister has only just perished. If the murderer returns, we may not be able to contend with them. No more talking, let's flee. The 2 lightning martens bolted back in a desperate dash, while Chen Qiang quickly rose to his feet. The previous marten had been shaking its head, suggesting that it was likely not the culprit. From the exchange between the 2 martens, it seemed there was a den of marten mice nearby. Regardless of their numbers, it is better to err on the side of caution than to let any escape. In the vicinity of the Mang Mountain settlement, no lightning marten shall survive. Observing the direction in which the 2 martens had fled, Chen Qiang did not hastily pursue. Instead, he took a moment to sniff the air before proceeding at a measured pace. Scent tracking was an invaluable trait he had absorbed from the lightning marten. As long as he could capture the scent left by his target, escape would be an impossibility for them. After absorbing the abilities of the lightning weasel, Chen Qiang's speed surged to nearly double that of before. This was without the aid of the sky-treading triple wave. If he were to employ it, there would be no escape for this pack of lightning weasels. Although his speed had significantly improved, Chen Qiang chose not to unleash his full potential, instead maintaining a safe distance. His aim was clear: the nest of the lightning weasels. Chapter 11. Formidable foes. After pursuing for approximately 12 or 13 miles, Chen Qiang halted before a rock face towering 20 to 30 meters high, raising his gaze to a half-human-sized opening more than 2 meters above the ground. He leaped lightly and crouched at the entrance. Inside the cave, the cries of the lightning weasels echoed. Oh no, Dad. 7th sister has been killed. It was horrific. All 4 legs were severed, and her head was crushed to bits. What? How could 7th be like this? You 2 brutes dare to return? Why didn't you avenge 7th? Dad, we want to avenge her too. But you don't understand. The enemy is a monster nearly 3 meters tall. With each step, the ground trembles. It's terrifying. Isn't it, 5th brother? Indeed, Dad. Just as 2nd brother said, that monster runs like the wind. I reckon it possesses at least the strength of a formidable beast. If 2nd brother and I hadn't fled swiftly, we wouldn't have had the chance to return and report. So formidable. What shall we do? Listening to the chatter of the 2 lightning weasels inside, Chen Qiang inwardly scoffed. It seemed those 2 hadn't noticed him at all. Moreover, was he truly that fearsome? However, judging by the dialogue and sense emanating from within, there were at least 5 or 6 lightning weasels inside. If he charged in recklessly, it would be nearly impossible to eliminate them all. After leaving the cave entrance, Chen Qiang concealed himself beneath a withered tree, gazing at the lightning weasel's lair, a blade of grass clenched between his teeth. He hesitated several times, unable to reach a decision. The lightning weasels were right before him, and one of them was undoubtedly responsible for Sun De's death. Though he yearned to rush in and eliminate them all, Chen Qiang maintained his composure. Lightning weasels were renowned for their speed, and there was more than one inside. A momentary miscalculation could lead to dire consequences. Sun De, who had previously warned him that extraordinary beasts possessed a strong sense of vengeance, should a lightning weasel escape, the Mang Mountain settlement would never know peace again. Could he merely stand idly by as the lightning weasels lay in wait? If the cave opening were slightly higher, he might have felt more confident. Yet, its diminutive size made it impossible to stand upright, leaving him at a disadvantage for battle. Spitting out the grass stem, Chen Qiang's eyes suddenly brightened. Of course, smoke. He gathered some semi-dry branches and scattered grass nearby, carefully positioning them at the cave entrance. Grasping a handful of grass, he channeled his energy, igniting a small flame that flickered to life. Before long, the half-dried branches at the cave entrance ignited, sending thick smoke billowing into the cave. Witnessing this, Chen Qiang promptly activated his sonic probe skill and drew the broken cloud from his back, raising it high above his head. The lightning minks within the cave screeched in distress, their hooves approaching with increasing urgency. They were coming. With his eyes tightly shut, Chen Qiang sensed two shadows swiftly darting out of the cave entrance. With lightning speed, he swung the broken cloud downwards. Two cries of agony echoed as he disregarded the sight of the two lightning minks, now bisected, and spun around, executing the fifth form of the thunderbolt soul-cutting blade with unrefined precision. A third one. Elated, Chen Qiang continued his rotation, delivering a third strike with even greater ferocity. Clang! A tingling sensation coursed through his body from the blade, nearly dislodging the broken cloud from his grip, and a trickle of blood seeped from his wrist. Astonished, Chen Qiang looked up to see a creature, significantly larger than the lightning minks he had just slain, emerging 10 meters from the cave entrance. Its claws raised in fury as it glared at him. There were no formidable beasts of that caliber nearby, but this creature was even mightier than the Thunderlight rabbit he had encountered, indicating that it was a high-ranking soldier-class lightning mink. Following this larger lightning mink, two smaller ones burst forth as well. Father, the second, third, and fourth have all perished. Father, avenge our brothers. We must not let this creature escape. The two smaller lightning minks cried incessantly, their round eyes filled with rage. Chen Qiang quickly regained his composure and retorted in the same mink language. You were the ones who killed my grandfather first. You deserve your fate. The larger lightning mink paused momentarily, exclaiming, You understand our language? Heh. Are you referring to that old fellow who died in the graveyard? What a pity. If I hadn't been slow, that old guy would have already been a delightful meal in my belly. So it was you. Chen Qiang's eyes blazed with fury as he pointed at the larger lightning mink, roaring, In that case, I shall ensure that your entire brood pays the price for my grandfather's death. With that, Chen Qiang concentrated all his strength, propelling himself to his peak speed. And with the broken cloud in hand, he forcefully struck down at the larger lightning mink. Clang! To Chen Qiang's astonishment, the larger lightning mink did not even attempt to evade, raising a paw to meet the broken cloud head-on. After the impact, Chen Qiang was sent staggering back 5 or 6 steps, while the larger lightning mink merely leaned back slightly, its gleaming claw showing no signs of damage. Heh, seeking revenge? Dream on. You must have killed my little 7, right? You took my 4 children. Today, you won't leave this place easily. Since I couldn't feast on that old fellow, I'll settle for you instead. You look far more tender than that old guy. You must be quite delectable. Father, kill him. We want to feast on his flesh. Father, I yearn to savor that creature's posterior. Its succulent flesh must be utterly delectable. The 2 large lightning ferrets, realizing Chen Qiang was no match for them, erupted into excited shrieks. In their eyes, Chen Qiang had already become a sumptuous feast. He placed a hand upon his chest to calm the tumultuous blood surging within, his gaze growing grave as he regarded the larger lightning ferret. Indeed, he had been rather presumptuous. Given his current cultivation, confronting a high-ranking soldier-level beast was an insurmountable challenge. At this juncture, merely escaping from the clutches of this lightning ferret would be a stroke of good fortune. However, it was evident that the formidable lightning ferret had seized the upper hand and would not easily relent. Unbelievably, he had transformed from the hunter into the hunted in such a brief span. Although he had absorbed the functional essence of the smaller lightning ferret, thereby enhancing his speed, the larger one before him was leagues faster than its diminutive counterpart. While keenly observing his adversary, Chen Qiang cast a glance at the system panel displaying his skills and attributes, contemplating how to navigate this perilous predicament. The skill Heavenly Triple Wave appeared to be his only glimmer of hope for escape. Chapter 12. The Lightning Ferret's Tragic Folly. Thinking of fleeing? The larger lightning ferret seemed to discern Chen Qiang's intentions, mockingly lifting its head. Seizing the moment, Chen Qiang's body surged forth with the ferocity of a leopard. Executing the first wave of the Heavenly Triple Wave, he leapt 100 meters in an instant. Oh, quite swift. The larger lightning ferret widened its round eyes, darting after him. In a mere 2 seconds, before Chen Qiang could execute the second wave, the ferret had already positioned itself in front of him. Turning back to deliver a claw strike, a gust of ferocious wind swept past, and Chen Qiang barely evaded the lethal strike aimed at his face, halting his momentum and veering at an odd angle to escape. Haha, you cannot escape. The lightning ferret pursued him with an air of nonchalance, lunging for his back. Sensing imminent danger, Chen Qiang raised his Duanyun blade to shield himself. The clash of metal rang in his ears, the blade gripped tightly in his hand. Yet, before he could react, the ferret reappeared a mere meter away, turning back to claw at him with ferocity. This time, Chen Qiang had no chance to evade. He could only halt his advance, but the ferret's claws, sharp as steel hooks, tore through his chest. 3 deep gashes erupted, blood gushing forth like arrows. The excruciating pain rendering Chen Qiang's head a cacophony of buzzing. This cannot continue. If I keep fleeing, I will surely be toyed to death by this ferret. He glanced down at his chest wound, a frenzied look igniting in his eyes. Oh, are you angry? The larger lightning ferret gleefully observed the change in Chen Qiang's expression, noting that he had ceased his escape. After all, he was destined to become a meal. Why not indulge in a little more play before the inevitable feast? Haha. Father is indeed formidable. Father, this little creature is so weak. I am confident I can handle it myself. Why not entrust it to me? Humph. 5th brother. Did you not previously claim that a monster of the general level had slain 7th? Are you boasting again? Hee. Father, it was 2nd brother who said that. I did not see clearly. Father, this little thing must be quite delicious, right? The large lightning ferret, upon hearing this, brought its claw, stained with Chen Qiang's flesh, to its mouth and licked it. Haha, 6's nose is indeed sharp. Indeed, this little fellow's meat is both fragrant and tender. It is truly a delightful treat delivered right to us. The large lightning ferret savored the taste, its eyes revealing unabashed greed upon reopening. Hee, little one. You can only blame yourself for being oblivious. How could I possibly refuse such a delicacy delivered to my doorstep? Father, enough talk. Please deal with this little one quickly. I can feel my saliva pooling. If you do not take action, 6th brother, and I will. 5th and 6th, do not worry. I will capture it for you, allowing you to relish this delicacy as well. After we feast, we shall head to their settlement 50 miles away, where many more such delicacies await you. Having said that, the large lightning ferret set aside its playful demeanor and slowly approached Chen Qiang. At the mention of the lightning ferret's intention to attack the Manga settlement, Chen Qiang's rage reached its zenith. He could only lament his own ineptitude. Even a mere lightning ferret, not yet at the general level, could bring catastrophic disaster to the human settlement. It was indeed a grim realization that the strongest combatant at the Manga settlement, Commander Ling Wei, was merely a high-tier bloodline warrior. Facing an adversary of the same level, losing the advantage in speed rendered them incapable of ensuring the safety of others. More importantly, if he had not acted recklessly, such a formidable foe would not have been drawn to the Manga settlement. As the lightning ferret drew ever closer, Chen Qiang tightened his grip on the knife, Duanyun. This time, he did not intend to retreat. Retreat would mean death, and so would fighting. He might as well fight with all his might. The large lightning ferret, brimming with confidence, edged closer to Chen Qiang, seemingly in no rush to end his life. It desired Chen Qiang to truly savor the taste of impending death. 10 meters, 7 meters, 5 meters. Chen Qiang's mouth felt parched as he tightened his grip on the knife, his feet instinctively shifting in place, his eyes fixed unwaveringly on the approaching lightning ferret. 3 meters. The lightning ferret finally raised its razor-sharp claws once more, and at that moment, Chen Qiang concentrated all his strength into Duanyun. However, at that instant, an unexpected turn of events unfolded. In Chen Qiang's eyes, the aggressive lightning ferret suddenly shrank violently, its brown-furred face visibly shifting from purple to black, emitting a series of frantic squeaks. There's poison. This little one's blood is toxic. The large lightning ferret uttered a single phrase before curling up, thrashing about on the grass for a moment, and then fell still. The incident unfolded unexpectedly, leaving the 2 lightning ferrets waiting nearby for their meal momentarily stunned. Chen Qiang quickly recalled that the lightning ferret, after injuring itself, had previously tasted its own flesh. He possessed a lineage infused with the venoms of both the toxic flame bloodbat and the 2-headed serpent. The combination of these two toxicities was far more potent than either the two-headed serpent or the toxic flame bloodbat alone. Fortunately, under the influence of the two ferrets, the larger lightning ferret succumbed to the deadly poison. Otherwise, today might have marked his demise. Breathing a silent sigh of relief, Chen Qiang cast his gaze towards the two nearby ferrets. Ah, weren't you eager to taste my flesh earlier? The two ferrets finally lifted their heads, gazing at Chen Qiang in terror. They exchanged a glance, screamed in unison, "The toxic mouse king." Thinking of escaping? These three ferrets had aimed to annihilate the gathering at Mongshan. Chen Qiang would never let them slip away so easily. Hastily seizing the larger ferret from the ground, he swiftly pursued the others. Meanwhile, the body function panel underwent another transformation. Ding! The system detected a recovery target. Recovery of an elite-grade lightning ferret successful. Host, Chen Qiang level. Intermediate bloodline warrior energy value. 10 recovery value. 1 constitution, 19 strength, 42 speed, 55 mental power, 24 techniques. Minor mastery of the heart-crushing blood transformation skill. Ambush. Sonic detection. Minor mastery of the thunderblade of soul severing. Entry level of the threefold heaven-walking wave. Beast language. Scent tracking bloodline. Primary toxic flame bloodline. Intermediate lightning bloodline. Primary wind spirit bloodline. Advanced shining gold bloodline. Indeed, it was an elite-grade lightning ferret. Not only had its shining gold bloodline risen 2 levels, but its constitution also increased by 2 points, and its speed surged by 6. Alas, absorbing this ferret consumed a full 30 energy points. However, with his speed now enhanced, the two smaller ferrets would find it impossible to escape. The two ferrets in front occasionally glanced back, shocked to see Chen Qiang's speed had surged once more. Squeaking in alarm, they actually contemplated splitting up to flee. Chen Qiang scoffed. With the scent tracking ability of the lightning ferret, where could these two mongrels possibly escape? Chapter 13. The unexpected appearance of Cheng Yaojin. Threefold heaven-walking wave. This time, the threefold heaven-walking wave demonstrated a marked improvement, with the first wave stretching an impressive 110 meters. The ferret on the left, sensing impending doom, had barely registered the threat before Chen Qiang cleaved it in two with a single strike. Swiftly lifting the severed head of the ferret, Chen Qiang did not rush to absorb it this time. Instead, he turned to chase down the final survivor. In just a few moments, the desperate creature appeared within Chen Qiang's line of sight. Chen Qiang accelerated his pace once more, raising his sword, the broken cloud, high above his head. This time, he intended to vanquish his foe with the blade infused with his fervent spirit. However, just as the sword was about to descend, a flash of lightning sliced through the air, and a long sword pierced the mouth of the fleeing lightning marten. The blade pierced the marten through to its tail, and with a swift twist, the creature emitted no sound before succumbing to its fate. Such prowess! Chen Qiang halted, his gaze fixed upon a young man, approximately 23 or 24 years of age, who disdainfully flicked off the remnants of the marten's skin from his sword, casting an equal glance at Chen Qiang. "Who are you? Is this lightning marten your prey?" The young man regarded Chen Qiang with an air of arrogance, wiped his sword, and with a flick of his wrist, the blade vanished into thin air. Chen Qiang silently approached, retrieving the lightning marten, and replied, "I am Chen Qiang from the Mongshan settlement." With that, he turned and swiftly made his way to the marten's lair. The Mongshan settlement? How fortuitous. The young man had yet to finish his thought when he noticed Chen Qiang had already departed. Such speed. The young man's eyes brightened, and he immediately pursued him. Despite Chen Qiang's current velocity, he was unable to shake off his follower, which struck him as peculiar. However, he had no time to ponder the young man's presence, as he needed to carry all the slain martens back. Before the marten's den, Chen Qiang collected 3 more lightning martens, including the very first he had slain, and hurriedly returned to the grave of Sun Dahu. The young man followed at a leisurely pace until they reached the burial site. "Hey, you must be Chen Qiang. I am a messenger from the Danyue General's mansion, and I have urgent business at your Mongshan settlement. Let me there quickly." Chen Qiang dropped the 7 lightning martens at the grave and sat down heavily, gesturing towards the east without raising his head. 5 miles to the east lies the Mongshan settlement. With that, he took his knife in his right hand and began to skin one of the martens with his left. The young man, seeing Chen Qiang's indifference, huffed in dissatisfaction and turned to leave. Aside from the high-level marten and the first one he had slain, Chen Qiang had no desire to absorb the remaining 5. After all, his energy points had dwindled to merely 10, and the other martens held little value. Further absorption would only squander his energy. Minutes later, he absorbed 6 low-tier beast crystals and 1 high-tier beast crystal, converting them into 90 energy points. "Grandfather son, the lightning martens that plagued you have been eradicated. You can now rest in peace." Sitting cross-legged before Sun Dahu's grave, Chen Qiang tore off a piece of marten flesh and began to roast it, speaking to himself. "Grandfather son, It's been over a month since I arrived here, and you have been like a true grandfather, guiding me in my cultivation. If it weren't for you, I would not have mastered the heavenly thunder-severing soul blade and the blood transformation technique so swiftly. Though this world is fraught with peril, I will not forget your teachings. One day, I shall bring the banner of General Tianwei to your grave. Chen Qiang picked up a piece of lightning marten meat and threw it into his mouth. After a couple of chews, he immediately spat it out. Damn, this is so foul, it's truly inedible. Chen Qiang, not all exotic beast meat is fit for consumption. Unbeknownst to him, Commander Ling had already positioned himself behind him. Accompanying him were a number of bloodline warriors from the Mongshan settlement, as well as an envoy from the Dongyue general's mansion. Chen Qiang, you haven't returned all night, and yet you have slaughtered so many lightning martens. Moreover, you even killed a high-rank soldier-level lightning marten. Commander Ling examined Chen Qiang's achievements one by one, astonishment filling his eyes. The bloodline warriors behind him were equally stunned by Chen Qiang's performance. Just a month ago, Chen Qiang was an ordinary person of the lowly bloodline tier, yet now his combat prowess had reached a level where he could slay even the high-speed soldier-level lightning marten. Such a terrifying cultivation speed is rarely seen even in the Dongyue general's mansion. Chen Qiang pointed at the envoy and said, Commander, I killed that one too. Chen Qiang, do not be impudent. Lord Zhang is a junior spiritual blood warrior. Even I must show utmost respect in the presence of the envoy. Only then did Chen Qiang rise, sizing up the other man, bowing slightly, and saying, I greet you, Lord Zhang. No wonder this young man effortlessly dealt with the lightning marten. He is indeed a junior spiritual blood warrior. With Chen Qiang's current abilities, he could easily handle mid-tier soldier-level exotic beasts. But confronting high-tier soldier-level beasts would pose a significant challenge, let alone a junior spiritual blood warrior. It seems that obtaining the banner of the Heavenly Might General is not such a simple task after all. Lord Zhang glanced at the simple gravestone before him, his expression subtly shifting. However, he ultimately turned back with impatience and said, Ling Wei, the matter is urgent. I suggest you take Chen Qiang and come with me. Chen Qiang? Ling Wei hesitated for a moment, and then replied, Lord Zhang, Chen Qiang has just reached the intermediate blood warrior level and is still quite young. It would be better to find someone else to substitute. Ling Wei, do you have any objections to my proposal? Although Chen Qiang is merely an intermediate blood warrior, he managed to slay a high-tier soldier-level lightning marten. If it were you, could you accomplish the same? To be frank, even I would need to employ some tactics to ensure I could deal with it. Ling Wei shook his head upon hearing this. He was well aware of his own capabilities, though he was of a comparable level to that lightning marten in a real battle. Escaping safely would already be a commendable feat, let alone defeating it. Such a thought was utterly fanciful. Moreover, Lord Zhang's subsequent words left him with no room for argument. Furthermore, do you know why I chose Chen Qiang? It is precisely because of his speed. I followed him here just now, and even with my speed as a junior wind-type spiritual blood warrior, I barely managed to keep up. Do you think you can find anyone in your Mongshan settlement who is faster than him? The other bloodline warriors exchanged glances, their heads bowed in shame, rendered speechless. Commander Ling, left with no choice, reluctantly agreed. Vice Commander Su, let us settle this matter. In my absence, you shall lead and ensure the safety of the Mongshan settlement. A man in his 40s stepped forward, respectfully nodding. As you command, my lord. Lord Zhang, with a hint of impatience, waved his hand. Ling Wei. If there is nothing else, let us depart. No more delays. Very well. Chen Qiang, you need not prepare anything. Simply join us. After a moment of confusion, Chen Qiang furrowed his brow and inquired, My lord, what exactly is the matter? Chapter 14. The Task of Seven Wolf Valley. Chen Qiang, let us converse as we walk. Ling Wei gestured to Chen Qiang and the others, hastily catching up with Lord Zhang. With Chen Qiang's speed, it was effortless for him to keep pace with Lord Zhang and Ling Wei. Along the way, Ling Wei briefly explained the purpose of this messenger's visit. The Eastern Yu General's mansion, helmed by the renowned General Lin Feng, had achieved the rank of a high-level spirit blood war general 8 years prior. Assuming command of the mansion, over these 8 years, General Lin Feng had led the warriors of the Eastern Yu General's mansion, repeatedly fending off assaults from the genetically enhanced beings and the beasts, making significant contributions to the survival of humanity. However, despite 8 years of effort, General Lin Feng's cultivation remained on the cusp of ascension to the kingly level, yet he had not yet progressed. Among high-level spirit blood war generals, Lin Feng was undoubtedly the strongest, thus earning the title of the quasi-king. Should General Lin Feng attain the rank of king, humanity would gain another unparalleled powerhouse, which would undoubtedly be the best news in the face of increasingly harsh living conditions for humankind. Yet, the transition from high-level war general to king, while merely a single rank apart, is fraught with challenges. Ascending to kingship requires not only advancement in cultivation and enlightenment, but also the indispensable support of rare treasures of heaven and earth. Recently, news had emerged from the Seven Wolf Valley regarding the discovery of the Ming-E berry, an essential ingredient for the alchemical concoction needed for ascension to kingship, and it is exceedingly rare. Moreover, the vast expanse of Seven Wolf Valley, spanning over 800 miles, is home to various ferocious beasts, posing significant challenges in the search for the Ming-E berry. Thus, the Eastern Yu General's mansion summoned representatives from various settlements under its jurisdiction, dispatching 2 individuals from each settlement to assist in the search for the Ming-E berry. Although Chen Qiang's cultivation was modest, his speed was an asset, allowing him to swiftly locate help should any crisis arise after finding the Ming-E berry. My lord, what is this kingly power you mentioned? How formidable is it? Chen Qiang regarded Ling Wei's task with indifference. If he could assist, that would be splendid. If not, he would simply do his best. However, the notion of risking his life for some fruit was out of the question. Above all, preserving his life was paramount. Only by safeguarding his life could he fulfill his promise to Sun Da-hu and obtain the banner of General Tian Wei. Therefore, during this time, it was opportune to gain some knowledge regarding cultivation. Chen Qiang, you are now an intermediate blood warrior, a status quite common for someone of your age. After all, many blood warriors awaken their abilities around the age of 10, stepping into the realm of junior blood warriors. Even among senior blood warriors, there are numerous individuals as young as you. However, it is indeed rare for anyone to achieve the rank of a junior spirit blood general before the age of 20. Above the blood warriors lies the spirit blood generals, further classified into 3 tiers. As a senior blood warrior myself, my knowledge regarding the spirit blood generals is somewhat limited. Nonetheless, I have heard that upon reaching the esteemed level of General Lin Feng, one becomes a legendary ruler. A ruler, that is a figure capable of commanding the tides with a mere wave of their hand. I believe that at such a level, one could traverse the realms with unparalleled freedom. Alas, for individuals like us, such lofty dreams are merely the musings of our imagination. For Ling Wei, who is already over 30, attaining the rank of Spirit Blood General in this lifetime would be a tremendous blessing. Yet, Chen Qiang gazed at the distant aspirations painted by Ling Wei with a glimmer of yearning. Although his innate talents may not be exceptional, with the assistance of the system, what could possibly be beyond his reach? Lord Zhang, who had been listening to their conversation, turned his head and scoffed, choosing to ignore them. To him, they were merely 2 blood warriors, narrow-minded and lacking in broader perspectives. He had no interest in enlightening them, finding it dreadfully tedious. After a considerable time, Lord Zhang led Chen Qiang and the others to their destination. Outside a hastily erected tent, nearly 100 individuals had gathered. As the trio arrived, a stoic middle-aged man emerged from within the tent. Xiao Zhang, you are the last to arrive. We have been waiting for quite a while, said Steward Zhao. My apologies for the delay, Lord Zhang replied with a symbolic bow, a gesture that took Chen Qiang by surprise, revealing that Lord Zhang was no ordinary messenger. Steward Zhao waved his hand dismissively. No need for pleasantries. Now that everyone is here, allow me to say a few words. 2 attendants beside him produced a stack of papers, distributing 1 to each person. Please take a good look. This is the appearance of the Ming-E berry, and it is crucial not to confuse it with anything else. As soon as anyone discovers information regarding the Ming-E berry and conveys it promptly, they will have fulfilled their task. The General's Mansion will grant the achiever a significant reward. Furthermore, to encourage everyone, the General's Mansion will initially provide each participant with 5 high-grade beast crystals as remuneration. Regardless of the outcome, each individual will receive the same reward afterward. I must particularly emphasize that due to the numerous dangers within the Seven Wolves Valley, anyone who has not attained the level of Spirit Blood General must not venture too close to the valley's depths. Otherwise, even the might of the General's Mansion cannot guarantee your safety. The papers you have received also outline the general areas for your search, preventing redundant efforts and saving time. Now, please come forward and turn to collect your beast crystals, after which you may enter the valley. Remember, the maturity period for Ming-E berries is within 5 days. So you all have only 5 days. Once the time is up, regardless of success or failure, everyone will reconvene here. After Zhao, the steward, finished speaking, he instructed his guards to distribute a sack of beast crystals. The fact that first-tier high-grade beast crystals were stored in a bag signifies great wealth. Chen Qiang gleefully converted 5 beast crystals into energy points. In the esteemed Eastern Yu General's residence, how could one possibly work without compensation? Quite well, 150 energy points. Sufficient for him to indulge for a while. For Chen Qiang, nothing surpasses the value of beast crystals. They represent energy points, which can be transformed into recovery points, allowing him to absorb the functions of corpses, and they also serve to enhance his physique. Only with a fortified physique can his speed, strength, and other attributes continue to grow. The very thought of having 150 energy points in 5 days stirred a myriad of excitement within him. However, 5 days is merely a brief span, and the area he needed to search was far from the valley's depths, so he should encounter no significant danger. Chen Qiang. Once you enter the valley, remember to prioritize your safety. If you face any peril, utilize your speed advantage and seek help promptly, understood? Before departing, Ling Wei earnestly reminded him once more. Chen Qiang nodded, reassuring, rest assured. Commander, I will ensure my own safety. Xiaozhong, why did you recruit a mid-tier bloodline warrior? Is there not a high-tier bloodline warrior in the Mongshan settlement? Upon seeing Chen Qiang receiving the beast crystals, Zhao the steward inquired, visibly displeased. Steward Zhao, do not underestimate this lad. His speed is remarkable. Even an ordinary high-tier bloodline warrior would struggle to catch him. Oh. Zhao the steward crossed his legs and stroked his chin. If that is the case, I shall see if this young fellow can indeed return alive. Though the Seven Wolves Valley is not classified as highly dangerous, that assessment is applicable only to high-tier bloodline warriors. As for mid-tier bloodline warriors, Chapter 15. Reaping benefits. The Seven Wolves Valley is rumored to be governed by 7 mid-tier moonlight silver wolves at its depths. The Eastern Yu General's residence has attempted several eradications, all ending in failure. Fortunately, these 7 moonlight silver wolves rarely venture out of the valley, otherwise, they would undoubtedly pose significant trouble for the Eastern Yu General's residence. The Seven Wolves Valley rules over an expanse of over 300 miles, and as long as one does not delve into the valley's depths, danger is minimal. The area Chen Qiang and his companions were to search lies within a safe zone. However, upon entering the valley, Chen Qiang had already devised a plan for the 5 days ahead. Although he had no real desire to search for Mingy berries, he couldn't afford to squander these 5 days. After more than 2 hours, while cautiously surveying the potential dangers around him, he made his way toward a plump individual. This was a primary spiritual blood warrior whose scent he had previously memorized. Following closely behind a formidable individual, apart from the inherent safety it provides, the primary advantage lies in the opportunity to absorb the vital essence from the slain beast should the corpulent companion succeed in vanquishing it. Such a splendid chance was not one that Chen Qiang would easily relinquish. After a lengthy wait, he finally caught sight of his hefty ally. To avoid raising suspicion, Chen Qiang halted approximately 500 meters away. The robust warrior, known for his audacity, was secure as long as he did not descend into the valley. Thus his focus was entirely devoted to seeking the elusive Mingy berries, leaving him oblivious to Chen Qiang's presence half a mile away. After a couple of hours, Chen Qiang witnessed the moment he had been anticipating. A colossal serpent, measuring over 10 meters in length, engaged in a fierce battle with his companion. In Chen Qiang's estimation, the serpent possessed a formidable rank of cultivation, though its attributes remained unknown. Concealed from afar, he patiently awaited the conclusion of the skirmish. As expected, within half an hour, the corpulent warrior triumphed over the giant serpent. It was time for Chen Qiang to make his entrance. Elated, he rushed forward. Ah, such a magnificent serpent. My dear brother, your prowess is truly remarkable. I could see your formidable presence from afar as you dispatched this creature with such ease. Truly awe-inspiring. As the hefty warrior turned around, Chen Qiang had already given a thumbs up, lavishly praising him. Since one should not strike a smiling face, the warrior, though initially frowning, soon relaxed. Wow, what a sizable beast crystal. Upon witnessing the beast crystal unearthed from the serpent's head, Chen Qiang's eyes gleamed with envy. The warrior merely curled his lips. While beast crystals were indeed precious, it was clear that Chen Qiang's cultivation marked him as a bloodline warrior. Attempting to seize it from the hefty warrior would be tantamount to courting disaster. Nevertheless, Chen Qiang, despite his desires, lacked the audacity to act, especially knowing that even greater treasures awaited him. My brother, the meat of this great serpent must be delectable, no? As he spoke, Chen Qiang's right hand had already reached out to touch the serpent's body. Humph, want to eat? You handle it yourself. The hefty warrior shot him a disdainful glance, and with a flick of his finger, the 10-meter-long serpent suddenly vanished. Chen Qiang was momentarily taken aback. He had not anticipated the existence of such a storage ring. He resolved to acquire one when the opportunity arose, as it would be incredibly convenient for storing items. Of course, what delighted him even more was the essence he had absorbed from the colossal serpent. Ding! The system detected a recycling target. The high-grade drilling python at the soldier level was successfully reclaimed. Host, Chen Qiang. Level, Intermediate Bloodline Warrior. Energy value, 130. Recycle value, 1. Constitution, 21. Stamina, 28. Strength, 46. Speed, 55. Mental power, 24. Cultivation technique. Minor accomplishment of the heart-piercing blood transformation method. Skills, ambush, sonic detection, minor accomplishment of the Thunder Soul Severing Blade. Entry level of the Sky Trampling 3-Wave Technique, Beast Language, Scent Tracking, entry level of Digging. Bloodlines, primary Poison Flame Bloodline, intermediate Lightning Bloodline, primary Wind Spirit Bloodline. Advanced Flash Gold Bloodline, advanced Earth Bloodline. Although 30 energy points were wasted, tangible benefits were still obtained. However, Chen Qiang was disheartened to discover that such a lengthy python possessed the rather pedestrian skill of digging, and at an entry level, no less. Such a trivial skill. Surely, they wouldn't expect him, a living person, to dig holes. Kid, where's the area you're searching? How did you end up here? You'd best return from whence you came. Even if I find something valuable, it won't be for you. The rotund man declared before turning to leave. Chen Qiang glanced at the man's protruding belly, rolling his eyes inwardly. Wasn't it said that a statesman's belly could accommodate a ship? Yet this hefty fellow possessed a heart as small as a pinprick. Nonetheless, for the sake of safety and to seize a bargain, Chen Qiang steeled his resolve to maintain a thick skin. He trailed far behind the man, hoping that an even more formidable beast would seek trouble with him. Fortune favors the diligent. Within an hour, Chen Qiang witnessed the rotund man spring into action once more. Once the dust settled, he scampered over eagerly. Wow, brother, what treasure is this? Chen Qiang inquired, extending his hand to touch the plump creature from which the man was extracting a beast crystal. His curiosity piqued. Scram, if you keep following me, don't blame me for being rude. The rotund man finally grew impatient with the persistent fly trailing behind him, glaring with eyes wide as saucers and barking his reprimand. Chen Qiang shrank his neck and muttered softly, if you don't want me to follow, then I won't. No need to be angry. Anger is bad for your health. With that, he hung his head and departed. It was clear that following this man was no longer an option in this desolate wilderness. If the rotund man harbored any ill intentions, escaping would not be guaranteed. What frustrated him further was that he had just squandered 30 energy points, only to absorb a mere groundhog. Not only was the bloodline the same, advanced Earth bloodline, but the skill was identical, digging. Moreover, it was a skill at the minor accomplishment level. Damn it, was he destined to seek work as a digger? Alas, 30 energy points vanished just like that. What a stroke of bad luck. Yet, such minor setbacks would not defeat Chen Qiang. The benefits of such ease should certainly be seized. After all, why not take advantage of them? Over the next couple of days, Chen Qiang sought out 2 more advanced bloodline warriors. However, lacking the rank of Spirit Blood General, these advanced warriors, much like himself, dared not recklessly provoke the beasts lurking within the Seven Wolf Valley. Truly, they were a timid bunch. Continuing this pursuit seemed futile. Chen Qiang spat in annoyance and turned to seek his next target. After spending much of the day wandering near an open area, Chen Qiang furrowed his brow. This should be the very spot where that advanced bloodline warrior had appeared. He distinctly recalled the mole on the warrior's jaw. Where could he have vanished? He had no doubts about the scent-tracking abilities of the lightning marten, yet the aroma he remembered had inexplicably dissipated in this vicinity. Taking a few more steps forward, Chen Qiang halted. A patch of deep crimson bloodstains had long since dried, and the surrounding grass lay trampled, evidence of the fierce battle that had transpired here. Danger lurked everywhere. Even the advanced bloodline warriors were not spared, let alone a mere intermediate bloodline warrior like him. Chapter 16. Chen the Deceiver. Since entering the Seven Wolf Valley, Chen Qiang had kept his sound wave detection skill activated, although it drained his mental energy. He deemed this minor cost negligible compared to his life. After discovering the first advanced bloodline warrior who had perished in the valley, Chen Qiang became increasingly cautious and no longer dared to intrude upon others' territories for gain. With half the time already elapsed, enduring for another 2 days would allow him to return. Thus, he found a relatively safe spot beside a rock and settled down. Having reached the intermediate bloodline warrior level, sleep was optional for him. As long as he maintained sufficient vigilance, he could close his eyes here, resting while simultaneously cultivating the heartbreaking blood transformation technique. Since opening 2 meridians under Sun Dehu's guidance, Chen Qiang had not made further progress in his cultivation. Among his peers, some had opened 4 meridians, while he remained stagnant. According to Sun Dehu, to advance from intermediate to advanced bloodline warrior, one must open 4 meridians and have a blood chi radius of half a meter in the Dantian. Only then could the bloodline ascend to the advanced level. For a primary spirit blood general, 8 meridians must be opened, with a blood chi radius of at least 5 square meters. Currently, Chen Qiang's blood chi in the Dantian met the requirements, but he had only opened 2 primary meridians. His next target was the Tying Lung meridian. Gathering a trace of bloodline energy, he thrust it fiercely towards the heart, whereupon the strands of blood chi surged and scattered, with some flowing into the Dantian through the open meridians, while a smaller portion raced towards the nearest Tying Lung meridian. Yet, he still fell just short of success. Although the surge through his bloodline was excruciating, the pain had lessened significantly after the unblocking of 2 meridians, rendering it entirely bearable for Chen Qiang. He shook his head, ready to attempt the surge once more. Slightly opening his eyes into a narrow slit, he noticed a palm-sized giant ant crawling towards him from 2 meters away, aimlessly like a headless fly. This creature was among the weakest of low-level aberrations, subsisting by consuming the blood of other animals. It appeared that this solitary giant ant, oblivious to its peril, had mistaken Chen Qiang for prey. Drawing forth a small knife, he swiftly hurled it at the creature. Such a trivial being did not warrant the use of the broken cloud technique. The overconfident giant ant struggled momentarily before falling still. Chen Qiang approached, retrieved his knife, and casually discarded the ant's lifeless body. However, the instant his right hand made contact with the ant's corpse, regret washed over him. To have squandered 10 energy points on such a worthless creature was vexing. Ding! The system detected a recovery target. Recovery of a high-ranking burrowing python successful. Host, Chen Qiang level. Intermediate bloodline warrior energy value. 90 recovery value. 1 constitution, 21 strength, 47 speed, 55 mental power, 24 technique. Heart-crushing blood transformation, minor success. Skills, ambush. Sonic detection, thunder severing blade, minor success. 3-tiered waves, beginner. Beast language, scent tracking, burrowing, beginner. Remote communication bloodlines. Poison Flame Bloodline, beginner. Thunder Bloodline, intermediate. Wind Spirit Bloodline, beginner. Shimmering Gold Bloodline, advanced. Earth Bloodline, advanced. The 10 energy points recovered from the giant ant held little significance for him, a fact he had long anticipated. Yet, what was this remote communication? While pondering this, a cacophony of voices flooded his mind. Comrades, Little Qiang has discovered a half-dead skunk. Let us gather and revel together. Indeed, there is food for all, and blood to share. Let us go. Yes, our giant ant clan is truly united, neither competing nor quarreling. For this is how we strengthen our kin. Let us go and partake in the skunk's blood, feasting, frolicking, and enjoying a day filled with merriment. Relaxing and sipping blood, what a blissful existence. Following the sound, he observed a throng of 200 to 300 giant ants congregating 50 meters away, surging towards the valley below. To his astonishment, remote communication turned out to be the language of communication among the giant ants. As Chen Qiang turned to sit back upon the stone, a sudden thought struck him. Having lived in the 7-Wolf Valley for so long, might these giant ants possess knowledge of the location of the mini berries? An idea sparked within him, and he could no longer remain seated. Quietly trailing behind the colossal ant colony, I activated the remote communication feature. My companions, have any of you ever encountered the luminous berry? The luminous berry? That fruit is rather unpalatable, and besides, our great ant clan feeds on blood. Who would bother to pick such a thing? Upon hearing the responses, Chen Qiang felt a surge of excitement, a glimmer of hope. However, how could he extract information about the luminous berry from these giant ants? Directly inquiring would undoubtedly raise suspicion, as he was currently conversing with them in the guise of a giant ant. To express a desire for the luminous berry would certainly arouse doubts. After racking his brain, Chen Qiang finally spoke again. Of course, the luminous berry is not tasty. I merely wish to know who has encountered such a thing. I have heard that where the luminous berry grows, there are abundant centipede worms. Ah, the taste of centipede worm blood is simply exquisite. As soon as Chen Qiang finished speaking, a cacophony of chatter erupted. Centipede worms? I have tasted that blood, and indeed, it is quite delightful. The memory lingers even now. Alas, I have never seen where the luminous berry grows, otherwise, I would have gone there by now. Do not heed his nonsense. I have seen where the luminous berry appears, but there are no centipede worms, only a nest of armored weasels. Armored weasels? Those are troublesome creatures. With tough skin and numerous spines. Perhaps we should stick to drinking the blood of skunks instead. Chen Qiang had finally gleaned information about the luminous berry from these small creatures. How could he possibly give up? Thus, he began to weave his charms once more. I believe you are merely fabricating stories. Whether or not you have seen the luminous berry is irrelevant, yet you deceive us into thinking there are armored weasels? Then tell us, how many armored weasels have you seen where the luminous berry grows? I am not lying. I have truly seen it. The fellow earlier was correct. If you have seen it, then how many armored weasels were there? I do not know the exact number, but there is a large armored weasel den, with at least 4 or 5 inside, I believe. Chen Qiang encouraged further. That is even more convincing. I have heard that armored weasels delight in consuming centipede worms. Such delectable centipede worms should not be monopolized by those vile armored weasels. They rightfully belong to our esteemed ant clan. However, armored weasels are indeed quite fearsome. One timid giant ant remarked, garnering agreement from the vast majority of the colony. Chen Qiang scratched his head. a spark of inspiration igniting within him as he employed his persuasive skills. Such cowardly words bring shame upon our ant clan. The armored weasels feast on the centipede worms that rightfully belong to us. Rather than considering resistance, you embolden them and diminish our might. It is because of timid individuals like you that our illustrious ant clan is forced to resort to the fetid blood of skunks. Moreover, there are only 4 or 5 armored weasels. With so many of us giant ants, should we truly fear them? As long as we unite our efforts, those armored creatures will surely tremble in fear at the sight of our formidable army of giant ants. Indeed, with our numbers, how could we possibly fear those few armored beasts? For the sake of savoring the delicious blood of the centipede, we shall strive. Chen Qiang's impassioned words finally stirred the enthusiasm of some giant ants. However, to garner even more support, Chen Qiang continued, my friends, it is not merely the centipede we seek. We must also taste the blood of the armored creatures. I have heard that their blood is a rare delicacy that will greatly aid our ascension as a proud lineage of giant ants. Once we conquer them, we shall feast upon the blood of even more exotic beasts. The armored creatures are but a stepping stone. Our ultimate goal is the entirety of the Seven Wolf Valley. One day, all the beasts of this valley shall become subjects of our noble giant ant clan. Indeed, we, the giant ants, are the most illustrious. The entire Seven Wolf Valley shall be our dominion. I can no longer stand the foul blood of skunks. I crave the blood of centipedes and armored creatures. I yearn for strength. I want the blood of the moonlit silver wolves. A voice, swollen with ambition, echoed through the ranks. Chapter 17. Igniting trouble and desperate flight in the Seven Wolf Valley, the most diminutive of factions, under Chen Qiang's deliberate persuasion, had genuinely come to believe they were the noble and magnificent giant ant clan. A throng of giant ants, buoyed by overwhelming confidence, marched forward with an audacious stride. Along the way, more giant ants joined the ranks, and within a short span, they formed an army as vast as a basketball court. We, the giant ants, are the mightiest. I shall capture a moonlit silver wolf as my steed. I will amass 100 moonlit silver wolves to enrich my harem. Chen Qiang, trailing behind, wiped the sweat from his brow and distanced himself from the giant ants. Had these foolish creatures inflated their confidence to such an extent? If this trend continued, they might indeed seek trouble with the moonlit silver wolves at the valley's depths. He regretted having boasted so excessively. It would be wise to keep his distance to avoid any ensuing chaos. Under the guidance of a giant ant that claimed to have encountered the many berries, the army surged forth, causing other lower-tier beasts to flee in terror. Though these diminutive creatures were weak, the sheer number of nearly 10,000 giant ants created an intimidating presence that sent the others scurrying away. This spectacle only bolstered the confidence of the giant ant army. Huh, did you see that? Those creatures who usually disregard us now flee at the mere sight of our might. Indeed, from this day forth, my noble giant ant clan shall rise. Laughter erupted as they marched forth, unstoppable in their path. After considerable time, the giant ant army finally reached the entrance of a cavern, towering as high as a person. Before the flat and clean entrance of the cave, 2 armored creatures resembling large dogs were frolicking and playing. Upon seeing a sudden swarm of gigantic ants approaching, they widened their eyes in alarm and trembled slightly. The army of giant ants also halted upon encountering the 2 armored beings. In the past, such a reckless approach to the armored creature's lair would have been tantamount to courting death. However, to their astonishment, the 2 armored beings exhibited signs of fear upon sighting them, igniting a surge of courage among the ants. Huh, it seems we were mistaken all along. Do you see? These armored creatures fear us. Indeed, these diminutive armored beings are insignificant before my noble ant kin. Fellow companions, what are we waiting for? Charge! In a fervor of reckless enthusiasm, the confident swarm of giant ants surged toward the 2 armored creatures. With a squeal, the 2 armored beings retreated slightly, urgently calling out. Suddenly, a resounding rumble erupted from within the cave. A colossal armored creature, as large as a bull, rolled forth like a cannonball. Seeing the advancing army of ants, the massive armored creature's eyes turned crimson, its spine standing erect like arrows, and it curled its body into a ball, rolling toward the giant ants. Chen Qiang, trailing behind, stood agape at the spectacle before him. With a single roll, thousands of ants were crushed to a pulp, and on nearly every spine of the armored creature, numerous ant corpses dangled. Without pause, the massive armored creature rolled again, claiming yet more ants. In less than a minute, the ant army was nearly annihilated. The remaining few dozen ants fled for their lives, cursing as they ran. It's over. It's over. My noble ant clan has nearly faced extinction. That armored creature is too powerful. Damn it. Where has that boastful fool gone? I curse him to be crushed to dust by the armored creature. What a loss for my ant kin, nearly 10,000 of us. Perhaps we were mistaken from the outset. We should return to drink the blood of skunks in humble submission. After several rolls, the massive armored creature came to a halt, shaking off the ant bodies that fell like a dark rain. Simultaneously, Chen Qiang, equally stunned, noticed the cold gaze of the giant armored creature fixed intently upon him. Run, run, run. Though there were still over 200 meters between them, Chen Qiang sensed an even greater menace emanating from the massive armored creature than from the previous larger lightning weasel. This creature was undoubtedly a formidable beast. As waves crashed upon waves, Chen Qiang found himself suddenly 500 meters away. Glancing back, he was astounded to see the massive armored creature rolling after him. Its speed unwavering. Like a rumbling steamroller, it flattened everything in its path, be it shrubs or low trees. Even the occasional boulders obstructing the path were mercilessly reduced to dust by that sharp, steel-like ferocity. Damn it, these wretched giant ants, in their quest to aid him in locating the Mingy berries, have inadvertently summoned such a formidable beast. Escaping from this predicament is likely to be no easy feat moreover. In the vicinity of his current route, there were no initial-tier spirit blood warriors to seek assistance from. As Chen Qiang fled for his life, he glanced back occasionally, noting that the enraged armored beast would not relent until it had pursued him relentlessly. With the distance between them diminishing, Chen Qiang's anxiety heightened. After a careful observation, he discerned that the armored beast was pursuing him primarily by rolling. Presently, he was descending a slope, which was exceedingly advantageous for the creature. By curling into a ball, it transformed into a spiked sphere, gaining speed down the incline. Chen Qiang inwardly cursed himself for having been so preoccupied with fleeing that he failed to consider the terrain, inadvertently choosing a path most favorable for the armored beast. Realizing this, he abruptly halted his escape and veered off at an angle. However, to his astonishment, the rolling armored beast sensed his change of direction and rolled toward him as well. Damn! Witnessing this, Chen Qiang was drenched in cold sweat, cursing under his breath. He resumed his descent. Continuing in this manner would inevitably lead to his capture by the armored beast. As he sprinted, he scanned his surroundings. Eureka! 300 meters ahead, behind a massive rock, lay a natural depression, accompanied by dense underbrush. Chen Qiang unleashed the heavenly three-stage wave, darting forward twice before coming to a sudden stop, swiftly lying down in the small pit while activating both the sting and sonic exploration functions. The rolling armored beast halted about 20 to 30 meters away, sniffing the air. Chen Qiang, in a state of concealment, felt a pang of anxiety. Could the beast also possess a scent tracking ability? With this thought, he adjusted his body's functions to the lowest possible state, resembling a state of deadness. Moments later, having failed to locate Chen Qiang, the armored beast, in a fit of rage, stomped its hooves in frustration. Yet, this very act of stomping attracted an even more terrifying creature. A howl. Chapter 18. Unintentionally entering forbidden grounds in the darkness of night, a haunting call echoed, causing the armored beast to tremble violently. In its fervor to pursue, it had unwittingly crossed into the forbidden territory of the Seven Wolf Valley. Meanwhile, Chen Qiang, lying in the pit, regained his composure and recognized the dire situation. Succumbing to fear as well, the mid-tier Moonlight Silver Wolf, a creature that even the Eastern General's mansion could not contend with, posed a grave threat to someone as insignificant as a mid-tier bloodline warrior. In an instant, a lightning-like shadow, accompanied by the might of thunder, appeared before the quaking armored beast, rooted in place. Though it was merely a low-tier beast, the colossal Moonlight Silver Wolf stood majestically, exuding an air of dominance as it gazed down upon the iron-armored weasel, instilling an invisible pressure upon it. Driven by an instinctual will to survive, the iron-armored weasel immediately curled into a spiked ball and rolled swiftly towards the valley's exit. The Moonlight Silver Wolf remained unimpressed, its blood-red jaws parting to unleash a beam of light, a span of over a foot, directed at the rolling creature. Although Chen Qiang had retracted his mental energy, his sonic detection remained active. Within his range, that white light surged forward, striking the cumbersome iron-armored weasel with such force that it was sent soaring into the air. In midair, a torrential downpour of blood accompanied the iron-armored weasel's ascent. In a single, devastating blow, the highly defensive creature was cleaved in two by the Moonlight Silver Wolf. With a graceful leap, the Moonlight Silver Wolf appeared before the utterly defeated iron-armored weasel, lowering its head for a moment before raising a paw to prod at the blade-like spikes, seemingly at a loss for how to consume its prey. After letting out another howl, it vanished into the depths of the valley. 3 full hours later, Chen Qiang finally exhaled in relief. The formidable Moonlight Silver Wolf was an overwhelming force. Even with his stealth ability, he could not guarantee he would remain undetected. It was not until the latter part of the night that he cautiously began to crawl out of the valley. The short distance from the treacherous terrain to the corpse of the iron-armored weasel took him nearly an hour. After all, this was still the forbidden zone of the Seven Wolf Valley, and he had to tread carefully. As he passed by the carcass of the iron-armored weasel, Chen Qiang paused. He had never seen the beast crystal of a low-tier creature before. After much internal struggle, the allure of the Tier 2 primary beast crystal proved too great, and he resolved to take it. Naturally, he dared not carry away both halves of the corpse, opting instead for the portion still attached to the head. With such a considerable burden, Chen Qiang moved with even greater caution. Each time he made a move, he would pause, fearful of attracting the attention of the moonlight silver wolf within the Seven Wolf Valley. Though the beast crystal was precious, it paled in comparison to his life. The journey of merely 4 miles out of the forbidden zone consumed nearly 2 days of his time. At last, having safely exited the forbidden territory of the Seven Wolf Valley, Chen Qiang seized the half-corpse of the iron-armored weasel and fled frantically until he reached a flat, open area, where he finally paused. Just moments ago, he had successfully absorbed the half-corpse of the iron-armored weasel. However, he had expended all his energy and recovery value in the process. With no time to assess the results of his absorption, Chen Qiang drew his knife and aimed for the head of the iron-armored weasel. However, this time, his knife found no purchase. With a snap, the blade gifted to him by Captain Shi broke, reflecting upon the beam of light that had slain the iron-armored weasel. Chen Qiang felt a surge of dread. The formidable iron-armored beast, impervious even to his small blade, was effortlessly cleaved asunder by the radiant beam of the moonlight silver wolf, truly a display of overwhelming strength. With a swift motion, he drew forth the blade named Broken Cloud and struck fiercely at the beast's head. This action did not disappoint. A beast crystal, the size of a billiard ball, rolled away from the creature's carcass, and Chen Qiang absorbed it without hesitation. The system interface underwent another transformation. Host, Chen Qiang level. Intermediate bloodline warrior energy value, 90 recovery value, 1 physique, 25 strength, 51 speed, 55 mental power, 24 cultivation technique, heart-crushing blood transformation, minor success, skills, lurking, sonic detection, thunderstorm soul-cutting blade, minor success, sky surfing triple waves, entry level, beast language, scent tracking, digging, minor success, remote communication bloodlines, poison flame bloodline, beginner, thunder bloodline, intermediate. Wind Spirit Bloodline, Beginner, Flash Gold Spirit Bloodline, Beginner, Earth Bloodline, Advanced. Chen Qiang's eyes sparkled with delight. He had not anticipated that defeating this initial stage iron-armored beast would elevate his Flash Gold Bloodline to the spirit level and significantly bolster his physique. Of course, this absorption also imparted upon him the knowledge that a second-tier low-level beast crystal could provide him with 100 energy points, and absorbing creatures of the same level would similarly consume an equivalent amount of energy. What disheartened him, however, was the realization that his digging skill had remarkably reached minor success. At this rate, would he truly become a burrower like the iron-armored beasts and rodents? As this thought crossed his mind, his hands involuntarily began to mimic digging motions. Goodness, how fortunate that no one witnessed this. Otherwise, they might perceive him as a monster. Chen Qiang quickly dismissed these peculiar thoughts and resumed wielding Broken Cloud to carve the flesh from the iron-armored beast's body. On this half-carcass of the iron-armored beast, aside from the beast crystal, the most valuable assets were undoubtedly its sharp spines. Even the moonlight silver wolf was reluctant to approach these dangerous protrusions, which could very well serve as excellent materials for weapon forging. Although Chen Qiang lacked the skill to forge weapons, trading them for a few beast crystals should pose no problem. Alas, the loss of that half-carcass was regrettable, sigh. Despite his lamentation, with tenfold courage, he would not dare to return. His love for wealth was evident, yet he was not foolish. If the ruler of the Seven Wolf Valley were to discover him, even 10 lives would not suffice. Draping the massive half-skin of the iron-armored beast around himself, Chen Qiang conceived a new plan. Though his size was somewhat diminished, surely he could deceive those 2 small, iron-armored beasts. He chuckled to himself. At the entrance of the iron-armored beast's den, nearly 10,000 giant ant corpses had been completely consumed by the small, iron-armored beasts. As Chen Qiang, disguised as a large iron-armored beast, approached with his head lowered, the 2 small, iron-armored beasts excitedly rolled towards him. However, midway through their approach, they halted, perhaps sensing an unfamiliar scent that sparked their suspicion. However, the short distance posed no challenge for Chen Qiang when confronting 2 low-level iron-armored beasts. Shedding his beast skin, Chen Qiang wielded the prepared Duanyun, executing a horizontal strike reminiscent of a dragon's claw. As the 2 upright iron-armored beasts attempted to retract, they were swiftly met with Chen Qiang's blade, which sliced through their bellies until it clashed against the hard spines on their backs, producing a metallic clang. Given his current cultivation, Even the sharpest edge of Duanyun could not sever the beast's formidable spines. Having effortlessly dispatched the two iron-armored beasts, Chen Qiang deliberately retrieved the beast crystals with his left hand to prevent the system from absorbing the corpses through his right. After all, the low-level beasts had lost any substantial value, and he sought merely the two beast crystals, successfully converting the energy into the system. Chen Qiang turned his gaze toward the nearly human-height cave entrance. What treasures might lie within? Chapter 19. A bounty of riches. Though he was nearly certain there were no further threats, the ever-cautious Chen Qiang remained vigilant. He first employed his sound wave detection ability to survey the cave's interior. Caution breeds safety. Indeed, after his examination, he discovered the presence of another iron-armored beast within the cave. However, this particular beast was smaller and entirely oblivious to the recent skirmish, busily gnawing on something in a corner. After discarding the corpses of the two beasts, Chen Qiang donned a piece of iron-armored beast hide and ventured further into the cave. Within less than 5 meters, the cavern expanded to a spacious 10 square meters. Frowning, Chen Qiang covered his nose. Despite the absence of meat, the air was thick with the scent of decaying flesh, a remnant of the beast's carnivorous nature. The small iron-armored beast in the corner, no larger than a rabbit and seemingly recently born, perked up upon noticing Chen Qiang's hide and began to chirp joyfully. Crawling toward him, such an adorable creature. It was the most endearing being Chen Qiang had encountered since his arrival in this realm. He hurried toward it. But as he noticed what the little creature was munching on, his expression soured, a pang of distress striking his heart. Little one, spit that out. It's not good for you. With quick reflexes, Chen Qiang snatched a half-eaten beast crystal from the creature's mouth, feeling a twinge of sympathy. However, upon noticing the myriad of colorful beast crystals shimmering beside the little one, a grin involuntarily spread across his face. Fortune smiled upon him. The little creature, catching a whiff of a familiar scent, attempted to approach Chen Qiang, only to be taken aback as its food was snatched away, along with all its snacks. It immediately protested with indignant squeaks. Though its movements were slow, the little beast managed to wrest 2 beast crystals from Chen Qiang's grasp. 2 beast crystals equated to 20 energy points. Struggling to rise above the poverty line, Chen Qiang once again showcased his shamelessness to the fullest extent. With a gentle smile adorning his face, Chen Qiang presented the half-eaten beast crystal to the little creature before him. Dear child, this is rather delightful. Shall we trade? Noticing the creature's indifference, Chen Qiang shamelessly persisted. You must understand, some good habits ought to be cultivated from a young age. Wasting is certainly not a commendable practice. In that moment, he resembled the cunning wolf deceiving the overly cheerful sheep. Perhaps it was the aura of the half-shredded armored beast's skin that prompted the little one to twitch its adorable nose, ultimately offering Chen Qiang a beast crystal in exchange for the half he held. Should he attempt to procure another? Chen Qiang felt conflicted. He simply could not bring himself to harm such a charming little creature. Never mind. You may keep that beast crystal as a snack. Ultimately, he relinquished the 10 energy points. Am I not rather kind-hearted? One must not descend to the level of a beast, he mused, justifying his own actions as he sauntered outside, unperturbed. The little creature, having extracted the half of the beast crystal from its mouth, chirped plaintively, casting a look of reproach toward Chen Qiang. Perhaps due to its limited intellect, Chen Qiang, fluent in beast language, found himself utterly unable to comprehend its utterances. You don't intend to follow me, do you? Observing the little one's reluctant demeanor stirred a sense of compassion within him. With the entire family of armored beasts annihilated, this little one would likely struggle to survive alone. Very well, I shall take you with me, but there will be no beast crystals to feast upon. Chen Qiang approached and cradled the little creature in his arms as he exited the cave. The young armored beast, with its spikes not yet sharp, posed no discomfort in his embrace. However, upon emerging from the cave, Chen Qiang noticed several green, walnut-sized nuts adorning the creature's spikes. He plucked one and tasted it. Yuck! Truly unappetizing. After spitting out a couple of mouthfuls, he offered the remaining nuts to the little creature. You may eat these instead. The little one, capable of consuming even the hardest of beast crystals, devoured the nuts with gusto. Indeed, from now on, you shall feast upon nuts. Beast crystals are dreadful. Perhaps you could part with that last beast crystal for me? As he strolled along, he playfully teased the little creature, hoping to coax the final beast crystal from it. Yet, the little one clung tightly to its prize, resolutely refusing to release it. With no other option, Chen Qiang surrendered. Among the beast crystals he had collected, there were also several intermediate and high-tier ones, which propelled his energy value to a remarkable 2,740. Ding! Energy value has reached the threshold for synthesizing an intermediate fusion card. The system will automatically synthesize. The synthesis of the intermediate fusion card was successful, resulting in the successful merging of the host's bloodline. Host, Chen Qiang level. Intermediate bloodline warrior energy value. 1740 recovery value. 1 physique. 25 strength. 51 speed. 55 mental power. 24 cultivation technique. Heart-destroying blood transformation technique. Minor accomplishment. Skills. Ambush. Sound wave detection. Heavenly thunder soul. Severing blade. Minor accomplishment. 3 layered waves of sky. Entry level. Beast language. Scent tracking. Digging. Minor accomplishment. Remote communication bloodlines. Dark bloodline. Intermediate. Primordial bloodline. Advanced. Note: the advanced fusion card requires 100,000 energy points. The host is urged to enhance energy values promptly. The intermediate fusion card astonishingly merged his 5 bloodlines into 2 entirely new ones, of which he had never heard before. Could this be the fabled mutated bloodline? However, after experiencing the 2 new bloodlines, Chen Qiang felt quite satisfied. Although he had squandered 1,000 energy points, he could now utilize both bloodlines separately, preventing others from perceiving him as a monster. Nevertheless, the thought of needing 100,000 energy points for the advanced fusion card gave him a headache. Moreover, he required a substantial amount of beast crystals. As he assessed the sky, Chen Qiang quickened his pace. According to their agreement, today marked the final deadline. If he did not return soon, Butler Zhao and the others would leave without him. Despite failing to find any news about the mini berry, his 5-day journey had yielded significant rewards. In addition to the over 2,000 energy points added to his system panel, his abilities in various aspects had greatly improved. Opportunities and dangers have always coexisted. Such chances are rare at the Man Mountain settlement. To survive in this world fraught with unknown peril, one must continuously venture forth to foster growth. As the 5 days elapsed, outside the temporary tents beyond the 7 Wolf Valley, bloodline warriors and spirit blood generals returned intermittently. However, judging by the expressions of those who came back, there was still no news of the mini berry. Butler Zhao paced nervously, occasionally casting hopeful glances toward the returning warriors, but alas, the responses he received were all disheartened. Sigh, with just half the time remaining until the agreed moment, it appears our mission will remain unfulfilled. Butler Zhao lamented helplessly. Butler Zhao, the time has not yet elapsed. We still possess hope. There are still over 20 individuals yet to return. Perhaps they will bring good news, one of his loyal guards suggested. Butler Zhao glanced at his companion and shook his head. No need to comfort me. Who doesn't know the perilous nature of the 7 Wolf Valley? On the very first day of our entry, we heard of a warrior's sacrifice. After 5 days, if 80 or 90 out of 100 can return safely, that would be commendable. Should any reckless individual inadvertently trespass into the territory of the Moonlight Silver Wolf, their fate would be sealed. Surely not. Butler Zhao, we have clearly marked the boundaries of the forbidden area. There should be no one crossing over. Humph. Have you not heard those who returned speak of the howls of wolves echoing from the 7 Wolves Valley 3 days ago? The countenance of those accompanying Steward Zhao changed drastically upon hearing this. The infamous Silver Wolf was a name most had heard of. They could only wonder which unfortunate soul had ventured into its territory. Lord Zhang, have you seen Chen Qiang from our Manga Mountain settlement? Ling Wei, bearing a fresh wound upon his face, anxiously scanned the surroundings and grasped Lord Zhang's arm in desperation. Lord Zhang sighed and shook his head. Steward Zhao furrowed his brow and inquired, Young Zhang, is he the intermediate bloodline warrior you once praised? Lord Zhang nodded solemnly. Yes, it is my fault. I should never have allowed him to accompany us. Such a promising talent wasted. Let it be. Do not despair. Over the past 2 years, the losses at our Dongyue General S estate have escalated. It has become customary to lose hundreds, even thousands, of bloodline warriors each year. Perhaps that wolf howl 3 days prior was summoned by that reckless lad. As they spoke, one of the attendants besides Steward Zhao pointed toward an approaching figure in the distance. Steward Zhao, look. It seems to be an iron-armored beast. Chapter 20. A chance encounter. Steward Zhao focused intently, his brow furrowing slightly. Judging by its size, it appeared to be a soldier tier iron-armored beast. However, its sharp spine suggested it might be of the general tier. Upon hearing the term general tier iron-armored beast, the crowd immediately tensed. With only a few spirit blood warriors remaining unperturbed, their faces alight with battle fervor. Everyone, remain calm. Being an intermediate spirit blood warrior himself, Steward Zhao steadied his voice. With me here, what is there to fear? Young Zhang, go and investigate. Lord Zhang nodded, and in a flash, he was 50 to 60 meters away. Upon landing again, he discerned that the so-called iron-armored beast was merely a half-torn beast skin. Is that you? As Lord Zhang recognized the figure before him, astonishment escaped his lips. Chen Qiang raised his head, equally surprised to see Lord Zhang. He had finally emerged from the 7 Wolves Valley, just in time for the agreed rendezvous. Steward Zhao, it is Chen Qiang, from the Manga Mountain settlement. Lord Zhang exclaimed loudly. wishing not only for Chen Qiang's safe return, but also to demonstrate to Steward Zhao that his judgment was not in vain. Within 5 days, 12 of the advanced bloodline warriors dispatched by the Dongyue General's estate, along with over 100 spirit blood warriors, had been lost. Yet, Chen Qiang, of merely intermediate bloodline status, had managed to return unscathed, a veritable miracle. Upon confirming Chen Qiang's identity, Steward Zhao did not exhibit any overt surprise. After all, their mission in the Seven Wolves Valley was to locate the Mingyi berries, and failing to accomplish this would mark their greatest defeat. What shall we do? Steward Zhao. Perhaps we should attempt to re-enter. One of the loyal guards suggested, unwilling to accept defeat. Alas, it is settled. 5 days is 5 days. And this is the general's directive. Although the Mingyi berries are precious and rare, the lives of our warriors hold equal importance. If it weren't for the insistence of the crowd, the esteemed general would not have consented to our departure. General Lin cannot bear to see any more bloodline warriors from the Dongyue General's mansion suffer losses. But what about the elixir for the general's ascension to kingship? Even if we were to sacrifice ourselves, if it enables the general to ascend, it would be worth it. Enough said. Steward Zhao declared decisively. If no one emerges in 5 minutes, we shall retreat. Lord Zhang, accompanied by Chen Qiang, swiftly returned to the tent, only to be surrounded by several junior bloodline warriors. Well, young lad, is that the hide of a general-level initial iron-armored beast? Where did you procure it? Don't tell me you hunted it yourself. An intermediate bloodline warrior killing a general-level initial iron-armored beast? Surely you jest. Chen Qiang chuckled. I was fortunate to find it in the valley, though regrettably, only half of the hide remains. Had I not feared the moonlight silver wolf's appearance, I would have brought back the entirety. What? Chen Qiang, are you saying you were near when that wolf howled 3 days ago? This iron-armored beast was killed by the moonlight silver wolf? Chen Qiang nodded. Indeed. I was quite far away, but it was perilous. I only retrieved this half of the hide after the moonlight silver wolf had left for quite some time. The crowd regarded Chen Qiang as if he were a curiosity. Who would have thought this young lad was so brazenly reckless for wealth? Any one of them, no matter how greedy, would not dare to gamble with their life by venturing near a wolf's den for profit. However, this half-hide of the iron-armored beast is certainly a valuable find. Even just the spikes could fetch a handsome price. So, young lad, will you sell it? Well, it should be worth at least 10 intermediate first-level beast crystals. How about it, little brother? You might as well sell it to me since you have no use for it anyway. Chen Qiang glanced at the grinning rotund man, inwardly scoffing. This man had been quite stingy in Seven Wolf Valley and had shown him little kindness. The price for this half-hide was surely far beyond what he claimed. As expected, another junior bloodline warrior stepped forward, offering a higher bid. Rotund man, how dare you mention such a price? Little brother, sell it to me. I will offer 8 advanced first-level beast crystals. Chen Qiang's heart leaped. He had not anticipated that this half-hide would be worth so many beast crystals. 8 advanced first-level beast crystals amounted to 240 energy points. Just as he was about to nod in agreement, Ling Wei, who had been observing him intently, called out. Chen Qiang, what are you holding? It seems to be alive. Chen Qiang nodded, placing the little creature on the ground. The entire brood of iron-armored beasts has perished. This little one is all that remains. I found it adorable and decided to bring it back. His words immediately attracted the attention of the onlookers, including Steward Zhao. However, the expressions of those gathered were not one of affection, but rather a peculiar gaze directed at Chen Qiang. It was Ling Wei who could no longer contain himself and spoke up. Chen Qiang, how can you regard a monstrous creature as a pet? Are you not aware that we are sworn enemies of these beasts? Countless valiant warriors of our kind have perished at the jaws of these creatures each year. And yet you engage in such folly. Chen Qiang opened his mouth, but refrained from defending himself. He understood the words of Ling Wei. However, he found it truly difficult to harm such a small, harmless creature. Casting a glance at the timid little being, he silently sighed. Forgive me, little one. It is unfortunate that our natures are destined to be at odds. Before the gathered assembly, Ling Wei reprimanded Chen Qiang a few times, drawing forth his blade as he spoke. You must remember, kindness should not be indiscriminately displayed. If you cannot bring yourself to act, allow me to take your place. With that, Ling Wei raised his sword to strike. Wait, exclaimed Steward Zhao, interposing his hand to seize the weapon from Ling Wei. He cast an intrigued glance at Chen Qiang, then at the creature on the ground. This is troubling. Surely, Steward Zhao is not going to compel me to take action. Chen Qiang's gaze faltered, and a sense of aversion towards the arrogant steward began to swell within him. This scene reminded him of a war movie from a previous life, where a commander would ruthlessly practice his subordinates' resolve by sacrificing lives. At this moment, Chen Qiang felt a twinge of regret. Perhaps it would have been better to leave the little creature to fend for itself, for even allowing it to perish naturally would be preferable to dying by the blade. To his surprise, After returning the knife to Ling Wei, Steward Zhao crouched down and greeted the little creature with a smile. The creature, already timid under the scrutiny of the crowd, retreated further upon receiving Zhao's friendly gesture, clutching Chen Qiang's pant leg with its two adorable little paws while it emitted a series of squeaks. Zhao's demeanor also left the onlookers astonished. Within the General's residence, who could rival the ferocity of Zhao, save for General Lin Feng when it comes to slaying monsters? Yet, what has come over him now? The expression on his face suggests he has encountered his own flesh and blood. Paying no heed to the astonished gazes surrounding him, Zhao scooped up the still-resisting creature and cradled it in his arms. Chen Qiang, was it? Ling Wei was correct in his assertion. We must not show unwarranted compassion towards these beasts. Many of them, upon gaining intelligence, exploit our goodwill to turn against us. Therefore, we must exercise caution. While Chen Qiang nodded in acknowledgement, he remained unconvinced. He was well acquainted with the fables of the farmer and the serpent, as well as that of Dong Gua and the wolf from his childhood. He understood these lessons. However, the little creature before him posed no threat. He was a man, not a monster, and could not bring himself to harm a life devoid of danger. Unbeknownst to Zhao, who continued to speak, he absent-mindedly stroked the creature's fur. However, matters are seldom absolute. Much like this little armored creature before us, devoid of intelligence and moral understanding, with careful nurturing, it may very well evolve into a valuable ally for our human race in the future. Do not believe me? Look here. As he spoke, Steward Zhao plucked the remaining 2 nuts from the spikes on the little creature's back. Steward Zhao, this thing is hardly palatable. It's bitter and astringent. Chen Qiang kindly cautioned. What? You've tasted it? Exclaimed Steward Zhao, who had been smiling moments before, now gripping Chen Qiang by the collar with one hand while cradling the little creature with the other. Ah, yes, Chen Qiang stammered, taken aback by Steward Zhao's sudden frenzy. Profligate, do you comprehend what this is? This is the Mingy berry I tasked you to find. Lord Zhang released Chen Qiang, lamenting deeply as he stomped his foot. Chapter 21. 2 choices Mingy berry? The crowd gasped in unison. Naturally, the most astonished of all was Chen Qiang. No matter how he racked his brain, he could not have anticipated that the nuts he had given to the little creature as a snack were, in fact, the very Mingy berries sought for this mission. Observing Steward Zhao's reaction, Chen Qiang hesitated to confess that he had already fed 5 Mingy berries to the little creature. Wait a moment. Steward Zhao. The image you provided us shows the Mingy berry differently. One individual interjected, producing the picture distributed by Steward Zhao for comparison. The color was indeed inconsistent. The berries in the drawing were black. Alas, this is all my fault. Steward Zhao lamented, holding up a Mingy berry with a wry smile. The Mingy berry is a rare find. Once the ripening period passes, it is swiftly harvested. Who would have thought that the Mingy berries on this armored creature had aged remarkably? Judging by their color, these must be at least 15 or 16 years old, far superior to the mature Mingy berries. After Steward Zhao's explanation, the crowd began to comprehend the situation. So, does this mean our mission is accomplished? The corpulent blood warrior exclaimed in delight. Steward Zhao nodded with a smile. Not only have we completed it, but we have also secured 2 berries. If only I had been more precise with the markings on the image. Regardless, the mission was deemed successful and, in fact, exceeded expectations. Everyone would receive a reward. Come. Distribute the remaining beast crystals. A nearby attendant produced a pouch of beast crystals. As Steward Zhao addressed Chen Qiang, he said, Chen Qiang, you should sell the half of the armored creature's hide to our general's manor. Given your current capabilities, you would struggle to find someone to refine it, and it would serve little purpose to keep it. Rest assured, you will not be shortchanged, in addition to your previous rewards. I shall grant you 21st tier high-grade beast crystals. Chen Qiang, not one to refuse, accepted the beast crystals, and simultaneously, the energy value on his system panel surged by 600, reaching a total of 2,340. With the beast crystals in hand, Chen Qiang gazed eagerly at Steward Zhao once more. He clearly remembers that 5 days ago, Butler Zhao proclaimed that whoever finds the Mingy berries would receive a grander reward, preferably a beast crystal, and an advanced one at that. If one seeks to swiftly enhance their cultivation, beast crystals are currently the most effective means. Butler Zhao appeared to be unhurried, perhaps deliberately so, after distributing the beast crystals. He playfully engaged with the little creature for a while, before casting a meaningful glance at Chen Qiang. Are you contemplating raising this little one yourself? You may find yourself sorely disappointed. However, rest assured, I shall not harm it now, nor in the future. I intend to take it back to the general's residence, where it will be properly trained to suppress its beastly instincts. Upon hearing this, Chen Qiang's expression fell, although he felt somewhat reluctant to part with the little creature. What weighed on his mind was the grand reward that Butler Zhao had previously promised. Beast crystals. Ha ha, enough teasing. Butler Zhao handed the little creature over to his personal guard and smiled, saying, "How could the general's residence fail to fulfill its promises? Fear not. The benefits I assured you will undoubtedly be granted. However, there are now two options for you to choose from. The first is to serve as a personal guard to the general, and the second is to be recommended by the general's residence to attend the Xuanwu Academy for further studies. You may choose your path. Where shall you go?" With that, Butler Zhao slowly settled into the chair behind him, gently tapping his fingers on his lap. Wow, serving as the general's personal guard? To be by the general's side is an unparalleled honor. Even a fool would know which option to select. A position at the general's residence would likely yield at least 21st-tier advanced beast crystals each month. Yet, that is not the only consideration. The Xuanwu Academy is also an excellent choice. Aside from the Dongyue general's residence, the other general residences have limited annual quotas for admission into the Xuanwu Academy, making the opportunity to study there even rarer. Chen Qiang, who had been eagerly anticipating the beast crystals, found himself instead presented with two choices from Butler Zhao. He longed to lean in and beseech Butler Zhao for thousands of mid-tier beast crystals. Confused about the two options laid before him, he felt utterly lost. In desperation, he cast a pleading glance towards Ling Wei. Ling Wei's eyes sparkled. He undoubtedly understood the advantages of the two choices presented by Butler Zhao. Sensing Chen Qiang's helplessness, he quickly whispered in explanation, "Chen Qiang, serving by the general's side guarantees undeniable benefits. Not only will there be opportunities for promotion, but the annual salary alone is enviable. More importantly, it is a symbol of status. What about the Xuanwu Academy?" Chen Qiang furrowed his brow and inquired further. Do you wish to attend the Xuanwu Academy? That is also a commendable choice. The four great academies of our human race, Qinglong, Baihu, Zhuke, and Xuanwu, are considered the foremost institutions for cultivating the martial prowess of humanity. Moreover, countless individuals aspire to further their studies within, yet only a select few manage to gain admission. This place is a congregation of the finest talents among the human race. Graduates from the four prestigious academies possess a 50% chance of ascending to the rank of a king. Our esteemed General Lin Feng was once a student at the Xuanwu Academy. However, it is imperative to understand that not every student who enters the Xuanwu Academy is destined to become a king. Some may meet their untimely demise before graduation. Untimely demise? Chen Qiang was taken aback. Is there truly danger in merely pursuing further education? The Xuanwu Academy is not a sanctuary for the idle. The survival plight of humanity requires no elaboration. Gaining entry into the Xuanwu Academy merely provides an opportunity to reach the pinnacle. As for how far one can progress, that depends entirely on the individual student's performance. Butler Zhao rose from his chair, speaking coldly. Then, Butler Zhao, allow me to pose one final question. What is the minimum cultivation level of the personal guards surrounding the general? Why do you ask this? Though puzzled, Butler Zhao glanced at his personal guards and replied, "Do you see those two? They are my guards, both of whom possess the cultivation of junior spirit blood warriors." The two guards behind Butler Zhao stood proudly, yet when they caught Chen Qiang's gaze, they revealed a longing. This clearly indicated the immense allure of being a general's guard to them. As for the guards by the general's side, they have all attained the rank of intermediate spirit blood warriors. Once Butler Zhao finished speaking, Chen Qiang, without a moment's hesitation, declared, "Then I understand. Butler Zhao, in that case, I wish to choose the second option." Haha, I knew you would choose that. Could you repeat that? Butler Zhao, mid-laughter, turned in surprise. Chen Qiang enunciated clearly, "I said, I wish to attend the Xuanwu Academy." Chapter 22. The Heavenly Might Battle Team. Zhang Yuan. Chen Qiang's choice was entirely unexpected for everyone present. Chen Qiang, are you quite all right? The general's personal guard. Wasn't I clear enough before? If not, I can elaborate further. As the leader of the Mingshan settlement, he took pride in having such a prominent figure emerge from his domain, and thus he had endeavored to articulate the advantages of being a general's guard in great detail. Yet, he could not have anticipated that, despite this, Chen Qiang would forego such a promising future in favor of the Xuanwu Academy. Leader, there is no need for further explanation. I have already made my choice. Chen Qiang stated resolutely. Oh, would you care to share the reasoning behind your choice? Once his emotions steadied, Butler Zhao inquired with a smile. He believed Chen Qiang was not foolish. But the allure of being a general's guard was so great that Chen Qiang's rejection piqued his curiosity. Quite simply, it is due to a promise made to an elder. Chen Qiang turned his face towards Ling Wei and spoke solemnly, "My lord, I understand the advantages of being by the general's side, but I once promised grandfather's son that I would enter the Dongyue general's mansion in the future. Isn't that perfect? You can fulfill that promise now." No. Just now, Steward Zhao mentioned that the personal guards beside the general must be at least intermediate spirit blood warriors. Yet I am merely an intermediate blood warrior. Even if I were to enter the general's mansion as a personal guard, aside from the prestige of the position. What else would I gain? What I promised grandfather Sun was not just to enter the general's mansion, but to seize the Tianwei general's banner. Chen Qiang's gaze was resolute as he clenched his right fist against his chest. The Tianwei general's banner? This time, it was not Ling Wei or Steward Zhao who spoke, but Lord Zhang, his words dripping with disdain. Lord Zhang shot a cold glance at Chen Qiang, his eyes devoid of any emotion. Just as Chen Qiang was engulfed in confusion, Steward Zhao chuckled. Chen Qiang, you actually know about the Tianwei general's banner? Do you know who Xiao Zhang is? Let me inform you, he is Zhang Yuan, the current acting captain of the Tianwei general's battle team. Furthermore, let me share an additional tidbit with you. The Tianwei general's battle team today is not what it was over a decade ago. Have you seen Xiao Zhang's cultivation? As the acting captain of the Tianwei general's battle team, he is merely an initial-level spirit blood warrior. Moreover, the Tianwei general's battle team now consists of only 13 members. Steward Zhao's words were enough to leave Chen Qiang in shock. The once revered Tianwei general's battle team, held in such high esteem by Sun Dao, had dwindled to a mere 13 members, with its strongest fighter, Zhang Yuan, being merely an initial-level spirit blood warrior. How had the illustrious Tianwei general's battle team fallen to such a state in 15 years? Before he could gather his thoughts, Zhang Yuan's voice cut through the air like shards of ice. Chen Qiang, do not think that just because the Tianwei general's battle team is currently ranked last in the Dongwei general's mansion, you can simply waltz in. Let me tell you, even if the Tianwei general's battle team has but one member left, we shall never accept waste. And in my eyes, you are no different from refuse. A diluted waste at that. To become a member of the Tianwei general's battle team, one must not only possess sufficient cultivation, but also gain the recognition of all our brothers. Despite the hostility and disdain in Zhang Yuan's words, Chen Qiang felt a spark of interest. Oh, Lord Zhang, but how might one earn the recognition of your brothers? There are many formidable warriors. Yet to join the Tianwei general's battle team, one must not only meet the cultivation criteria, but also embody the spirit of the Tianwei general, embracing the heart of a warrior ready to face death in battle, charging forth as the vanguard. As for seizing the Tianwei general's banner, Zhang Yuan scoffed, his disdain palpable. You better abandon that thought unless you wish to face the combined might of my brothers. Chen Qiang stepped forward, approaching Zhang Yuan, his unwavering gaze fixed upon him. While addressing Steward Zhao, Steward Zhao, I solemnly reiterate my choice. I choose Xuanwu Academy. Zhang Yuan let out a scoff, his disdain palpable. A coward, he remarked. Steward Zhao, since the task is complete, I shall take my leave. Master Zhang. Zhang Yuan halted but did not turn around. Youngster, there's no need for pleasantries. You are merely a mid-level bloodline warrior, and I shall not hold it against you. However, I advise you to show more respect when uttering the name of General Tianwei. Today, I happen to hear your words, but should my brothers catch wind of them, your fortune may not remain so favorable. Master Zhang, you are mistaken. Chen Qiang stepped forward, facing Zhang Yuan once more. The reason I wish to attend Xuanwu Academy is to grow swiftly in strength. So, Master Zhang, you and your brothers had best be prepared. The banner of General Tianwei is a prize I, Chen Qiang, am determined to claim. No one shall impede my path. Grant me 5 years. In 5 years, I shall undoubtedly present myself at the Dongwei general's residence, and at that time, the banner of General Tianwei will be delivered to you by my own hands. As Chen Qiang's words echoed through the air, a profound silence enveloped the crowd, broken only by the gentle whisper of the breeze. Nearly a minute passed before Zhang Yuan burst into laughter. Ha! Ling Wei's palms were slick with sweat as he stiffly turned to Steward Zhao. Steward Zhao, I implore you assist me. Chen Qiang is merely a teenager. His words may be brash, but he is still a mid-level bloodline warrior of our Mongshan settlement. Before Steward Zhao could respond, the portly junior spiritual blood warrior shook his head. Alas, Ling Wei, it is futile. I know Zhang Yuan all too well. If he desires death, not even the general can intervene. Unless he is slain, anyone under his gaze, no matter how far they flee, cannot escape his grasp. Steward Zhao furrowed his brow, his lips moving slightly before he let out a sigh. Ling Wei, the fat man speaks the truth. Young Zhang's temper is notorious within the general's residence. Even I dare not intervene. Given his current demeanor, it seems the desire for blood has ignited. I advise you to refrain from meddling. In truth, Steward Zhao held a degree of admiration for Chen Qiang. Though youthful and brash, with guidance and experience, he might blossom into a promising talent. Yet, in the face of Zhang Yuan, he felt utterly powerless. That man possessed a fiery temperament, sparing no one's face. Steward Zhao, regardless of the circumstances, Chen Qiang has made significant contributions to the general's residence today. On that basis alone, you cannot abandon him. Ling Wei clung to the last thread of hope, grasping at Steward Zhao's sleeve in desperation. Indeed, Steward Zhao's eyes sparkled momentarily as he cleared his throat. Ahem, I say, young Zhang, Chen Qiang. Before Zhao, the steward, could finish his words, Zhang Yuan calmly looked at Chen Qiang before speaking. You should find someone to escort this arrogant fellow to Xuanwu Academy, right? I shall take on this task. Chapter 23. The threat. Before parting. Upon hearing Zhang Yuan's declaration, Chen Qiang's tense body finally relaxed a bit. Thank you, Lord Zhang. Zhao, who had initially intended to seek a reason to plead for Chen Qiang, was taken aback by Zhang Yuan's unexpected decision, then burst into laughter. Excellent. Young Zhang, I entrust this task to you. I have complete faith in you. Realizing that Chen Qiang was resolute in his decision, Ling Wei understood that it was futile to try to change his mind. Although he felt a tinge of regret, he stepped forward and said with deep emotion, Chen Qiang, you are a warrior who emerged from our Mingshan settlement. Whatever decision you make, I shall support you. However, since you have made up your mind, see it through to the end. If one day, cough, cough. Ling Wei cast a sidelong glance at Zhang Yuan and lowered his voice. If you ever fulfill your wishes, do not forget to return to our Mingshan settlement and inform us, and do not forget to pay respects at Old Sun's grave. Meanwhile, Zhao tossed a palm-sized black token to Zhang Yuan. This is the insignia of the General's Office of Dongyue. With this, you can recommend Chen Qiang to Xuanwu Academy. Receiving the token, Zhang Yuan left with an indifferent demeanor. Kid, if you wish to attend Xuanwu Academy, stop dawdling and come with me immediately. Chen Qiang rolled his eyes inwardly, bid farewell to Ling Wei in haste, and promptly followed. Zhang Yuan's disdain for him did not escape Chen Qiang's notice, and his pride prevented him from being overly eager to curry favor. Thus, over the course of 2 days, the two men exchanged not a single superfluous word, save for brief moments of rest. Finally, 2 days later, Zhang Yuan pointed towards a distant, hazy mountain range and proclaimed, ahead lies Xuanwu Academy. I must enter first to make an announcement. You wait for me at the foot of the mountain. With that, Zhang Yuan quickened his pace and vanished in the blink of an eye. Chen Qiang, unhurried, continued his walk for another 10 minutes before reaching the base of the mountain. Not far ahead, he saw Zhang Yuan quietly conversing with a similarly aged young man. Behind them, a group of about 10 youths donned in academy uniforms lounged, scrutinizing Chen Qiang with various postures, occasionally whispering and pointing, even emitting odd sounds. After completing his instructions, Zhang Yuan shouted, Chen Qiang, you have arrived at Xuanwu Academy, and my task is complete. Do not forget the nonsense you uttered 2 days ago. If you do not appear at Dongyue General's office in 5 years, I, Zhang Yuan, shall return to Xuanwu Academy, invoke the Xuanwu order, and execute you on the spot. With that, Zhang Yuan paid Chen Qiang no further heed, nodded to those beside him, and turned to disappear into the distance. The Xuanwu order? What might that be? Chen Qiang was left with a head full of questions. However, it was evident that the spectators had no intention of providing explanations, and he did not wish to make himself a source of embarrassment. Alas, I am curious to discover what remarkable individual has managed to provoke such ire from the illustrious Zhang Yuan brothers. After parting ways with Zhang Yuan, a young man, casually chewing on a blade of grass, sauntered over to Chen Qiang, scrutinizing him from head to toe. How ridiculous! He is merely an intermediate bloodline warrior. I had expected someone of greater significance. However, with such lackluster abilities, it is evident that you must possess formidable connections to have gained admission to the Xuanwu Academy. As the young man jested, he glanced back at the dozen or so students behind him, inciting a chorus of derisive jeers. Ah, newcomers! Xuanwu Academy has never lacked for students with powerful backing. Yet, to survive until graduation here, one must possess not only strong connections, but also substantial skills. Otherwise, you shall find yourself stymied at this juncture. Nevertheless, having the opportunity to enter the Xuanwu Academy is indeed a stroke of luck for you. No matter. If you cannot gain entry today, consider it a lesson learned, and you may reapply next year. Hey, fellows, are you all underestimating him? After all, he is an intermediate bloodline warrior. A modicum of respect should be afforded to him, lest we go too far. How absurd. An intermediate bloodline warrior dares to enter Xuanwu Academy? Such an affront to our institution. Who among us is not of exceptional talent? With the minimum requirement being a high-level bloodline warrior? A blatant mockery. Chen Qiang understood that he lacked the means to retaliate, and would not be foolish enough to engage in a debate with these fledgling spiritual blood warriors. Without absolute strength, any further discussion would be futile. His focus was now entirely on the majestic mountain range before him. Excuse me, senior. Could you please direct me to the entrance of Xuanwu Academy? Chen Qiang's inquiry once again erupted in laughter among the crowd. Is it amusing? Even the most patient of individuals could hardly bear it. Just as his expression darkened, the young man finally ceased his mockery. All right, my friends, that is enough. We must show Zhang Yuan some respect, after all. Young man, are you not eager to enter Xuanwu Academy? Here it is. The young man gestured toward the mountains behind him. Senior, my name is Chen Qiang. Do not attempt to befriend me. I have no desire to know your name. The young man waved his hand dismissively, irritation seeping into his voice. Until you earn the right to be a student at Xuanwu Academy, your name holds no more value than the flatulence you release. Though Chen Qiang was irked by the tone of his interlocutor, he could not suppress his curiosity. Excuse me. Esteemed senior, are you suggesting that Xuanwu Academy is located within this mountain? And am I not already a student of Xuanwu Academy? Haha, old Gua. The young lad has referred to you as uncle. You truly appear rather hasty. Upon hearing the laughter of a group behind him, old Gua's expression darkened as he shot a glare at Chen Qiang. However, there was little he could do. After all, he was the one who had previously discouraged Chen Qiang from getting too familiar. What harm was there in being addressed as uncle? Young man, who says you are now a student of Xuanwu Academy? Zhang Yuan's presence here is merely as a liaison for the Dongyue General's residence, providing you with an opportunity from Xuanwu Academy. Whether you are accepted by the academy depends entirely on your ability to pass their assessment. Furthermore, this mountain range spans nearly 1,000 miles, entirely belonging to Xuanwu Academy. The very ground beneath your feet is, in fact, the entrance to the academy. Such an expansive institution. Though Chen Qiang was astonished, he was more eager to understand the nature of the entrance examination at Xuanwu Academy. Uncle Gua, do not call me uncle. Grandfather Gua, damn it. Old Gua fumed, nearly slapping himself in frustration. Why had he acted so pretentiously? Was it not entirely natural for someone to address him as senior brother? Never mind, just call me senior brother Gua instead. Oh, senior brother Gua. Could you please explain how I might successfully pass the entrance examination? Chapter 24. Breaking records. A peculiar smile crept across old Gua's face as he approached Chen Qiang. Retrieving a wristband from his pocket and fastening it around Chen Qiang's left wrist, pressing a button on it. Chen Qiang focused intently as the wristband illuminated with a blue glow, displaying a stopwatch. This wristband is a gift for you, even if you fail the entrance examination. I shall not demand any payment. Hey, when did old Gua become so generous? Though the communication wristband is inexpensive, it is still worth a first-tier advanced beast crystal. To give it away for free is truly remarkable. It was no wonder, after all, old Gua was a good brother of Zhang Yuan, and it was only fitting that he extend some courtesy to Zhang Yuan. If someone were to fail the entrance examination, it would undoubtedly be disheartening, and this gesture could serve as a consolation. Ignoring the group of onlookers behind him, old Gua stated earnestly, "Listen carefully, young man. Xuanwu Academy is one of the 4 great academies of our human race, held in high esteem. It is not a place one can simply enter at will. Although you were introduced by senior brother Zhang Yuan, first, my position is too humble to make such decisions. Second, even those introduced by a king must pass the entrance examination of Xuanwu Academy, or they will be expelled without exception. Do you see that small grove ahead? The first challenge requires you to enter that grove, and you must do so from that specific point. If you can successfully navigate through the grove within 3 hours, you will have passed this stage. Is it truly that simple?" Chen Qiang glanced at the unremarkable grove before turning back to inquire further, "Senior brother Gua, what about the second challenge?" "The second challenge? Humph. If you cannot pass the first challenge, you may as well leave. Watch closely, I will go in first. You will enter the grove 10 minutes after me. If you manage to pass within 3 hours, I will then share the details of the second challenge with you." With that, old Gua dashed into the grove. Chen Qiang was astonished to discover that once old Gua entered the small grove, he simply vanished. Could it be a labyrinth? Chen Qiang murmured to himself. Hee, newcomer, you are indeed correct. That grove is a maze, though it poses no real danger. Traversing all the pathways within 3 hours to find the correct exit is no simple feat. Upon hearing this, Chen Qiang nodded in understanding. As long as there was no danger, that was sufficient. Esteemed seniors, may I ask, how long did it take for that brother Gua to pass through the grove? Old Gua? That path is one he frequently takes. At a normal pace, it would take about 10 minutes. Although they did not fully grasp Chen Qiang's intent, the idle students responded nonetheless. A sly smile crept across Chen Qiang's lips as he gracefully stepped into the grove. Hey, brothers, how long do you reckon that fellow will take to emerge from within? How long to come out? Old Wang, you think too highly of that chap. I believe we should place a bet on how long he'll be stuck in there. Indeed, brothers, how about we set up a wager here? I'll cover it. And we can bet our credits, at least 50 credits, on whether this fellow can emerge on time. Lao Si, let us do it your way. I'll go first. I bet 50 credits that he won't come out. I'll wager 70 credits that he will come out on time. Come on. Xiao Lu, are you blind? A mid-level bloodline warrior can't pass the first stage in 3 hours. I bet you'll lose for sure. I'll stake 100 credits that he won't make it out. As soon as he entered the grove, a voice resonated from the wristband on Chen Qiang's arm. It seemed these folks were placing bets on him. However, Chen Qiang was unclear about what these credits entailed. Nonetheless, It was likely that whatever they were willing to wager would be of considerable value. For Chen Qiang, this challenge was exceedingly manageable. With that in mind, how could he let any opportunity to acquire beast crystals slip away? Esteemed seniors, I am Chen Qiang, currently undergoing assessment. Since you are having such fun, I would like to join as well. How about including me? However, I don't possess any credits and am unsure what they are for. Perhaps I could owe you for now and repay you later? After sending his voice message, Chen Qiang patiently waited for a full minute. The group outside, engrossed in their betting, was taken aback by the fact that the subject of their wager wished to join in. This was indeed quite amusing. Hey, so you're brother Chen Qiang, right? Since you are not yet a formal student of Xuanwu Academy, you naturally don't have any credits. However, once you join, the Academy will grant you 100 credits for free, along with a monthly allowance of 20 credits. How about this? We'll count you in. How much would you like to wager? The odds for a win are 5 to 1, and the odds for a loss are 1 to 1. Chen Qiang curled his lips disdainfully. These fellows evidently did not regard themselves with any seriousness, offering odds of 1 to 5. Then, might I trouble brother Lucy to place a wager of 100 credits on my behalf? Haha, this young man named Chen Qiang, not yet formally enrolled, has already become a gambler. This only bolstered my confidence further. Lucy, double the stake to 200 credits. I bet this lad will lose. Impossible, impossible, brother. We agreed on a maximum of 100 credits. Otherwise, I shall surely suffer ruin. Lucy reluctantly accepted the 100-credit wager and, through the wristband communicator, messaged Chen Qiang. Brother Chen, old Gui just said, for the sake of Zhang Yuan, your 100-credit stake will be covered by him. I have accepted the bet. Upon hearing this, Chen Qiang finally felt at ease. Although old Gui's words lacked propriety, it seemed his relationship with Zhang Yuan was indeed solid. In that case, should I not spare him the embarrassment? Originally, Chen Qiang had planned to use his agility to exit the thicket within 5 minutes. But now, seeing old Gui's generosity, he felt reluctant to thwart him. Very well, after all, he is Zhang Yuan's friend. I shall grant him this courtesy. Ultimately, at 9 minutes and 55 seconds, Chen Qiang successfully emerged from the thicket. Ding! Candidate Chen Qiang has passed the first trial in 9 minutes and 55 seconds. Nearly every student wearing a wristband received this notification instantly. What is the meaning of candidate? Nonsense. Even formal students often take 10 to 20 minutes to exit the thicket. A conspiracy. Surely there is foul play. Could some senior student have acted as his proxy? Investigate thoroughly. Leave no stone unturned. How can the esteemed Xuanwu Academy tolerate such misconduct? Whoever is caught cheating must be severely punished. Who is the scoundrel responsible for this examination? Let him show himself. Has he accepted bribes? Even if cheating, it is far too blatant. Are you an imbecile, or do you take others for fools? After leaving the thicket, old Gua was humming a tune in his room when suddenly the wristband message startled him. Hearing the director's furious shouting, he dashed out immediately. Director, it is I, Guo Liang, who supervised this examination. Please hear me out. There is no conspiracy. That newcomer was indeed recommended by the Dongyue General's mansion. Yes, Zhang Yuan is my senior brother, but before he departed, he did not ask me to look after him. You ask about me? Well, I thought the lad wouldn't pass the first trial, so I returned to my room to rest. Director, please be assured, I will investigate thoroughly and provide you with a satisfactory explanation. Having concluded his distressing conversation with the director, old Gua immediately barked at Chen Qiang via the wristband. Chen Qiang, tell me, which scoundrel helped you pass the first trial and break the Academy's long-standing record? Chen Qiang was listening to the various exclamations and discussions through his communicator when, unexpectedly, he heard Lao Gua's furious roar. Innocently, he replied, Brother Gua, I assure you, no one has come to my aid. If I must say that someone assisted me, it would likely be you. As soon as these words left Chen Qiang's mouth, the communicator erupted once more. Indeed, there was an inside story. A scandal was afoot. Who could have imagined that the referee was complicit, allowing corruption to fester from within? It seemed the director's suspicions were not unfounded. Lao Gua indeed had issues. Upon hearing this, Lao Gua nearly fell over in shock. His voice tinged with despair as he exclaimed, Chen Qiang, you wretched scoundrel, have I wronged you in any way? How could you betray me like this? Zhang Yuan, you have brought me considerable trouble this time. Guo Liang, if you cannot provide a satisfactory explanation, prepare to leave with this new student. The director's furious shout echoed through the communicator, causing Lao Gua's legs to weaken. Chen Qiang, if you have any semblance of honor, you will speak truthfully. I, Guo Liang, have always conducted myself with integrity. When have I ever granted you passage? Looking around at the empty surroundings, Chen Qiang, feeling aggrieved, replied, Brother Gua, I certainly have honor. It is indeed the sin of you that led me out of the grove. The sin of me? Lao Gua sniffed himself, but found nothing unusual. He shouted into the communicator, Nonsense. I bear no scent. A peculiar expression crossed Chen Qiang's face as he weakly replied, "Brother Gua, I speak the truth. It was your jasmine fragrance mixed with the garlic odor that guided me out." As soon as Chen Qiang finished speaking, the static in the communicator fell silent for a moment, only to be followed by a chorus of laughter. Haha, that's right. This new junior brother has an extraordinary sense of smell. Although Lao Gui usually conceals it well, who doesn't know that he has long harbored feelings for Sister Nie Feng? Indeed, Sister Nie's favorite fragrance is jasmine, and I personally witnessed Lao Gui devour an entire head of garlic for breakfast this morning. Lao Gui, taken aback, froze in his tracks. However, before he could react, a voice filled with menace erupted from the communicator, as if from a volcano. "Guoliang, you scoundrel. I give you 1 minute to come here immediately. Damn it. Chen Qiang, you wretched scoundrel, stay right there. We shall settle this upon my return." Pointing menacingly at Chen Qiang, Lao Gui spat a parting remark before turning to flee, only to slip and fall in his haste. Ignoring the dirt, he scrambled to his feet and vanished without a trace. Watching Lao Gui disappear in a flurry, Chen Qiang felt an overwhelming sense of injustice. What does this have to do with me? Chapter 25. The second challenge after Lao Gui's departure, the communicator erupted once again with laughter. Hey, guess what? Although Lao Gui has cleared himself of the suspicion of aiding the new student in cheating, will he be able to pass through Sister Nie Feng's challenge? Hard to say. Nie Feng is notoriously known for his fiery temper. This time, it seems that old Guo is in for a rough ride. I propose we take another gamble. Wagering on old Guo's fate. A splendid idea. I shall bet 50 credits that old Guo won't make it out of his dwelling in a day. A group of heartless individuals has begun their betting once again. Wait a moment. The previous wager has just concluded. Shouldn't we settle our accounts first? I just won 50 credits. Lucier, hurry and transfer the funds to me. Alas, I have lost 100 credits. Who would have thought that a mid-level bloodline warrior not only passed the test, but also shattered the academy record? Truly outrageous. Hee, fear not. Lucier's reputation is impeccable. I shall settle this immediately. Here are your 50 credits. Lucier cheerfully distributed the credits to others, feeling quite pleased with a modest gain of 400 credits. Wasn't there a suggestion to continue betting? Perhaps I should be the house this time? No sooner had Lucier spoken than a timid voice emerged from his communication device. Brother Lu. It seems that my little brother has yet to receive the 500 credits he won, right? Lucier paused, realizing that Chen Qiang, who was undergoing assessment, had not settled his account yet, and his expression fell. Haha, Lucier has deflated. Weren't you quite proud just now? You had a modest win of 400 credits. And in the blink of an eye, you lost 100 credits. What swift retribution. Hee, the house and I lost the same amount, and now my heart feels much lighter. Amidst the taunts, Lucier, in a fit of anger, shouted, "You little rascal, you won't escape this. Once you successfully pass the remaining 2 challenges, I will certainly repay you." Hee, then I thank Brother C for your magnanimity. Should there be any more opportunities like this in the future, do not forget your little brother. He has just arrived and is quite impoverished. After ending the communication, Chen Qiang eagerly awaited someone to assess his second challenge. It seems old Gua is unlikely to return. Hopefully, the next examiner will be a bit more amiable. After a considerable half hour, Chen Qiang finally encountered the examiner for the second challenge. It was none other than old Gua. However, he appeared to be significantly larger. Brother Gua. You seem to have gained weight in such a short time. Chen Qiang kindly greeted him, only to have old Gua, who had been avoiding him, turn around. Hissing in shock, "Do not approach me." Chen Qiang then noticed that old Gua's entire face was swollen, and his words had taken on a harsh tone. It seems that the renowned Nie Feng does not hold back. You insolent brat, you barely scraped through the last challenge, but the next one will not be so easy. Prepare to be eliminated. Hiss, follow me. After walking several hundred meters, a ravine appeared before them. Do you see the mountain peak across from us? That is the endpoint of your second challenge. There are many paths to reach it, but to pass the assessment, you must cross this ravine. Chen Qiang looked down and saw a turbulent, fathomless torrent between the 2 peaks. Amidst this torrential expanse, formidable crocodiles, stretching 6 to 7 meters in length, emerge intermittently, their gaping jaws undulating through the currents. Upon closer inspection, there are no fewer than several thousand of them. Alas, young one, these colossal reptiles are not foes to be trifled with. Even the weakest among them are advanced long-snout crocodiles. With your current cultivation, a plunge into that water would spell certain doom. However, there exists a means to traverse successfully. Have you noticed the occasional driftwood floating in the river? If you can accurately gauge the timing of its passage and leverage it to cross the torrent, you may yet prevail. Otherwise, heed this warning. These long-snout crocodiles have been ravenous for over half a month. With that, Lao Gua turned to depart. Wait, senior brother Gua, Chen Qiang called out. Lao Gua, visibly impatient, looked back and inquired, what is it? Oh right, if you wish to reconsider, I can escort you away immediately. No, Senior Brother Gua. I meant to say I triumphed in the previous challenge and wish to inquire when I might receive those credits. Had you not mentioned it, I might have forgotten. You are quite fortunate. You have won 500 credits. Rest assured, should you fail, I will personally procure those credits for you, so you shall not be shortchanged. With that, Lao Gua hastily departed. Chen Qiang surveyed the distance between the two mountains, estimating it to be over 800 meters. Given his current prowess in the threefold waves of heaven, he could leap a maximum of 600 meters without touching the ground. His present physique could only support a maximum speed of 55. To enhance his speed further, he needed to first augment his physical strength. Fortunately, he had amassed sufficient energy points within the system, and to successfully clear this ravine, he resolved to expend some of that energy. Resolutely, Chen Qiang converted 1,000 energy points, thereby elevating his physique by 20 points. He then pushed his speed to its utmost limit. Host, Chen Qiang level, intermediate bloodline warrior energy points, 1320 recovery value, 1 physique, 45 strength, 51 speed, 98 mental power, 24 cultivation technique, heart-shattering blood transformation, minor achievement, skills, ambush, sonic detection, thunder soul severing blade, minor achievement, threefold waves of heaven, minor achievement, beast language, scent tracking, digging, minor achievement, remote communication bloodlines, dark bloodline, intermediate, primordial bloodline, advanced, threefold waves of heaven, minor achievement. Chen Qiang was astonished to discover that with the substantial increase in speed, the technique he had acquired from Sun Dao, the threefold waves of heaven, had finally reached a minor achievement. Of course, this transformation was contingent upon the enhancement of his physique. Without sufficient physical support, exceeding the limits of his body's capacity would inevitably result in severe harm. The advancement of the threefold waves of heaven instilled in Chen Qiang a profound sense of confidence. Before him lay a torrent nearly 800 meters wide. Should he summon all his strength, he was confident he could leap across without assistance. Taking a deep breath, Chen Qiang was about to rise when his communication wristband chimed again. To his surprise, it was none other than old Gua who spoke first. Haha, brothers. Just now, Lu Seer initiated the game, and I, old Gua, unwittingly took advantage and earned 500 credits. Now, Chen Qiang is set to attempt the second challenge. What do you say we wager again? Come on, old Gua, do you have no shame? That 500 credits was won by Chen Qiang. It has nothing to do with you. If anything, you merely helped him with the initial stake. Do you really wish to claim it all for yourself? Of course not. I, old Gua, am a man of integrity, never one to take advantage of others. What I mean is, based on our character and luck, another wager is bound to be in our favor. Enough of this nonsense. I, old Gua, will initiate the bet now. I wager that the boy will pass the second challenge, betting he must rely on assistance more than 5 times. Odds of 5 to 1. If he fails, it's even odds. He's about to start the challenge, so if you wish to place your bets, do so quickly. Chen Qiang felt a surge of indignation at old Gua's words. His previous favorable impression of old Gua, due to Zhang Yuan, evaporated in an instant. This despicable fellow, like the others, underestimated him, and he would no longer hold back. Senior Gua, what if Chen Qiang manages to pass the challenge relying on assistance 5 times or less? Chen Qiang deliberately altered his voice, timidly posing the question. Fewer than 5 assists? Damn, who is this foolish person asking such a ridiculous question? Not even seasoned veterans could calculate that. At least 3 assists are required to succeed. He is merely an intermediate bloodline warrior. If he isn't careful, he'll end up as prey for the long-mouthed crocodile. And he thinks he can manage with fewer than 5 assists? If that were the case, I'd wager 10 to 1. Senior Gua, you must honor your word. No backing out. Chen Qiang replied swiftly, eliciting a wave of laughter from the crowd. Haha, old Gua has been outsmarted and dares not respond, does he? The most amusing part was that it was the very individual undergoing the assessment who had put old Gua in such a predicament, embarrassing him thoroughly. Old Gua, seated in a rocking chair, turned a shade reminiscent of a liver and sprang to his feet, bellowing into the communication wristband. Chen Qiang, you rascal. I accept your wager. 500 credits. I shall personally place it all on you. Wow. Old Gua's fury has transformed the atmosphere. Now, this promises to be entertaining. I genuinely hope that newcomer manages to pass the second challenge. It would be delightful to see old Gua in tears. Dream on. Don't be fooled by old Gua's carefree demeanor. He is quite cunning. Earlier, when Chen Qiang won those 500 credits, old Gua clearly intended to seize that opportunity for himself. However, not wishing to be known for bullying the weak, he feigned anger to justify his claim to those credits. Behold, perhaps old Gua is currently hiding in some corner, chuckling to himself. In the room, the scheme exposed, old Gua, having turned off his communicator, laughed unabashedly, exclaiming, Haha, 500 credits. I shall keep you guessing forever. Why should he stifle his laughter? If one is to laugh, let it be a resounding, unrestrained mirth. Who could possibly challenge him? Ha ha. Chapter 26. A record broken by chance. Simultaneously sharing in the laughter was none other than Chen Qiang. However, unlike old Gua, the exuberant Chen Qiang, in his excitement, neglected to turn off his communication wristband. Damn, I thought it was old Gua's laughter, he mused. But it seems that newcomer might actually think victory is assured. By this logic, I should place another bet on that kid winning. Damn old Gua. Having turned off his wristband, I can no longer place my wager. But I'm not so sure. That newcomer might be mentally unstable. With so many long-snout crocodiles below, who wouldn't he be terrified? Surely he is scared out of his wits. After laughing for a while, Chen Qiang invigorated himself, focusing on the opposite peak, and with a swift motion, initiated the first wave of the sky-treading triple wave, 200 meters. Although he had mentally prepared for it, Chen Qiang was still astonished after completing the first step. The entry-level sky-treading triple wave's first step was merely 100 meters. Yet he had managed to double it in the small mastery realm. At this rate, 3 waves would amount to 900 meters. With no time to ponder further, as the first wave was about to conclude, Chen Qiang's toes struck the air like lightning, the rapidly vibrating air momentarily providing him a pivot for the second wave. Indeed, it was another 300 meters. Without a moment's pause, Chen Qiang proceeded to execute the third wave. After 3 waves, his figure appeared on the mountainside opposite. A resounding clang echoed throughout the mountains. The Xuanwu bell. It was indeed the Xuanwu bell. All the students of Xuanwu Academy in the mountains stood up, gazing solemnly into the depths of the mountain range. Shortly thereafter, an explosive piece of news spread through the entire Xuanwu Academy via the communicative wristbands. Preparatory student Chen Qiang has crossed the perilous ravine, utilizing 0 leverage points. The communicative wristbands fell silent for a moment before erupting again. A conspiracy. There must be a conspiracy. I refuse to believe that a mid-level bloodline warrior could traverse the torrent with 0 leverage points. There's definitely something amiss here. What conspiracy could there be? I see that there are far too many in this world who, unable to reach the grapes, declare them sour. Are you aware of the video communication wristbands? Just moments ago, I witnessed the figure of that Chen Qiang, no, Chen Qiang Jr., from a senior brother. An 800-meter leap. No wonder it caught the attention of the Xuanwu Bell. Yet another record has been shattered. Is that young man a prodigy? Is he here specifically to challenge us? In comparison to him, I feel like a mere blade of grass, trampled upon countless times. Such an exceptional student will undoubtedly receive significant attention from the Academy for cultivation. I must seek an opportunity to become acquainted with him. Old Guo is fortunate. He formed a good relationship with junior brother Chen Qiang early on, which truly inspires envy. At the moment the Xuanwu bell tolled, Old Guo activated his communication wristband. However, he found himself in a state of shock, his face pale and lips trembling, collapsing into the rocking chair in a daze. 5,000 academic credits. Even if he were to abstain from food and drink for a decade, he could not amass that amount. This junior brother, who is not even officially enrolled, has achieved such remarkable results that his performance triggered the bell's chime. It is certain he will be absorbed into the academy. This implies that Guoliang will unwittingly acquire a significant creditor for the next several years. His still swollen face was marked by boundless despair and fear. Wasn't it said that a little gambling can be delightful? After being so honest and cautious for over 20 years, why did he lose his composure today? Meanwhile, in a simply furnished bamboo house nestled in the central mountains, a group of individuals gathered, repeatedly reviewing the video of Chen Qiang leaping across the ravine. Vice Dean, have you noticed? This little fellow's footwork seems somewhat familiar, said one. The middle-aged man in the main seat closed his eyes in contemplation for a moment, and when he opened them again, his eyes sparkled with brilliance. Indeed, directorly, this footwork originates from our Xuanwu Academy. Since the establishment of Xuanwu Academy, there have been many who have mastered the 3 stacked waves of the sky, yet those predecessors have either passed away or ascended beyond the realm of kings. Ever since that sacrifice 15 years ago, there has been no one who has reached even the minor success stage of this footwork. This young man, at such a tender age, has astonishingly cultivated it to a minor success. Truly remarkable. The 3 stacked waves of the sky. Are you referring to the same technique used by Chen Tianwei? A burly man with a fiery red beard suddenly stood up, his loud voice startling everyone. The vice dean nodded. As of now, we do not know which predecessor this young man trained under, but we have records of all students who have practiced this footwork. We can investigate further when the opportunity arises. Vice Dean, what is there to investigate? Such a promising talent. Do not let me, old Hu, miss out. I have not received a good disciple in years, and this time, I must secure this young fellow at all costs. On what grounds? Hu Dahai. Our Xuanwu Academy has regulations for accepting disciples. Not only must the teacher choose, but the student must also agree. You cannot simply declare him your disciple based on a whim. Who do you think you are, acting so arrogantly? What? Are you saying it's because of your own inflated sense of self? This young man clearly excels in speed, even if he enrolls. He shall be a disciple of Lu Changfeng. Hu Dehai glared with fierce intensity, his disheveled beard bristling in agitation. Enough. At our age, nearly a century combined. How can we still be so unruly? If outsiders were to witness this, it would bring shame upon the Xuanwu Academy. Reluctantly, Hu Daihai and Lu Changfeng took their seats under the stern reprimand of the vice president. However, their fiery gazes remained locked in a silent standoff, neither willing to yield. The vice president rubbed his forehead and remarked, "Gentlemen, let us not forget that this young lad named Chen Qiang has merely passed 2 of the trials. He is yet to face the final challenge. This means he is not yet a student of our esteemed Xuanwu Academy. Moreover, he is merely a mid-level bloodline warrior. Such a level of cultivation makes the 3rd trial an insurmountable deadlock for him. While I do admire the boy, let me be clear, should either of you dare to interfere during the 3rd trial, do not blame me for my lack of mercy." As the vice president's words hung in the air, the atmosphere in the bamboo house became palpably tense, and the 2 previously combative teachers fell silent. The vice president nodded in satisfaction before turning to the middle-aged man across from him. "Director, the time is drawing near. Where is the person in charge of the 3rd trial? Why is there still no word? Guoliang, you rascal, what are you doing? Hurry up and prepare for Chen Qiang's 3rd assessment." The director bellowed into his communication device. Beside him, Lu Changfeng and Hu Dehai shifted uncomfortably, rising hesitantly. The vice president lifted an eyebrow and, with a stony expression, said, "Do you 2 take my words lightly? Huh? Who would dare disregard your authority, vice president? I, old Hu, would be the first to contest such folly. It's merely that sitting for too long has left my legs numb. I thought a brief stroll might do me good. Wouldn't you agree, long-legged dear? Indeed, old Hu speaks the truth. As one ages, the legs do grow weary. And one occasionally feels drowsy. Strange, I assent it? Rest assured, I and old Hu shall step out for a moment to stretch our limbs, and will return shortly." They declared in unison. With that, the 2 old fellows exchanged a glance and darted out as if in a race. "Long-legged dear, you old rascal. Wait for me." Watching the 2 elderly men hastily exit, the other teachers in the bamboo house exchanged glances yet remained silent, as if in a tacit agreement. Only the director, with a hint of concern, gestured toward the door. "Vice President, do you see? Fear not. While those 2 may be unruly, they would not dare to openly flout the Academy's regulations." After receiving the director's roar, Old Gua scrambled to reach the hillside where Chen Qiang stood. As he approached, Chen Qiang perceived him as a moving treasure chest, his heart swelling with joy. He was uncertain of the exact value of the 5,000 credits. But based on the previous conversations during the gambling, it was surely a figure that would please him. Yet, how could Chen Qiang be easily satisfied? The acquisition of beast crystals is undoubtedly advantageous. Without ambition, how can one aspire to progress? Without advancement, how can one grow stronger? And without strength, how can one seize the banner of General Tianwei? Thus, in pursuit of the general's banner, it is time to unleash one's ambitions. In stark contrast to Chen Qiang's intoxicated gaze, old Gu appeared almost pained, as if he had been driven before Chen Qiang by a whip. "Ah, brother Chen Qiang, we have one final obstacle to overcome. Are you certain you wish to proceed?" Chen Qiang raised an eyebrow, exuding confidence as he replied, "Of course. However, brother Gu, regarding our previous wager, the 5,000 credits." Before Chen Qiang could finish, old Gu swiftly grabbed his arm and whispered urgently, "Brother, considering our friendship with Zhang Yuan, I must speak candidly. It would be wise for you to forego this last challenge. It could cost you your life." "Oh, is that so?" Chen Qiang responded nonchalantly. Then continued, "Brother Gu, about those 5,000 credits, brother. According to the rules, the details of the 3rd challenge cannot be disclosed to preparatory students. However, since we have grown close, I shall share it with you," old Gu began, but was abruptly interrupted by a thunderous voice ringing in his ears. "Disclosing assessment content will result in expulsion from the academy." Old Gu, struck as if by a blow, broke into a cold sweat and dared not mention the 3rd challenge again. "Brother Gu, are you all right?" Although they were close, Chen Qiang did not hear anything amiss. Noticing old Gu's reaction, he scorned inwardly, realizing that old Gu seemed intent on evading his debt. However, attempting to dodge repayment with Chen Qiang would not be a simple task. Despite old Gu being a novice spirit blood warrior, Chen Qiang was willing to fight fiercely for the countless beast crystals. Old Gu, with shifty eyes, glanced around nervously as he walked, occasionally meeting Chen Qiang's gaze. He boldly proclaimed, "Brother Chen, what do you take me for? Rest assured, as long as you successfully navigate the 3rd challenge, You shall receive every single one of those 5,000 credits. Chen Qiang finally withdrew his scrutinizing gaze from old Gu and approached a massive iron door that stood closed before him. Brother Chen, we have arrived at the third challenge. Open the iron door, remain inside for 5 minutes, and if you survive, you shall pass. Good luck. Hey, Brother Gu. Chen Qiang turned back, only to find that old Gu had already dashed away. How rude. Chen Qiang spat, hesitating for a moment before pushing the door open. As he stepped inside, the iron door behind him closed automatically. Something's off. Sensing danger, Chen Qiang hurriedly turned to reopen the door, only to discover it was as if it had been locked tight. Roar. Oh whoa. A chorus of beastly roars echoed from a distance, growing ever closer. Chen Qiang turned to see hundreds of strange creatures, both large and small, charging towards him with gaping maws. Within a radius of nearly 1,000 meters, there was no place to hide, nor any exit through which he could escape. At that moment, Chen Qiang finally comprehended the meaning behind old Gu's earlier words. As he surveyed the surroundings, he observed that the vast majority of the mid-tier beast soldiers were accompanied by the occasional high-tier beast. Faced with such a daunting scene, Chen Qiang, a mid-level bloodline warrior, found himself devoid of the courage to draw his weapon. Staying here for even 5 minutes felt akin to courting death. There was no time for extensive contemplation. In such a confined space, escape was futile. The only option left for him was to lie in wait. In the blink of an eye, all his bodily functions neared a state of suspended animation, with even his blood flow dwindling to near cessation. Simultaneously, he activated his sonic scanning ability. In the brief moment since his arrival, a towering black bear, standing 2 meters high, charged forward. Its nearly 2-ton frame caused the ground to tremble with each step. However, as the black bear approached within 50 meters of Chen Qiang, it gradually came to a halt, gazing in his direction as if attempting to ascertain whether any living creature was present. Under the guise of his dormant skill, Chen Qiang remained perfectly still, his breath and soul vibrations nearly at a standstill, creating an impression of ethereal existence. Concurrently, the other beasts also ceased their movements, casting bewildered glances about before dispersing, restoring tranquility to the space once more. Even so, Chen Qiang dared not relax, maintaining his heightened state of alertness. Hidden within this enclosed space, Hu Dahai and Lu Changfeng anxiously fixed their gaze on Chen Qiang's position, their hands unknowingly entwined. Old Hu, isn't it strange? These gluttonous creatures seem oddly docile today. Like little kittens. Have they not noticed Chen Qiang's presence? Long-legged deer, my disciple cannot possibly be an ordinary person. This is called character. Unbeknownst to him, Chen Qiang has effortlessly captivated this band of beasts with his extraordinary charisma. Lu Changfeng shot old Hu an exasperated glance, choosing to remain silent. Just hold on. If you can endure for 5 minutes, you will succeed. Though Lu Changfeng uttered no words, Hu Dahai could not restrain himself, tightening his grip on Lu Changfeng's hand. Glancing down at their clasped hands, Lu Changfeng for the first time refrained from resisting old Hu's strong grip, equally directing a concerned gaze towards Chen Qiang's direction. The 5 minutes passed swiftly. The two old men exchanged astonished glances, realizing they had succeeded. Damn it. When did you, long-legged deer, seize my hand? No wonder you're still single at 40. It appears you possess such peculiar tastes. How disgusting. Old Hu, I must have been blind all these years not to notice. Old Hu, you foul-mouthed wretch. You were the one gripping my hand tightly just now, and now you dare to turn the tables. What of being without a wife? So what? Even so, it is still superior to you. After all, it is not easy to find a wife, and yet here comes old Hu, his eyes nearly popping out. Lu Changfeng, understanding the situation, wisely chose not to continue the conversation and swiftly dashed towards Chen Qiang. Long-legged deer. You wish to snatch my disciple? Not on my watch. Stay right there. Chapter 28. Controversy. Just as the designated assessment time elapsed, Hu Dahai and Lu Changfeng rushed into the third round of the examination site in a frantic hurry. Although 5 minutes had already passed, Chen Qiang remained frozen in place, daunted by the nearly 100 ferocious beasts glaring at him. However, the sudden entrance of Hu Dahai and Lu Changfeng was akin to dropping a bomb in a confined space, stirring the beasts into a frenzy and turning the area into utter chaos. As the beasts began to charge wildly, a wild boar with tusks half a meter long barreled toward Chen Qiang, forcing him to finally abandon his stationary position and narrowly evade the oncoming threat. Despite his agility, Chen Qiang found himself in peril, nearly trampled to death several times by the massive creatures due to the cramped space. The two contenders for discipleship soon realized they had inadvertently caused a disaster. Long-legged deer, be cautious and block these frenzied creatures for me, Hu Dahai bellowed, his expression changing dramatically as he saw a 3-legged rhinoceros charging towards Chen Qiang. Before Lu Changfeng could rush to the rescue, Chen Qiang executed a swift leap, propelling himself towards Hu Dahai. Haha. Hu Dahai rubbed his tousled hair, his laughter booming as he watched Chen Qiang sprinting toward him. Just as the flustered Chen Qiang landed, a large black bear appeared before him, emanating a nauseating stench from its maw. Realizing the imminent danger, Hu Dahai seized Chen Qiang by the shoulder and roared at the bear. Roar. Astonished, Chen Qiang turned to see that the frenzied bear had covered its face with its paws, 7 jets of blood erupting from its head. Haha, long-legged deer. This little fellow belongs to me. Hu Dahai lifted Chen Qiang into the air, and in the blink of an eye, they escaped the enclosed space. Outside the iron gate, as Hu Dahai emerged with Chen Qiang and Lu Changfeng, they found Director Li from the education office standing beside Guo Liang, his expression rather grim. You too. Check your communication wristbands. Director Li's bewildering remark prompted the 3 newly emerged individuals to simultaneously activate their wristbands. How can this be? If this qualifies as passing, what becomes of the prestige of Xuanwu Academy? Of course, it cannot be considered passing. I just reviewed the footage from the 3rd round, and that lad was clearly petrified by the beasts, standing there motionless. Perhaps he had already heard that the beasts within posed no threat to his life. Indeed, had it not been for the unexpected appearance of the 2 instructors, even if he had not been devoured by the beasts, he would have surely been trampled to death. However, the individuals managed to break records in the first 2 challenges. Perhaps the Academy will consider exceptional admission. Nonsense. Even in the initial challenges, that lad's performance was rather dubious, let alone the 3rd challenge, which truly tests one's combat prowess. Merely an intermediate bloodline warrior, yet he emerged from the 3rd challenge unscathed. This is simply astonishing. If everyone were to perform as he did, what purpose would the 3rd challenge serve? Observing the various discussions unfolding on the communication wristbands, the 3 individuals wore expressions of differing concern, particularly Chen Qiang. If he were to be disqualified from the 3rd challenge, he would have no choice but to return to Mang Mountain. Should he return to Mang Mountain, aspiring to seize the banner of General Tianwei of the Dongyue General S Manor within 5 years would become exceedingly difficult. Have you all seen? The students are now debating the validity of Chen Qiang's success in the 3rd challenge. If it weren't for your 2 meddling, would such a situation have arisen? Teacher Hu, please entrust Chen Qiang to Guo Liang for now. You 2 accompany me to the Vice Dean's office. Let us deliberate together. Director Li, what is there to discuss? This lad has already passed the 3rd challenge. By rights, he belongs to our academy. Hu Dahai had not finished speaking when he was silenced by Director Li's stern gaze, compelling him to relinquish Chen Qiang to Guo Liang and depart with Lu Changfeng and Director Li. Guo Liang appeared in good spirits, pulling Chen Qiang aside and saying, Brother Chen, do not lose heart. If it doesn't work out this year, you can always try again next year. With a year's time, achieving the status of an advanced bloodline warrior should not be insurmountable. Senior Guo, it seems you are eagerly wishing for my expulsion from the academy. Chen Qiang remarked with a slight tilt of his head, growing increasingly convinced that Guo Liang was reveling in his misfortune. How could that be? Guo Liang, feeling guilty, glanced at Chen Qiang and assured him, Brother, are you not merely concerned about the 5,000 credits you earned? It's quite simple. As long as you return next year to participate in the assessment and pass, I will immediately return your credits. Chen Qiang nodded. It appeared that Guo Liang's words reflected a degree of integrity. By the way, Senior Guo, what exactly are these credits used for? Also, was Zhang Yuan also a student of the Xuanwu Academy? Given the time until the Academy's research results, it would be wise to inquire about Xuanwu Academy during this interim. Credits are indeed a valuable asset. At Xuanwu Academy, transactions involving any items and cultivation resources are contingent upon credits. As for earning credits, aside from the 20 credits granted monthly by the Academy, one can embark on tasks to earn credits, engage in gambling duels to win credits, or participate in the Academy's life and death arenas to accumulate corresponding credits. The Zhang Yuan you mentioned was among the previous cohort of students at Xuanwu Academy. He secured a position at the Dongyue General's Manor before graduating. At that time, his teacher, Lu Changfeng, was quite displeased, yet he was unable to dissuade Zhang Yuan, who was determined to leave, and thus had no choice but to acquiesce, albeit Zhang Yuan paid a hefty price for his decision. So, Senior Guo, are you also a disciple of Lu Changfeng? Guo Liang glanced around furtively, then quietly leaned on Chen Qiang's shoulder and whispered, I am a disciple of Master Hu. Initially, I had my sights set on a teacher from the spiritual department, but unexpectedly, I was coaxed here by Master Hu. Although it's somewhat regrettable, becoming acquainted with junior sister Nie Feng is indeed a silver lining amid misfortune. Haha. Although it remained uncertain whether Chen Qiang could be admitted to the Xuanwu Academy, he was eager to glean more information about the place. Senior Brother Guo, from what you just said, does that mean students can choose their own mentors? Chen Qiang inquired. Of course. Selecting a suitable teacher is crucial for your future cultivation. I myself was initially attracted to teacher Liang from the spiritual department. But who would have thought master who would deceive me into becoming his disciple? What a regret. So, brother, if one day you truly enter the academy, be sure never to choose master who. He will torment you mercilessly. Guoliang, are you tired of living? An earth-shattering roar startled Guoliang so profoundly that he nearly lost his footing. Behind them, Hu Dahai, Lu Changfeng, Director Li, and a dozen other instructors appeared suddenly. Guoliang's earlier remarks had been heard clearly by those behind, who now regarded Hu Dahai with amused expressions. Heh, teacher. I was merely jesting with Brother Chen Qiang. Please don't take offense. I was only worried that Brother Chen's poor aptitude might tarnish your reputation. Besides, Brother Chen will likely have to wait another year before entering Xuanwu Academy, right? Guoliang hastened to explain upon seeing Hu Dahai's displeased countenance. Guoliang. You are mistaken this time, Director Li of the teaching department interjected. The academy has just decided that Chen Qiang has successfully passed the 3-stage assessment and can officially become a junior student. But just now the communication bracelet indicated many objections about Chen Qiang passing the 3rd stage. Guoliang stubbornly pressed. If Chen Qiang enrolls now, he won't even be able to repay 5,000 credits by selling all his possessions. Scoundrel, this is no place for your interruptions. Hu Dahai glared fiercely, then looked gently at Chen Qiang. The 3rd stage stipulates that merely enduring 5 minutes safely constitutes passing. Lu Changfeng and I entered the space after 5 minutes. So Chen Qiang's results remain unaffected. Therefore, Chen Qiang, your next step is to select one of us instructors as your mentor. We have masters of artifact forging, alchemy, spiritual cultivation, physical techniques, external martial arts, and so forth. Chen Qiang, choose wisely. Selecting the wrong teacher will profoundly influence your future cultivation. Having finished, Hu Dahai's expression was calm, as were those of the other instructors. Evidently, having observed Chen Qiang's assessment, several teachers, such as the alchemists, artifact forgers, and spiritual department instructors, showed little interest, scarcely glancing at him. Only Lu Changfeng and Hu Dahai appeared somewhat tense. Suddenly, a delicate voice resonated in Chen Qiang's mind. Chen Qiang, I hear you were introduced by that wayward Sun Zhang Yuan. Moreover, you have a combat agreement between you. Why not come to me, Lu Changfeng? I shall impart the finest techniques to you, enabling you to effortlessly defeat Zhang Yuan. Having inquired about Chen Qiang's thoughts through a secret transmission, another, more robust voice interjected. Chen Qiang, with your agility, there is no need to waste time with the long-legged deer. Better to come to me, old Hu. Besides, that blade upon your back would be more suited to my tutelage. Weighing the perspectives of both mentors, Chen Qiang found himself formulating a decision. Just as he was about to designate his instructor, he noticed Guoliang beside him, incessantly tugging at his garment, his gaze directed towards Lu Changfeng. With a cheerful demeanor, Chen Qiang approached Director Li and declared, Director, I wish to choose teacher Hu as my mentor. What discernment! Hu Dahai exclaimed, heartily patting Chen Qiang on the shoulder while casting a sidelong glance at Lu Changfeng. Long-legged deer, it seems you have nothing further to say now. Come, Chen Qiang. This is a video wristband from your teacher. Please don it yourself. Chen Qiang obediently accepted the wristband, fastening it around his right wrist. The light blue screen illuminated various metrics, one of which displayed his credits, 1120. Chen Qiang, in addition to the monthly 20 credits and the 100 credits awarded upon enrollment. The additional 2,000 credits are a reward for your performance in the first 2 assessment rounds. Of course, I took the liberty of using 1,000 credits to purchase this communication wristband for you. Lu Changfeng scoffed. Old Hu, you truly are stingy. Gifting your disciple a mere wristband costs 1,000 credits. You really have a way about you. Furthermore, your disciple has only just begun, at 16. He is merely a mid-level bloodline warrior, so his lineage and aptitude likely leave much to be desired. Long-legged deer. You are clearly envious of what you cannot have. Chen Qiang, please inform long-legged deer of the duration it took for your bloodline to awaken. Chen Qiang scratched his nose and, somewhat sheepishly, replied, Teacher, it's been less than 2 months since my bloodline awakened. Less than 2 months? That means you were already 16 at the time of your awakening? In that case, your progress is indeed swift. Your aptitude must be commendable. Long-legged deer, what do you mean by commendable? It is nothing short of extraordinary. Chen Qiang, do you have confidence in your bloodline? With a lifted chin and firm posture, Chen Qiang responded, reporting to the teacher, I possess considerable confidence in that regard. While remaining humble is important, at this moment, Chen Qiang felt no need to exercise modesty. Although his bloodline had merged into the dark bloodline and the mixed bloodline, it inherently bore attributes of poison, thunder, wind, fire, earth, and lightning. Surely, One would be hard-pressed to find a bloodline comparable to his within the entire Xuanwu Academy. Upon hearing this, Hu Dahai's grin widened, and he took Chen Qiang by the arm, exclaiming, "Let us go. Let us assess the bloodline and bring another setback to the long-legged deer, haha." The director of education and several teachers followed closely behind Hu Dahai, eager to witness the extraordinary bloodline of this newly enrolled transfer student, who had effortlessly shattered 2 academy records. Naturally, everyone derided Hu Dahai's ostentatious demeanor. Was it really necessary to flaunt his exceptional disciple? Humph. Teacher Liu, do not be envious. Hu Dahai has not received any promising students in recent years. So this time he resorted to seizing one. Well, since the student has chosen him, let it be. Alas, I hope that Chen Qiang does not come to regret this decision in the future. Hu Dahai's training methods are beyond mere brutality. By the way, such an outstanding student, why hasn't your department of mental cultivation made an effort to recruit him? You see, I just utilized a mental technique to probe into this Chen Qiang, and his mental prowess is mediocre, making him unsuitable for our discipline. Otherwise, how could Hu Dahai compete for him? The group soon arrived at the alchemy peak of the academy. Old Shi, please assist in assessing my new disciple's bloodline. Before they even entered, Hu Dahai's booming voice rang out. What are you shouting about? My teacher is currently engaged in alchemy. A rather surly-looking student in his mid-20s opened the door and glared at the approaching crowd. This unexpected defiance from an ordinary student, who disregarded both Hu Dahai and the director of education, was quite astonishing to Chen Qiang. The audacity was not to be underestimated. More intriguingly, Hu Dahai, instead of reacting with anger to this junior, smiled and said, "Since your teacher is busy, I would trouble you, Feng Qiang, to assist Chen Qiang in measuring his bloodline." Chen Qiang, this senior brother Feng Qiang, is the most esteemed disciple of teacher Qi at the alchemy peak, with alchemical skills rivaling those of his master. He is indeed one of the most exceptional alchemical disciples in our academy. Chen Qiang observed the individual, noting the undeniable arrogance etched across his features. After Hu Dahai's extensive praise, Feng Qiang displayed no signs of goodwill. Instead, he coldly retrieved a small knife and tossed it to Chen Qiang. "Draw some blood." Without uttering a word, Chen Qiang accepted the knife and made a small incision on his arm, letting a droplet of blood fall, which Hu Dahai expertly caught in a test tube and handed to Feng Qiang. The room was spacious and immaculate. Feng Qiang cautiously took a small vial, filled with a pale blue solution that Chen Qiang had previously encountered. After adding several drops of Chen Qiang's blood into the test tube, he began to gently swirl it. Everyone held their breath, fixated on the changes occurring within the liquid. It's changing, it's changing. Finally, Guo Liang, standing at the back, was the first to exclaim as he witnessed the transformation in the test tube. However, soon, the color of the liquid became increasingly vibrant. Chen Qiang straightened his posture, feeling a surge of confidence. He had previously attempted to test his bloodline at the Mongshan settlement, yet yielded no results. I never anticipated that the detection level at Xuanwu Academy would be so remarkably sophisticated. Not only did it identify his bloodline, but it also revealed that all 6 elemental bloodlines coursing through his veins had been detected. However, as Chen Qiang turned to observe the expressions of those around him, a peculiar sensation stirred within him. What was the matter with these individuals? Did they not recognize the rarity of his bloodline? The first to succumb to laughter was Lu Changfeng, unable to restrain himself as he gazed at the changing colors of the liquid. He patted Hu Dahai on the shoulder and chuckled. "Hey, old Hu, congratulations. You've struck gold this time. Get lost," Hu Dahai retorted, his red hair bristling as his eyes nearly bulged out in indignation. Feng Qiang, putting away the test tube, cast a disdainful glance at Chen Qiang and said to Hu Dahai, "Teacher Hu, did you see that? This is the bloodline of your disciple. Wind, earth, fire, metal, thunder, and even poison, huh? A 6-element bloodline, truly a rarity. I dare say Xuanwu Academy has never encountered such an extraordinary bloodline warrior before." The director of education approached Hu Dahai with a sigh. "Old Hu, take it easy. With your abilities, you might just cultivate this disciple into the strongest student Xuanwu Academy has ever seen." With that, he turned and departed, though the other instructors said nothing. The subtle tremors in their departing figures suggested they were forcibly stifling their laughter. Hu Dahai stared at the concoction in the test tube for a moment before bellowing, "Guo Liang, take Chen Qiang back." As Hu Dahai soared into the air, he shouted, "Who the hell is causing a ruckus on my alchemy peak? Damn it! I've wasted an entire batch of potions." In that instant, a disheveled man in his 40s rushed out, catching a glimpse of Hu Dahai's retreating silhouette. "Hu Dahai, you old rascal, don't expect me to refine pills for you again." At this point, Chen Qiang was still bewildered by the unfolding events. He turned to inquire, "Senior brother Feng, how did my bloodline test turn out?" Feng Qiang coldly responded with 2 words, "Trash." "You." Chen Qiang pointed an accusatory finger at Feng Kaoyang. His face flushed with anger. Junior brother Chen, let us go. The teacher is still waiting for us. Guoliang firmly pulled Chen Qiang away from the alchemy peak. Chapter 30. The Art of Beast Language. Senior brother Gua. What cultivation level does that fellow surnamed Feng possess? Chen Qiang asked indignantly once they left the alchemy peak. What's wrong, junior brother Chen? Are you considering revenge? I advise you to abandon that thought. Though that Feng junior brother's cultivation is not high. Having been at Xuanwu Academy for 3 years, he remains at the advanced bloodline warrior level. However, his alchemical skills are exceptional. Apart from Teacher Qi of the alchemy peak, Feng Kaoyang is the most formidable. Consequently, many students actively seek his favor. If you provoke him, it would be tantamount to inciting the ire of most students at Xuanwu Academy. Is he truly that formidable? Although Chen Qiang managed to suppress his anger for the time being, the arrogant and disrespectful demeanor of that individual was etched in his mind. He was determined to make him pay when the opportunity arose. Junior brother, you should perhaps be more concerned about your own situation, he advised. When we meet the teacher shortly, do brace yourself. I suspect our mentor is rather irate at the moment. What exactly happened, senior brother? Guoliang furrowed his brow as he glanced at Chen Qiang. You witnessed the bloodline test earlier. For us bloodline warriors, or spiritual blood warriors, enhancing our strength relies heavily on our bloodline. The most advantageous are single-element bloodlines, which elevate one's prowess swiftly. Next are dual-element bloodlines, which, while slower, still hold promise for a level increase every 2 years. However, to my astonishment, you possess a mixed 6-element bloodline. What a future that portends. Ah, I see. Chen Qiang understood Guoliang's explanation, but he remained unconvinced. After all, with the possibility of absorbing additional abilities from other corpses in the future, his bloodline attributes might very well expand. Yet, with the aid of the system, elevating his strength would pose no challenge for him. Just wait. There would come a day when those who looked down upon him would be taken aback. The room where Hu Dahai resided was notably spacious, and to Chen Qiang's surprise, it housed 2 enormous gorilla-like beasts. Upon seeing Guoliang and Chen Qiang enter, the 2 great apes merely cast a cursory glance before lazily retreating to one side. Inside, the table before Hu Dahai lay shattered, and he panted heavily as he regarded Guoliang and Chen Qiang. Greetings, master. Guoliang and Chen Qiang bowed respectfully. Hu Dahai slapped his forehead and sighed deeply. Alas, it seems I am unfortunate enough to have taken on such an eccentric disciple. Chen Qiang, since you have joined my ranks, you must dedicate yourself to rigorous training. If you are a real man, then you must exert tenfold effort to shut the mouths of those who look down on you. Rest assured, master, I will not disappoint you, Chen Qiang replied, his expression resolute, which slightly lifted Hu Dahai's spirits. Guoliang, take Chen Qiang to his lodgings. Bring him back here tomorrow. Yes, master. Guoliang responded as he and Chen Qiang bid farewell and departed from Hu Dahai's residence. After walking nearly a kilometer, they arrived at a dilapidated courtyard. Junior brother, this will be your residence, Guoliang said. Please tidy it up a bit. You'll have to make do here for tonight. Chen Qiang stared incredulously at the nearly collapsing house and asked, Senior brother Gua, are you sure this is a place suitable for human habitation? Hee, junior brother. All new disciples are assigned to similar accommodations. If you wish to alter your living conditions, you must earn credits continually, which can then be used to improve your environment and secure more cultivation resources. As Guoliang enthusiastically elaborated, he noticed that Chen Qiang had extended his hand, placing it before him. Ah, junior brother, what do you mean by that? Senior brother, it seems we still have an outstanding debt, don't we? As a newcomer, I am so destitute that I lack even a place to stay. Would you kindly settle my credits first? Upon hearing this, Guoliang's expression darkened. My dear junior brother, my finances are rather constrained at the moment. Could you possibly grant me a 2-day extension? Chen Qiang withdrew his hand and began to walk down the mountain, thinking that since his senior brother was evading his responsibilities, he might as well seek the teacher's intervention. Hey, junior brother, wait a moment. I will transfer the credits to you. Guoliang hastily stopped Chen Qiang and transferred 800 credits to him through his communication wristband. Junior brother, I currently have less than 200 credits left. I will find a way to earn more credits in the next couple of days. Please allow me to repay you in installments. Otherwise, if the teacher finds out, I will be in serious trouble. Rest assured, senior brother, I am not unreasonable. As long as you remember this debt, I am satisfied. With Chen Qiang's response, Guoliang hurriedly left. Looking at the dilapidated hut before him, Chen Qiang shook his head in resignation. It seemed imperative to spend some credits tomorrow to make the place more presentable. As he opened the courtyard door, a deep, guttural roar startled him. A 3-meter-long, half-human, fire-eyed lion was staggering toward him, emitting low growls. Wait, Chen Qiang suddenly realized that he could comprehend the lion's roars. It must be due to the beast language skill from the system. The fire-eyed lion's words bore an unmistakable tone of exasperation and sarcasm. Another newcomer. He seems rather mediocre. I mustn't harm him too severely, or I'll regret it. Understanding the beast's language, Chen Qiang replied, Fire-eyed lion, what brings you to my home? The lion halted, incredulous. Kid, you can understand me? Chen Qiang nodded. Actually, I am here to watch over you. However, the Xuanwu Academy requires us to undergo a trial period where you must face our tests to sharpen your crisis awareness as trainees. Rest assured, we, the magical beasts, are under the control of the Academy's mental arts masters and will not truly endanger your lives. Just as Chen Qiang was about to respond, a thick-bodied golden python slithered over, hissing, Don't worry, the venom within me has been purged. This statement came from the golden python. Besides the two of you, are there other magical beasts in the courtyard? The fire-eyed lion shook its head, allowing Chen Qiang to relax. He had not anticipated that the Xuanwu Academy had brought in so many magical beasts merely for the purpose of training the students. They truly had gone to great lengths. In that case, let us coexist peacefully. Tomorrow, I will purchase some fine materials from the Academy to improve our living conditions, ensuring that we can all reside here comfortably. What do you think? Chen Qiang's suggestion resonated well with the two magical beasts. Thus, a person and two beasts nestled together in the courtyard, sleeping through the night. When dawn broke the following day and Guoliang opened the courtyard door, he was taken aback at the sight of Chen Qiang and the two extraordinary creatures lying together. Momentarily believing his eyes were deceiving him. Junior brother, rise and shine. Let us go meet the master.